New York. Where is this? Link looked confused. The area in sight is in ruins. Didn't you sleep in bed? This is your own hand. Link couldn't believe it, and a pair of small hands appeared in front of him, fleshy and cute. I become a baby. At the moment, he has some surprises, and he can live many more years. It's just that there seems to be some chaos here at the moment. How can I survive? At this moment, a prompt sounded in his head. You came to the other world by chance, and you were still a child. Because of this encounter, you crossed the origin barrier and gained world-class enlightenment and the physical potential of the human beings in this universe. I didn't expect that I could be a brave one day. But for now, let's think about how to survive. He is now in an alleyway, and it is good that someone passes by, and it is finished if no one passes by. Just as Link was thinking, there were footsteps outside the roadway, and his eyes immediately lit up. Whoa! Hearing the crying, the group came quickly. At the head was a beautiful Asian who hurriedly picked up Link and was a little overwhelmed. Link stopped crying all of a sudden, giggling and selling cute, childlike and cute. What a poor child. Another man in a black suit said. Several were agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. At present, New York has just been invaded by the Chitauri, and it is a chaos. The little baby was alone, and he didn't know if he was abandoned or how. Suspend the operation and go to the rescue point first. Hill hugged Link with love in his eyes. Along the way, she saw many human tragedies, suddenly saw this little life, and felt that she was healed at once. There was no objection from everyone. Half a month later, a car pulled up in front of the On's house. I got out of the car and looked out at the gate of the On's house. After returning that day, Hill hardly slept peacefully, and as long as he closed his eyes, he would remember the tragic scene. Going deep into the field into the disaster area, the psychological pressure on a person is too great. Fortunately, whenever she couldn't sleep, her mind would think of the little life she picked up in the disaster area, the sunny smiling face, innocent and bright. I checked the internal network of the bureau, and there is no information about the child's parents. Hill was in a nervous mood, and his high heel slowly stepped into the On's house. Much later, Hill, who had completed the formalities, returned, holding a baby in his hand and a nervous expression of stealing a child. Little baby behaves. Hill soothed softly as he got into the car. Inside the car, fixed strollers, toys, etc. are available. These are all things Hill has prepared these days. Hill kissed the cherub and started the car. 3 months later, Link finished eating the milk powder mixed by the nanny and dangled in the stroller, with a smile on his small face, very leisurely. He already knew what world he had come to. Marvel. This place is full of dangers, and even the entire universe may be destroyed. He was very worried at first, afraid that he would accidentally GG. Fortunately, after a few days of stability, his mentality also calmed down. Take things as they come. In order to live better, Link began to study the path he would take in the future. He found that he with world-class understanding, no matter what he is, can analyze from point to surface, from surface to circle, and there is almost nothing difficult to get him. This can make him happy. As an Oriental, he prefers cultivation to mutation and genetic modification. The power brought by cultivation belongs to you. There is no risk that you cannot control, and you can always improve. If you want to grow, you must have a good foundation. Link felt the change in his life force, and the complicated lines in his brain gradually connected together. As the saying goes, one leaf knows autumn, and autumn knows the reincarnation of all things. You have been perceiving your own life rhythm and nutrient absorption mode for a long time, and you have an epiphany and created the food element method. Food element method. Regulate digestive function with breathing, accelerate nutrient absorption, and improve physical fitness. Finally done. With the appearance of the prompt in my mind, the content about the food element law continued to emerge. Link smiled. It turns out that this is an epiphany. It's just a big surprise. With the food yuan law, the basic physique is not to worry, and it will definitely crush ordinary people in the future. The next thing to think about is how to really take off. Link narrowed his shining eyes, took advantage of the little nanny to wash the bottle. The little hand pulled off the brakes and sneaked under the window to bask in the sun. Babies have delicate skin and cannot be exposed to the sun for a long time. But it was at stake Link's future evolutionary path, and he had to take it seriously. From the prenatal education and various gossip of the little nanny, he learned a lot about the world. For example, his adoptive mother is Hill of S.H.I.E.L.D., and there are mutants in this world. This means that you are likely to be in a parallel universe of some cinematic universe. Originally, after the Great War of New York, there were still more than 10 years before the final battle was ushered in. But now he's not sure, so it must be stronger as soon as possible. After such a long period of observation, he already has a general idea of the road he wants to take in the future. That is to be Superman. This is very much in line with the current worldview and is a viable path. Superman looks at all worlds and is an extremely buggy existence. It has the ability to blow stars, have unlimited power at the material level, travel through time and space, ignore the laws of cause and effect, and fabricate high-dimensional creatures. What's more, Superman has endless potential. The so-called Silver Superman and Gold Superman are only a stage of Superman. In theory, Superman can have more and stronger stages at the same time. Not long after, the little nanny returned. She saw Link thinking in the sun, startled, and quickly picked Link up. Link's little face is white and tender, with baby fat, very cute, brave to be picked up, and does not cry. Little naughty, how did you run here? The little nanny forcibly refused to kiss Link and only touched his little fleshy face. Kissing a baby by an adult can cause a bacterial infection. With excellent professional knowledge, of course, she will not do this. Suddenly, Link snorted and pouted and pulled on the babysitter's chest. Is this not full? The little nanny blocked a few times and found that Link still looked like a straight hook. His mouth kept sucking, and he guessed something. Hee Xiaomi-chi, wait a minute. The babysitter carefully placed Link on the bed and hurried to make powdered milk. Millet is Hill's milk name for Link. The future certainly can't be called this. Not long after, the little nanny came back and put the bottle mouth on Link with a smile. The temperature is suitable. Link suddenly sucked, staring at the little nanny with big dark eyes. The babysitter's name is Mia, an Asian with dyed yellow hair and a very good look. And don't look at what Link calls her a babysitter. In fact, she is already a graduate student, occasionally studying her studies, and seems to be preparing for a nursing degree. It looks like an angel. Link muttered secretly. After drinking, Link felt warm and went to sleep. By the time he woke up, Hill had come home from work and had completed the handover with Mia. Did you wake up, little cutie? Seal's cautious approach suddenly became bold, came to the bed, and picked up Link. Madam, Zayamiki has been sleeping for a day, Mia said with a smile. Yes. Hill's face was full of joy that could not be hidden, holding the small ball of flesh and meat, feeling that the fatigue of the day had all faded. There was a hint of envy in Mia's eyes. Link is the best behaved baby she's ever seen, and even if he sleeps all day during the day, he won't be noisy at night, which is really worry-free. If only I could take care of Xiaomi-chi. At night, Mia slept in the side room, and Hill treated her well, and the housing was part of it. Hill teased Link for a long moment before putting him into a crib on one side and sleeping peacefully. Time passed, and half a month passed quickly. The babysitter noticed that Link was eating more and more, but through observation, she found no negative phenomena and could only speculate that Link was growing a body. Other than that, everything is fine and likable for Linkage. The only thing that worries her is that Link likes to pull the brakes, and he especially likes the sun, and he can't stop it. To this end, she had to read while waiting for Link, regularly pulling him back from the sun to prevent burns. At this point, Link stopped struggling and seemed to know he had time to let loose. In order to embark on the path to becoming Superman, Link needed a lot of observation and real experience. No way. Who left him without research goals? If he has a research goal, he can specialize in the results he wants faster. 3 months later, you have been studying the relationship between the human body and the sun for a long time, constantly regulating your own life rhythm. You have an epiphany and created this solar breathing method. Solar breathing. Intake of external light energy through breathing, so that the body can get better energy supplementation, enhance the vitality of essence, chi, and spirit. The first step in cultivation is really breathing, and my guess is not wrong. Link had a big smile on his face, and his heart was extremely happy. After 3 months of painstaking efforts, I finally developed the first cultivation method, which is not easy. Everything is difficult at the beginning, and with this experience, it is easier to create exercises than later. I don't know how the effect is. I'm really looking forward to it. Link closed his eyes slightly, entering a state of false sleep that seemed to be sleeping. His heart was calm, and his breathing became natural and long. In this state, the cells of his whole body seemed to open their mouths, breathe heavily, and introduce some kind of warm energy. This is light energy. Light energy can stimulate the potential of life, which is very mysterious. Even Link, who has world-class understanding, has not fully understood all its application changes. It worked really well. Link opened his eyes and observed his own changes while maintaining his solar breathing. First, receiving the initial baptism of light energy, his cells become active, and this activity is natural. Immunity, blood supply ability, and life potential have been enhanced, and it is natural to be. The cultivation method that Link has created now is mainly stable. After all, it is used to lay a solid foundation. It's so comfortable. Link slouched lazily, his eyes bright. Next to it, Mia misunderstood something and picked up Link and went to the toilet. Link had no choice but to put water by the way. Oh, Xiaomi is so good, come on. The splash was very strong, which made Mia exclaim, making Link embarrassed, and for a while he wanted to grow up quickly. At this time, Mia smiled badly and played the little sparrow. LinkedIn was even more embarrassed. Are these girls all curious about children's children? He quickly turned sideways and buried it in Mia's chest so that she could not bounce. Night. Seal dragged home exhausted, and Mia was taking Link to read in the living room. Loving books is one of Link's hobbies. Both Hill and Mia were surprised and thought that Link might become a scientist in the future. Sister Hill, you're back. Mia looked up from the book. Why did you bring Xiaomi Chi to the living room today? He'll put his coat on the clothing rack and asked with some doubt. Link usually stays in the nursery. Mitch is 3 months old and needs to adapt to a new environment. Mia explained aloud. This practice is good for the baby's mental health and can also avoid future situations of low immunity. Seal abruptly nodded in understanding. For parenting books, she doesn't read less these days. After cleaning it with hand sanitizer, Seal's eyes lit up with doting, and he quickly came over to pick up Link and smell the milk. Hill sat on the sofa and let Link sit on his lap, facing himself. Xiaomi Chi, do you miss your mother? Cluck. Link's chubby little hands waved, trying to amuse Hill. Hill, as a SHIELD veteran, is very busy on weekdays, sometimes unable to go home all day. Link was adopted, and naturally wanted to provide his own value. Seeing Link's cute appearance, Hilton became happy and rubbed the cheek of the little angel affectionately. Link blushed, but was more or less used to it. Mia, you take care of Xiaoqi first. I still have some things to deal with. A moment later, Seal gave Link to Mia and went to the study himself. Mrs. Hill is always busy. Mia picked up Link, looked into his black gem eyes, and shrugged her shoulders, indicating helplessness. Phew. A strand of Mia's yellow hair hung down, and Link helped her blow it open. Little cutie. Suddenly, Mia's heart burst into flames, and she leaned over Link's neck, rubbing it chaotically, like an orange kitten. Hey, these women. Link was speechless, touching Mia's head, and sighed in his heart. It's a hassle for both women to take care of themselves. Night. Inside the baby room, the walls are colorful and small toys are everywhere. Hill, dressed in pajamas and sitting cross-legged, was teasing Link. Every night, as long as Link didn't go to bed early, Hill would play with Link. It's a rattle. Does Xiaomi like it? Hill twirled a small drum and smiled. This is what she specially bought at the Chinese mall. It is expensive. SHHH. Link pretended to be attracted by the rattle, reached for it, and finally fell crooked in Hill's arms, not wanting to get up. Hill was amused by Link's breathless cute look. It seems that Xiaomi Chi is tired. Let's go to sleep. After that, Hill carried Link into the bedroom and turned off the lights to sleep. When Hill fell asleep, Link opened his eyes, and there was a light of deduction in his eyes. Thanos, that bald man. Hill also died when he snapped his fingers in the future. I can't let that happen. Time flickered, and half a year passed. On this day, while Mia went to take a bath, Link fluttered on his short legs, climbed into the seat, opened Mia's notebook, unlocked the car, and started the surfing trip. Manhattan mutants arrested. It didn't take long for Link to find the news he was interested in. At this timeline, the X-Men and the Brotherhood of Mutants have been disbanded. Now as long as it is a mutant who commits a crime, no matter how big or small, he will be directly sent to a special heavy punishment prison, which can be said to be very unfair. No way. Who let the fight between the leaders of mutants? The harm to ordinary people is too great. The famous Professor X once made a big incident, accidentally killing hundreds of people, and now he doesn't know what happened. The widespread use of genetically modified foods has caused the X factor to be suppressed and defective, which has caused this tragedy. As for the ability of mutants, Link is still more interested. After all, its source is the Celestial God Group. He is confident that the X ability he cultivates will not be affected by genetically modified foods. Even if the problem is big, it is okay not to eat genetically modified food. In the original book, Professor X cleared his mind a lot after eating the farmer's non-GMO food. Well, isn't this the same as a concentration camp? Looking at the introduction of the mutant prison on the news, Link sighed, and then entered the learning website to check the knowledge related to biology. The speed of his queries was fast, to an astonishing degree. Tread. Footsteps sounded. Wrapped in a bath towel, Mia glanced at the baby room. Link is playing with blocks, looking like a good baby. Seeing this, Mia was relieved, returned to her room, and began to blow her hair. Well, mutant genetic mutation reports. Superhuman Journal Issue 3. Experimental samples contributed by Captain America. Kind of interesting. Link worked tirelessly and frantically absorbed knowledge. The hair dryer is whizzing, but Mia is no longer in her room. She stepped on the carpet with her pink heels and walked towards the nursery, carefully looking like a thief. Xiaomi Chi usually doesn't like to play with blocks, which arouses her suspicions. The distance is getting closer. Mia came to the door step by step, looked at it, and found Link tapping her notebook, and the screen was blue. This suddenly frightened her. My own learning materials. Little scoundrel. Mia was angry, quickly picked up Link, and tried to restart the computer. Okay, the computer is not broken. Wadash. Mia's pink lips outlined a very terrifying expression, looking directly at the innocent Link, and there was a dangerous light in her beautiful eyes. Xiaoqi, did you do something bad? Link still looked innocent, and he was afraid in his heart. Fortunately, he was alert, and he noticed the movement outside the door at the last moment. Otherwise, Mia found out that he was checking the information, and he had to suspect that he was an alien. For your sake, I'll let you go this time. In the end, Mia kissed Link hard as punishment. Link quickly wiped his face. Although Mia's kiss is fragrant, but there is really saliva. Go down and play. Mia put Link down. Link walked out the door with his legs. Mia helplessly raised her forehead and immediately followed. Link has shown superhuman physical talent since childhood, and he has a smart brain. While she and Hill were happy, they were also a little distressed. Because if a child is too energetic, but it is very troublesome, no one knows whether he will touch anything dangerous. I saw Link come to Mia's room. Mia then remembered that the hairdryer was not turned off, and quickly went to turn off the hairdryer. Link walked over to the drawer, rummaged through the cabinets, and finally pulled out a medical book. Mia's eyes widened. This is what she is going to use. Good boy. After playing with the computer, let's play with her book again. Link liked to flip through books, and Hill bought him a lot of them as toys. But those were children's books, and Link wasn't really interested. Usually the study is locked, and you can't enter. So if he wanted to read, he could only come to Mia. This is not the first time. It's really a bear getting bigger and bigger. Mia's cherry-pursed lips carried Link to the bed, and went to get the notebook herself. One big and one small, lying on the bed, one flipping the book, the other playing with the notebook, so discordant. A book was quickly finished by Link, who rolled over and faced the wall, looking as if he was sleeping. Actually, he is connecting the knowledge in his head. Based on your experience in practicing solar breathing, combined with the knowledge of the human body you have learned, you created Solar Breathing Method 2.0. Solar Breath 2.0. By absorbing the power of stars, genes optimize their own genes. The root of human beings is genes. As long as genes are good enough, killing gods is just idle. Link's tiny brow furrowed. In the future, he is destined to go far on the road of biology, to a point that no one can match. It's time to show some flair. This provides better access to resources. Link climbed onto Mia's back and shouted, "Sister," and "Sister." Mia only thinks that Link has changed and become a little trick-or-treater. Suddenly, she was suddenly stunned and turned around. "What did you call me?" "Sister." Link grinned and pronounced clearly. Mia was completely stunned, and the bath towel slipped off her body, revealing her delicate and clear figure. 9-month-old children can shout, but there will be no such clear and unambiguous awareness, more like an accident and a slogan. And Link, obviously, is calling himself. "Sister, I want to read." Link is not surprising and dies. Mia rubbed her yellow hair stunned. "Xiaomi-chi, is this enlightened?" Night. Hill is back. She is wearing a plain coat and a low-end hairstyle, giving people a refreshing and capable feeling, sassy and cool. Link immediately came up and shouted, and said his simple appeal, hugging and holding high. Hilton was shocked and liked Link even more. A few more days passed. Link has been able to speak long sentences completely, has clear consciousness, has strong expression skills, and has named himself Link. If Hill hadn't done genetic testing on Link long ago, he would have suspected that he was an alien. She decided she had picked up a genius and came back. This kid may surpass Tony Stark in the future. And yet, she doesn't seem to have the idea of an elite education, but keeps asking Link to call mom and lure it with sweet fruit. "Xiaomi-chi, this is dragon fruit. Quickly say, I want to eat dragon fruit." Hill licked a piece of red dragon fruit for Link, then stepped back with a smile on his face, allowing Link to chase her. "Eat, Pitaya." Link had chased after her and quickly blocked Hill in the corner, hugging her legs. Hill was very happy, and his slender fingers pinched the dragon fruit for Link to lick. The other hand took the opportunity to stroke Link's chubby face, feeling extremely satisfied. She just wants to accompany this smart adopted son now, and she doesn't want to think about the future. "Well, you can't eat it. It's not good for your teeth." Seal pressed down on the impatient Link and took the dragon fruit away. She paid attention and noticed that Link was not crying. What a good boy. The white horse crossed the gap. Link is 2 years old this year. In a room full of books and research equipment, Link is assembling 2 electronic components. This research room was made on his 2nd birthday. Link is now showing intelligence that can solve the 6th grade science and engineering class, and Hill is relieved. It is good that the little ones have some interest. For the next holiday, she even thought about buying Link a better telescope to develop his interest in astronomy. No way. Link was only interested in medicine and physics. If you go on like this, you may not find a girlfriend in the future. Finally done. After a long time, Link took off his goggles and picked up a white disc in his hand, looking happy that he was done. This light energy compressor is his latest scientific achievement, which can convert electrical energy into light energy. Immediately, he took out 2 batteries and plugged them into the entrance of the light energy compressor. The 2 cells were quickly drained, and sunlight lit up in the center of the disc, which was then diluted in the air. The conversion of electrical energy into light energy requires a sufficiently stable power supply, which is not possible with photovoltaic batteries, and it's too wasteful to release light energy at one time. There are many more problems. Half a month later, you immersed yourself in the application of light energy and created the light energy crystallization equation. Light energy crystallization equation. Make the light energy undergo a stable solid-state change. Condense a huge amount of light energy. 5 days later, you continue to understand the method of energy concentration and create the electric energy crystallization equation. Electric energy crystallization equation. Make stable solid-state changes in electrical energy and condense huge amounts of electric energy. Zizilala. A pile of discarded parts was scattered around. Link was busy with his hands, and a black disc was assembled. The energy compressor is much larger than the light energy compressor, and the structure is very complex. After some inspection, Link put on insulating gloves, picked up the energy compressor and toolbox in full armor, and went to the power room. Today, Sister Mia is not at home, which is a good time to show her strength. Link tinkered and connected the wires to the calyx interface of the energy compressor. Suddenly, the current is stably connected to the energy compressor. Link was overjoyed and felt the electrician's joy. Starting from Hill's home, a weak current state quickly spread throughout Manhattan. A man is alone at home at a music party with a deafening sound. Suddenly, the loud music became choppy. Suddenly, he felt that the pizza in his hand was no longer fragrant. "Fact, are you impotent?" The man slapped the speaker hard, but the speaker didn't mean to get better at all. Restaurant. The lights flickered. Guests who were enjoying their steak frowned and looked at the lamps overhead. The store manager was sweating profusely and immediately ordered the waiter to go to the power room to take a look. Office. God, don't kid me. The bald programmer looked at the blackened computer screen and looked devastated. "Hey, I haven't saved it yet. Why is there no blackout notice?" The wails began one after another. However, as the abnormality of electric energy continued, many people rejoiced. "You may not have to go to work today." The abnormal power phenomenon soon attracted the attention of the state administration of electric power. After all, their phones were about to burst. The official places have not been affected. However, many private places, because of the phenomenon of weak electricity, directly closed down and could not operate. After some investigation, the General Administration of Electricity found that the first problem was a wealthy area. Just as they were about to continue their search, a spike in electricity usage data was reported. At this moment, you don't even need to check. Directly lock the target. Fact, is this family inhabited by an electric stealing monster? Hurry up and go to the blackout. The chief looked at the shocking rush and screamed in shock. The person who reported looked bitter. There is no way to cut off the power. Chief, that family does not live in an electric stealing monster, but an electric stealing monster. The chief felt suffocated. Soon, officers from the area approached Hill's house. Bang bang. Ding dong dong. Open the door quickly. The officers rang the doorbell again and shouted again, but there was no feedback from the door. However, they did not have a search warrant. In the United States, the wind can enter the private territory, the rain can enter, and the king cannot enter, unless there's a search warrant. "Hey, is that Ms. Hill? Are you at home now?" A female officer immediately called. On the other end of the phone, Hill was a little confused. Link squatted in the power room. The noise outside was inaudible. Looking at the crystalline substance accumulated in the center of the disc, his heart was very satisfied. I don't know how long it took. A piece of electric energy crystallization condensed and formed. The electric energy compressor was closed, and the translucent protective cover in the center automatically opened. The electrical energy crystals are blue, 2 fingers thick, and it is half the size of a palm. Link took it out, tried it with a cannon, and detected electricity. However, it should have nothing to do with the crystallization itself, but the residue in the crystallization process. Link has absolute confidence in his research. At this moment, there was a noise in the house. Suddenly, Link heard Hill's anxious shout, which startled him. How did Hill come back? He quickly put the crystals in his pocket and ran out of the power room. Hill came out of the research room and saw Link hurriedly running, dressed like a little astronaut. Suddenly, Hill was relieved. She recognized Link at a glance, crouched down to help him take off his hood, and asked, "Link, what happened?" "Nope." Link pretended to be dumbfounded. He knew that it must have been his electricity use that was exposed, and Hill came back in such a hurry. But that doesn't help. He can't give up getting stronger quickly because of a little trouble. Hearing this, Hill spanked Link. "It's all like this, and say it's okay. Do you want to see what you were wearing?" She received a phone call, was told that something unusual had happened at home, hurried home, ran several traffic lights along the way, and was worried to death. "Tell me quickly, what's going on? Don't lie." Hill said sternly, "It should be this instrument stealing electricity." At this time, an employee of the Power Bureau and several police officers came out of the power room, carrying an electrical energy compressor in their hands. The officers at the scene looked at each other and then looked at Hill. "Stealing electricity is a crime. This matter, I will file a criminal complaint with the court. Miss Hill, you will face a compensation penalty of $5.34 million and criminal liability." The employee of the Power Bureau stepped forward, his face darkened, and said mercilessly, "Even if Hill is a big beauty and rich man, but so what? He can't touch the edge anyway." 5 million tickets. Link rounded his eyes. How much research equipment can he buy? As for prison, he is not very worried. First of all, the crime he has committed. The United States has an extremely perverted policy on the protection of children, and there is no possibility of imprisonment. And secondly, Hill is the deputy director of SHIELD. It's strange to be able to be carried. Several police officers stood in all directions and surrounded Hill. This power anomaly is the responsibility of the Bureau of Territorial Strategic Defense Attack and Logistic Support. Hill was unhurried and showed his credentials. Since SHIELD has been renovated and completely wiped out of the remnants of Hydra, Fury has disappeared into the shadows, with Coulson as the director. At this time, Coulson looked at the big black guy on the table, a little dumbfounded. You're saying your 3-year-old adopted son made this? The power compression device drained the entire Manhattan of nearly 10 million watt-hours of electricity? Gesturing with his hands to the size of the energy compressor, Coulson had an expression that you were teasing me. According to Link, it is. Hill nodded. You mean a 2-year-old made an electrical compression device on his own? Coulson repeated his statement in surprise. I'm HO. Will he play Lego now? Hill looked at him lightly and did not speak. Suddenly, Coulson felt his hairline higher. Are the new humans so perverted now? That's right. His nephew is only 5 years old, and he plays smart machines quite well, far from what he could compare with when he was a child. The new generation is smarter than the older generation. What a ghost. You're overly smart. Genius. Genius beyond Tony. Hill, take me to him now. Coulson took a deep breath, braced his hands on the case, and stood up directly in excitement. Dismiss your thoughts, Coulson. Hill looked at Coulson coldly. Coulson got stuck. Hill continued. I'm not going to let Link get involved in these things. Coulson calmed down as if he had been poured with a basin of cold water. Hill is not a member of Fury's family, and she is appreciated by several national leaders, and in some cases can even forcefully refute Fury's orders. In the real case, Coulson, the new director, is at most equal to her. Then why did you report this to me? Because of the $5 million fine? Coulson retracted the smile of the good old man from the past and asked with a frown. He'll put a document in his hand on the table. I apply for early retirement and activate SHIELD. As family protection regulations for retired 9th-level agents, executive directors, and deputy directors. After that, Hill turned and left, leaving Coulson alone to look at the energy compressor, stunned. Mia applied for a vacation because she wanted to take a doctorate. Hill, fearing that Link would make trouble again alone, took him to the SHIELD base. Now, he was in the lounge, surrounded by a group of big sisters, a treatment that was enough to make all men's eyes red. They didn't know about Link's mess. They just thought it was Hill's adopted son, and they were immediately fascinated by his cute appearance. Link sat on Hender's black silk lap, with 2 large red lip prints on his cheeks. Simmons crouched in front of him and asked with a smile, Little Link, did you go to kindergarten this year? No, I'm only 2 years old. Link shook his head, looking like a little adult. So that's the case. Is it okay to give my sister a hug? Hearing the answer, Simmons' smile warmed even warmer, and without waiting for Link to refuse, he hugged him over, soft and fragrant when the sun shone on the earth. Hand glared at Simmons. Fitz, who was holding a coffee tray and pushed the door in, saw Link who was held in his arms by Simmons, and he was envious. A female agent looked over and frowned. Fitz, look at what you are holding. Is there no Coke? Yes. The Fitz coffee tray lowered a little to allow the Coke to appear. Another female agent said, Fitz, you should bring some milk. Coke is not healthy. Fitz's face darkened, and he silently exited the room. The whole SHIELD, except for the drink, is coffee. Where's there such a thing as milk? Link is a bit of a pity. He also likes to drink Coke. Little Link, tell your sister, what do you usually do at home? Who is taking care of you? Simmons asked, touching Link's small face. Suddenly, the women pricked up their ears, and the fire of gossip burned. Deputy Chief Hill, there shouldn't be time to take care of Link, is it? It's Sister Mia. Link replied. At the same time, the feeling of being pinched made him a little uncomfortable, and he directly touched it back. This made Simmons blush. The teasing actually turned into an anti-tease, which felt strange. Simmons ignored the slightest strange look in his heart and asked, Who is Mia? Mia is my babysitter. I'm single now, and Link is my adopted son. At this time, Hill walked into the room and cheerfully extinguished the flames in the women's hearts. Director Hill, the women spoke. Hill stepped forward, noticed the lip print on Link's face, frowned, and looked at Hand. Hill, your adopted son is lovely. Hand chuckled. She was no less senior than Hill and was the head of the SHIELD base. Of course. Hill squatted down, nodded Link's forehead, and whispered, Still won't come down. Link smiled and slipped off Simmons. Okay, it's time to go home. Hill said, holding Link's hand. Play a little longer. Link had some regrets. Just came to SHIELD and was leaving. He also wants to meet the Hulk and Thor. Seal, just let Link play a little longer, and it's about to eat. Let the little one try SHIELD. Food. After all, you have been eating here for decades. Hand spoke. Yes, Sister Hill. After all, this is where you work, so let Link visit it. Simmons also spoke. They really wanted to keep Link for a while. After all, the little one is so cute. Hill frowned, thought about it, nodded and said, Okay, go back after eating. Yay. Link clenched his fist fiercely. Hill was speechless. Is there so much to be happy about? It seems that he has been keeping Link off for too long, making him less contact with the outside world. Jean is to let Link go to kindergarten. Link is firmly against it. Hill thought a lot in his heart, led Link to the dining area, and was surrounded by a group of warblers and swallows. And don't blame them, all women. Usually the good ones who play with Hill are women. Moreover, women have maternal love, and men have what? Let those men come over. It will hurt the little one. Therefore, even if other male agents approach, this group of women with female emotions will deliberately not talk and let the other party be cold, so that people naturally know to leave. I have to say that SHIELD's meals are very good: Chinese, Japanese, French, British, and Thai cuisine. Because Link was too short, Hill could only hold Link and order food around. When it comes to Link's diet, Hill is no longer cold, but a little nagging. Our pasta here is very good. Chicken nuggets are delicious, but you can't eat more. Do you want to eat some fried fish? The color looks great. What about kiwi eye shrimp? Hill hugged Link and Simmons helped with the plate. His expression gradually stunned. Can Link eat so much? Simmons said in surprise, carrying a Hill-like plate. Of course. Hill nodded, inexplicably a little proud. Your own child's appetite is very big. Hill is really like a Chinese mother sometimes, and she can't wait for her child to have a round belly every moment. Mother Hill, why didn't I see the Hulk? Link swallowed a bite of steak and asked curiously. He wore a napkin around his neck, and Hill fed him a bite of food from time to time, like a little emperor. Instantly, Hill became wary. Link, the Hulk is not a security role. Yes, little Link, aren't you afraid? Simmons also spoke. The most popular among the Avengers is Captain America, and the most feared is the Hulk, and few children like him. I think he's cute. Can I meet him? Link said with big eyes. Hulk cute? The corner of Simmons' mouth twitched. The rest of the women laughed. Children are really not? It's a pity that the Avengers base is being rebuilt, not with us. Hand laughed. But Link, if you like the Hulk, I can give you a postcard of it. No thanks. Link doesn't like these dangerous people. Hill shook his head. Hand frowned and said, Hill, you can't suppress the nature of a child. She could tell that Link liked superheroes. Hill didn't answer, just fed Link food. Link stopped mentioning the stubble on his lips, but his heart was full of thoughts. It seems that the power shown is still not enough to make Hill really pay attention. Hill wants to make himself a normal person. But Link knew in his heart that he was not destined to live that life. At Marvel, it's no different from sitting and waiting for death. Maybe the next second a crisis breaks out, and this universe will die. However, with the talent I have shown, it is impossible not to attract Fury's attention. How Fury is, SHIELD, can be described as known to everyone. Just the bugs he installed in the Avengers house alone don't know how many there are. It turned out to be Link's expectation. Not long after Hill left the commissioner's office, Coulson called Fury to report the incident. Resignation? Fury mused. He knew about what Link had come up with, but he was also a little surprised to hear that Hill was resigning. It's just that it's not so surprising. Hill's resignation was to protect Link. It seems that Hill's love for Link is really to the point of being incomparable, and he is even willing to give up his agent job for decades. Yes, Chief, what now? Coulson said anxiously. Calm down. Now you are the chief. Fury woke up and then said in a deep voice, "Send the instrument for inspection first." Coulson was stunned. Now isn't the point about Hill's resignation? However, after all, he was an old agent for many years, and he quickly sorted out Fury's thinking and smiled lightly and bitterly. "I'll go now. The call is temporarily closed." About half an hour later, the two reconnected. "Can't understand." Coulson stayed in a lab, looking at the helpless experts around him, looking shocked. "Yes, we don't understand." The gray-haired old scientist was ashamed and felt ashamed. Coulson covered his head with a headache, glanced at the broken corpse of the power compressor, and said, "Can it be restored?" "I'm afraid not, sir." The old scientist was even more ashamed. The power compression function of the energy compressor they have tested without any problems, but the technology it uses is very novel, completely different from the current high-precision equipment, and seems to be between the future industry and the modern industry. Actually, give us a little more time. We should be able to analyze its structure, just as we didn't understand Zatari's technology at the beginning. Now it's different. The old scientist tried to regain face. "Structure? Periodic table. Can I still not know? The key is how it was created. Moreover, you haven't cracked much of the technology of the Zatari people, and in the end it was Tony who helped a little." "Okay, I see." Coulson took a deep breath, glanced at the energy compressor again, and turned to leave. This matter must be reported to Fury as soon as possible. Back in the office, he connected Fury's communications device. "Fury's bureau? I already know things, Coulson." Fury's voice was as deep as ever. "Coulson, I feel like I've been living in his shadow. A person's talent cannot be concealed, and Hill does not understand this truth." On the other side of the phone, Fury shook his head slightly. "Link's talent has reached a shocking level, and the possibility of living an ordinary life is almost zero." "Fury, what do you mean?" Coulson asked aloud. "Link has to be used for us. Otherwise, it's a destabilizing factor and no less threatening than the Hulk." Fury spoke. Coulson nodded. He agreed. "It is indeed disturbing that such a demon is left unleashed. So what should we do, Chief?" Former director. Coulson began a consultation. "Don't be impatient. Our opponent is the woman of Hill. This matter cannot be rushed." Fury didn't dare to underestimate Hill. "This is an opponent." The corners of Coulson's mouth grinned. "This old boss, I really don't know how to describe it. Perhaps this is the perfect agent, facing problems without any personal feelings." Inside the car, Link looked at the Hulkstar movie in his hand and was stunned. Suddenly, he sighed. "Shield. Half-day tour ended hastily, saying that I don't feel sorry. That is impossible." Hill, who was driving, pursed his lips and glanced at Link and said coldly, "Forget what happened today. Mother Hill, I want to protect you." Link's little face was full of sadness. Seal's heart softened, and he glanced at Link, his eyes unexpectedly mixed with gratification. It seems that the little one also finds his work in danger. There is no way. After 2 years of getting along day and night, it is impossible to hide everything. While waiting for the traffic light, Hill kissed Link. "Little cutie, don't worry, I'm safe. I have decided to resign and will accompany you in the future." Well, a series of question marks appeared on Link's head, and the whole person was downcast. Seeing his cute little expression, Hill chuckled. "Okay, I'll take you to meet those superheroes in the future, but as an ordinary person." The green light came on, and Hill drove the car and said, "But I want to learn more, and I'm interested in those superhumans." Link speaks his mind. If he didn't go through S.H.I.E.L.D., if he wanted to get biological information about Thor, mutants, and the Hulk, he could only teach himself hacking skills. And then you can't do the test yourself, which is much less effective. But they're really dangerous, darling. Okay. Link knew that it would be difficult for Hill to accept his entry into the transcendent realm for a short time. After that, the big one and the little one returned home. The dangerous research room has been locked and temporarily disabled. He'll want to take a shower. Link, bored, roamed the sun on the balcony. He is not a person who likes to be depressed, especially after learning the solar breathing method. So his mood quickly improved, and he even hummed in his mouth, which is an English folklore ditty. This is what he learns in his spare time. With world-class understanding, his learning ability is no worse than DeChow, and his ability in epiphany is stronger than DeChow. While Link was leisurely basking in the sun, suddenly, he noticed a sneaky little girl walking on the street, about 8 or 9 years old. The little girl dressed like a boy, her hair was light green, and she looked suspicious. Not long after, she walked to Hill's family car, her eyes twinkled. Suddenly, she placed her palm on the handlebar, and a green aurora appeared on it. Snap! The door is open. This is a thief with superpowers. Just as the little girl was about to get into the car, suddenly, there was a shout behind her. "Hey, would you like some pizza?" The little girl suddenly turned around and found a little ghost standing in front of the villa, holding a huge pizza plate in his hand. The pizza plates are about the same size as the little ghost man, and they look funny. The little girl quickly closed the car door, and her pale face was a little flustered, but because of her personality, she seemed calm. Tap tap. Link swaggered forward. The little girl is too young to be a car thief, but most likely wants to steal some money and buy some food. "Little ghost, stop." Lorna looked at the tattered clothes on her body, and then at the clothes of young Master Link, feeling a little embarrassed. Unmoved, Link walked straight up to Lorna, holding up the pizza plate. "Please eat." At this moment, Lorna is like a little sheep who has been forced into a corner. The toppings on the pizza are hearty and have a brilliant color. "Please eat it yourself." Lorna's throat rolled, and her stomach growled. "Really? No remorse?" Link nodded heavily. Lorna took the pizza and couldn't wait to tear off a piece and stuff it into her mouth, and her beautiful cheeks immediately puffed out. "Can you use that trick again? Let's go eat in the car." Link crossed his waist and grinned. Did the Sim see it? Lorna was on guard at once. She had just escaped from mutant human traffickers and was now sensitive and vulnerable. "This car belongs to my family." Seeing that Lorna did not agree, Link ordered Hill's car. Ahem. Lorna choked, her face flushed. "There's water in the car." Link scratched his head. At this time, Lorna didn't say much, opened the door and got in. Link followed, picked up the water bottle and handed it to Lorna. Lorna took it, twisted the cap of the bottle after drinking, and stared at Link with beautiful eyes, with 2 points of fierceness, like a little lion. This inexplicable little ghost made Lorna's heart messy. Are all rich young masters like this? Link was wearing a designer shirt, clean, and she was exactly like a person from two worlds. Lorna was a little uncertain and asked, "Aren't you afraid of me?" "Afraid of you? I can burst the steel plate with one punch now. What are you afraid of doing?" Link was amused in his heart and shook his head. "It's just a mutant. What is there to be afraid of?" Lorna choked, feeling slighted. "This little ghost, why is it so strange? Don't you know that mutants are a threat to human society?" "Oh, is it? I don't believe it." The corners of Lorna's mouth hooked, and her green glowing palm was placed in front of Link's eyes, and her 5 fingers hooked. "Now, you should be afraid." However, Lorna found that instead of being afraid, a light appeared in Link's eyes, as if he had found some treasure. "What are your mutant abilities?" Link asked with glowing eyes. Lorna felt frustration in her heart, and in vain she lowered her hand, picked up a piece of pizza, and stuffed it into her mouth, and said vaguely, "Magnetic field control." After saying this, Lorna found that Link's eyes were brighter, and the brightness was scary. Magnetic field control, saying that this is a cosmic level variant ability, is not undone. The most famous magnetic mutant is undoubtedly Magneto. It can use magnetism to strengthen the body, isolate external energy and matter, and can manipulate the unified field, unify gravity and electromagnetism, and create wormholes. This ability really needs to be developed, and moving planets is just waiting for it. This is a scientist's ability. You have to take advantage of it. Link spoke. Lorna didn't know why. What scientists are not scientists? She didn't even go to school much. Most mutants, like Lorna, are few who can figure out how their X factor works, so they are completely helpless in the face of genetically modified food, and they don't even know what happened. Lorna ate pizza, and Link was watching, the little abacus in his heart crackling. "Thank you for the food." Finally, Lorna finished eating, looking satisfied. "Are you leaving?" Link laughed. Lorna nodded, her eyes wandering. She didn't know where to go, but she knew that she couldn't stay in one place for long. "I haven't asked for your name yet." Lorna Dane. Link's eyes were stunned. Sure enough, it's a juvenile version of the North Star. Since you let yourself meet, you must not let it go. Lorna felt chills, as if she was being targeted by some beast. Maybe it's time to leave. You shouldn't have anywhere to go now. Link's gaze fell on the abrasions on Lorna's body. Lorna subconsciously covered up. Link hadn't asked her how she had been injured or where she came from, which made her feel so relieved that she had forgotten her situation for a while. Now by this question, she became uneasy and hurriedly defended. I accidentally fell. She subconsciously didn't want Link to know about her escape. You should be. A smile tossed at the corner of Link's mouth. Lorna's heart pounded. Run away from home. Phew. Lorna let out a long breath. Almost scared her to death. Yes, that's right. I just ran away from home. She affirmed. Since there's no place to go, it is better to go to my house. Other places are not safe, and you will be questioned by the patrol police. By the way, my name is Link. Link smiled brightly, like the morning sun shining on the earth. Lorna hesitated at once. She came here because this is a rich area, and there are no gangs at the bottom. But in the same way, the rich area is very safe, and there are patrols 24 hours a day, and they will not allow the existence of such a vagrant. If he is driven out of here, he will definitely be discovered by those gang members soon. Okay, don't hesitate. Wait for Hill's mother to finish taking a bath. While Lorna was still hesitating, Link directly took her hand and took her away from the seat. Looking at the house that was getting closer and closer, Lorna was a little stunned. Myself this is. Have a home? Link took Lorna home, threw the pizza tray in the trash, and hurried to the research room. Lorna, use your abilities to open the door. Hill locked the scientific research room before leaving, and he couldn't open it without a key. And now that Lorna is there, this problem naturally does not exist. Good. Lorna didn't think much about it, and the green light floated on her hand. Snap. The door opens. Overjoyed, Link pulled Lorna in and closed the door. After entering the house, Link came to the light energy compressor, took the electrical energy crystals from his pocket, and inserted them into the conversion groove. What are you doing? Lorna leaned in. Link turned his head sideways, and an angular beauty came into view. His eyes were full of heroism, and he already had a bit of the style of the future North Star. Born with thick beauty, both men and women kill. This is electrical energy crystallization, and I will now convert it into light energy crystallization. I need light crystallization. Link explains. At this moment, the super 5 senses made Link hear the movement in the bathroom, and hurriedly said, Hill's mother has finished taking a bath. You are here. Don't be discovered. I will bring you food. Link finished and quickly left. But not long after, he returned and left a medical kit at the door. This is a medical kit. Remember to lock the door. Is Mother Hill a scary person? Lorna locked the door behind her back, feeling apprehensive. Not long after, she heard voices outside the door. Link, go take a shower. The water has been put in place for you. Okay, Mother Hill. Yeah, you actually ate the pizza. Didn't you eat enough at noon? Uh-huh. Lorna leaned behind the door. Her gaze swept to the medical box on the side, and her eyes fluctuated. It's just that she didn't use it, because it won't. For her, who has been wandering for many years, injury is the norm, and healing is rare. I wonder what happened to the others. Lorna pursed her lips and thought to herself. She originally wanted to join an underground mutant organization, but who would have thought that the organization was actually a bait to catch mutants? The appearance of the organization is normal, but the leader is an artificial mutant of the research institute, full of confusion. At that time, in addition to her, several mutants fell into it. Fortunately, because of an unexpected power outage, they took the opportunity to escape, and they also faced pursuit. Click. Just then, the doorknob twisted. Like a frightened cat, Lorna immediately shrunk up. Outside the door, Hill tried it and found that the door had no traces of opening it, and nodded in satisfaction. Link has a lot of ideas. Afraid she wouldn't notice, Link slipped in again. She somewhat regretted building such a research room for Link. Time passed, and night soon came. Hill made some oriental cuisine, plus a roast turkey. Link doesn't like Western home cooking. Don't get me wrong, he doesn't have any discrimination. He just really can't eat chicken paste. When will Sister Mia come back? Link took a bite of the chicken leg and asked casually. She's on the exam. It's going to take a while. What, have you missed her? Hill wears a home dress and has an elegant physique. Link nodded. After 2 years of getting along, he has treated Mia as his own. He didn't want Mia to lie in someone else's arms in the future. That's too bloody, and I'm not incapable of giving Mia happiness. I miss her too. At least her. You won't be so mischievous. Hillennian pointed to Link's forehead. Isn't it a good thing that I have talent? Link asked. Of course it's a good thing, but you're too young to harness your abilities right now. Hill snorted softly and pinched Link's face. Don't worry, I'm a true genius, all round. Link patted his chest. A genius who steals electricity? Look at how you look today, like a little electrician. If I don't come back, I don't know what kind of mess you're going to make. Do you know how worried I was at that time? That's electricity. In case you're electrocuted. Hill's eyes were red. In the face of Link, this level 9 female agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. is always in love. Link sighed inwardly. That's why he was so obedient to this adoptive mother. If you have someone to take care of you, will you be relieved? No, stop thinking about your dangerous experiments. Okay. Link said yes in his mouth, and he definitely disagreed in his heart. However, today is really scary Hill. It is difficult to say more. Night. Hill slept with Link in his arms, and the hoop was dead. Link secretly said sorry to Miss Polaris. In this case, he couldn't sneak out to bring food to Lorna. Time was missed by days. These days, Hill has been busy with matters such as the resignation of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Link has a lot of contact time with Lorna. In order not to let Link think cranky, Hill did not take Link to S.H.I.E.L.D. again, and sternly warned him not to go in and do some dangerous things. In the research room, Link is helping Lorna train her mutant abilities. A steel spoon constantly deforms in the air. Can you have more details, pictures, and texts? Link stared at the spoon that transformed into a pentagram, intently inducted. Lorna nodded. A line of letters appears on the pentagram. Her forehead sweated slightly. Obviously, this is a lot of work. Can you split it into 2 pentagrams? Link touched his chin. Lorna was a little panicked and seemed to be unable to think about it. You can first make it split into 2 steel balls and then shape it into a pentagram. Link gives advice. Lorna's eyes lit up, and the pentagram split into 2 steel balls and then turned into a pentagram, which was indeed much easier. Immediately, 2 pentagram stars fell to the ground, and Lorna collapsed with it. Fortunately, Link held her up in time. That's my limit. Lorna panted. Link felt Lorna's pounding heart and asked, You mutants, what energy is consumed? Physical strength. No, it's a kind of strength, which is linked to physical strength to a certain extent, but strength has nothing to do with physical strength. Link is a small scientist, with more knowledge than herself, and the opinions she puts forward are also for her own good. So Lorna is willing to listen to Link. Under Link's training these days, she can detect that her abilities have improved a lot. Link was like a grandmaster level trainer and knew her situation well. Therefore, the essence of the mutant ability has nothing to do with the physique. You are just affected by the mutant ability, and you spontaneously have physical consumption. Why is this? Because the mutant ability is not really suitable for you as a person. Link mused. Lorna shook her head, indicating that she didn't understand. I need a little of your blood, Lorna. Link spoke up. No problem. Lorna agreed, and then said with a suspicious expression, But what are you doing with it? The original injuries on her body have been treated, and Link helped bandage her. Now, it doesn't matter if you leave a little more blood for Link. A little experiment. Link brought the utensils and needles. The equipment in the scientific research room is very complete, and there are some things that even Hill does not know. After drawing blood, Link came to the laboratory table, his eyes staring at the blood in the vessel, and his vision continued to strengthen. Double, twice, thrice, 10 times. Link kept focusing, and finally reached a terrifying point. A little bit of a small special ability after physical enhancement is nothing. Link took the all-round evolutionary route. This may be troublesome, but the all-round power will not make Link fall for some ridiculous reason, let alone be helpless by the combination of some third-rate heroes. Many Marvel supervillains or heroes were defeated by some people with unequal strength because they accidentally gained power and could not control it, and this kind of thing will never happen to Link. This way of decay, it's really interesting. Link soon discovered the difference between Lorna cells and normal human cells, and began to interfere with them with light energy, electricity, etc. For the next 10 days, Link spent either tweaking Lorna's mutant abilities, researching the X gene, or going to the balcony to bask in the sun. His light energy crystals have been transformed and are worn by him at any time. With light energy crystallization, Link felt that his physique changed day by day, and his attributes in all aspects were rising. At the same time, the matter on Hillside was almost handled, and it was estimated that in 2 days, he would become a completely free man. It can be said that it takes so long to go through a resignation procedure, which is very outrageous. But there is no way. There are many people betting on Hill, and there are many interests involved. For example, if Hill leaves, who will speak for the party behind it? This problem alone is very troublesome. It was on this day that Link had a new harvest. You have been observing the X gene for a long time, awakening the X gene yourself, and obtaining the power of the origin of the incomplete level celestial god group. Invalid level heavenly god origin power. From some great power, the X ability is awakening, 0 out of 1. The power of the origin of the celestial god group? Link was shocked. He smelled something extraordinary. No wonder the mutants are so powerful. It turns out that the heavenly god group also mixed their origin power when they studied the mutants. What is the origin of the Tenjin group? First firmament. Many people may be unfamiliar with this name, but Link still knows better. There are 7 lifetimes in the Marvel Universe, and the god of the first life is the first firmament. The first firmament created the black celestial god group and the colored celestial god group, and finally the colored celestial god group blew up the first firmament, and its fragments evolved into the second Marvel Universe, which has been reincarnated back to the present, a total of 7 lifetimes. Star Swallowing is a survivor of the 6th universe. The 4 creation gods of death, eternity, infinity, and annihilation were born at the beginning of the 7th universe. Although the origin does not represent everything, there is an all-powerful universe above the Marvel multiverse, and the first firmament was shamefully defeated by its own creation. But even so, the first firmament is a top 5 existence in the entire Marvel Universe. It turns out that this is the real power behind the mutants. No wonder the perverts in it exist, and they can easily kill the gods. Link was cheerful, then excited. If I can obtain the complete origin power of the celestial god group, can I use this to deduce the original power of the first firmament? He was not frightened by the great force, but jumped to try. Am I awakening the X ability on my own? Link collected his thoughts and began to focus on himself, thinking to himself. With his powerful spiritual power, he could sense that some ability in his body was awakening. It's just that he knows a lot about the X gene and knows the randomness of the X gene. It may be super god in an instant, or it may become a rat crossing the street and completely collapse. The first variant ability, Link doesn't want to be random. So he set his sights on Lorna. Such a treasure, but it is nearby. Lorna. Being stared at by Link with such burning eyes, Lorna felt a little strange, and her heartbeat accelerated inexplicably. Lorna, can I ask for a little more blood from you? Fresh. Link rubbed his hands and said, good. Hearing this, Lorna brushed the hair around her ear and nodded in agreement. Link smears Lorna's blood in his hands and activates the X gene in his body using Lorna's life breath as an introduction. Hours passed. Suddenly, Link felt that some power germinated in his body, and subconsciously with a thought, the pen on the table flew. It's done. This is. Lorna's eyes widened in surprise. Lorna, my X gene has awakened too. Link said happily. He was joyful from the heart. The ability of magnetic field to control this kind of is different from person to person, and in his hands, it may be 100 million times stronger than Magneto in the future. He's not exaggerating. The source of the X gene is the celestial god group. Not to mention, even ordinary magnetic control, under the blessing of his understanding, will become extremely terrifying. Seeing Link so happy, Lorna's eyebrows curved. She hugged Link gently. Congratulations on becoming one of us. Huge boost, haha. Link was even more direct, kissing Lorna's smooth cheeks, only feeling that the hard work of more than 10 days was not in vain. Originally, he just wanted to study the X gene in depth and try to copy a wave, but he didn't expect that his X gene awakened in this process. The X gene is truly magical. Link was so immersed in joy that he didn't notice Lorna's cheeks flushing. After more than 10 days of getting along, Lorna has regarded this mature boy as a best friend. At this moment, I thought of the scene where Link sent pizza at the first meeting, and he thoughtfully bandaged himself later, and his face became more and more rosy. Young boys and girls in the United States are relatively precocious, and Lorna is no exception. Perhaps, it's not bad to follow him for the rest of your life. Her gaze wandered, completely cutting off the idea of going out and wandering. Next, the two began to compare the differences in the abilities of the two variants. Link's awakened magnetic field manipulation, although it is the same as Lorna, does not appear beautiful green light when released. This is understandable. Variant abilities, to a certain extent, still vary from person to person. When he first gained superpowers, Link couldn't help but compete with Lorna. The results were shocking. Link's mutant ability is stronger than Lorna's. Molding, energy release, and precision Lorna can't compare. This made Lorna a little depressed. What kind of little monster is this? He will have a lot of knowledge that he does not know, and now he has the same mutant ability as himself, and he is stronger than himself. Looking at her depressed look, Link smiled and said, don't be discouraged. Your ability is stronger than mine, but the release of mutant abilities is also related to brain power. Are you saying I can't do it in my head? Lorna folded her arms and tugged in her tone. Link is humiliated. He remembered a phrase from a past life. Talk and hang, small chest. Lorna is this type of girl. Unexpected and somewhat cute. Link said, of course not. I mean the speed of the brain. That doesn't mean I can't do it in my head. Lorna was even more depressed. Link shrugged helplessly. That's the case. Lorna, do you know the level of mutants? Link changed the subject. Level. Lorna raised her eyebrows slightly. She really doesn't know this. She hadn't gone to the Mutant Academy for further study, and she was completely wild. What's more, the current Academy of Mutants has been disbanded. Seeing this, Link explained for Lorna, and at the same time combed through the information. Mutants are divided into first, second, third, fourth, and fifth levels. The first level is an evolutionarily failed mutant with serious physiological defects, may have a pig's nose and a bird's beak, and usually can't even take care of itself. The second level mutant does not have much defects, but the ability is very weak. It may be spitting stomach acid in the mouth or turning the hair into steel needles, which is very chicken. Level 3 mutants are very strong. The flaws are minimal. The former X-Men you know, they are all level 3 mutants. And the level 4 mutants, like Magneto and Professor X, may kill thousands of people under special circumstances. Level 5 mutants, I only know one. That is, the Phoenix Woman, who can manipulate the molecular structure. Higher level mutants, I don't know, may appear in the future. Lorna listened carefully and nodded from time to time. Link really knows a lot. After these words, she felt that the entire mutant world became clear. Link is talking about the mutant hierarchy in the movie. The alpha level, omega level, or something in the manga. He was afraid that little Nico would not understand. Little Neezy's eyes are bad, and it is not learning material at a glance. So that's the case, then we should be third level mutants, right? Lorna mused. That's right. Link snapped his fingers, and the steel on the side flew up. He planned to create a cultivation method later, strengthen the ability of magnetic field to control this variant, and become a fourth level mutant as soon as possible. In addition, he also planned to ponder the power of the origin of the heavenly god group and create a cultivation method in related aspects. It's just that the power of the origin of the heavenly god group is too profound, and it is estimated that it will take a long time for him to come up with a cultivation method. In the evening, Hill went home. Link and Lorna exchanged their mutant abilities for an afternoon, and their interest was high, and the whole person seemed to be alive. This abnormal demeanor was immediately noticed by Hill, who returned late. Link, what's wrong with you? Seal's eyes were suspicious. Oh my god, I'm so happy to see Hill's mother come home. Link said in a chant tune that often appears in TV series. Hill gave him a blank look. Mother Hill, what did you bring today? Is there any pizza? Link looked left and right. Lorna loves pizza. Hill was carrying a bag in his hand. Every time Hill returned, he would bring him presents. Little glutton. The corners of Hill's mouth turned up, and after changing his shoes, he walked straight to the living room. Link followed. It's a good feeling. Hill's face was soothing. He put the food bag on the dining table and went to the study. As an agent, he didn't let it be lost because of Link's gag. She was going to look at the surveillance video at home. As if unaware of her intentions, Link boldly climbed into his seat and untied the grocery bag. Immediately, it was pizza. And it's also a deluxe version of ham and cheese pizza. Yesterday, he said he wanted to eat pizza, but Hill brought it back today. Really a good woman. Inside the study, Hill looked at the surveillance video obscured by the balloon. His pretty face turned black, and he was obviously angry. Link Graham. There was an angry voice in his ears, and Hill appeared at the top of the stairs. Link was so startled that he almost fell off the table, stuffed a piece of pizza into his mouth, and quickly slipped away. This is naturally what he pretended. With his physical coordination, it is impossible to fall. Just to make Hill extinguish the fire, Hill immediately began chasing. She knew that Link wouldn't listen to what he said. After chasing around the house a few times, Hill finally grabbed the back of Link's faithful neck. Say, what did you do at home today? After chasing a few laps, Hill was a little breathless, but Link still looked like he was fine. Didn't do anything. Tell the truth. Hill, I need personal space. I can guarantee that I haven't done anything dangerous. In the United States, calling parents by their first names is not a big deal. It's just that Hill is still a little angry, and she feels that the child is estranged from herself. I only want private space when I'm only 2 years old, and my mother, is it a bit of a failure? Hill was a little self-doubting, and finally gave an ultimatum. Tomorrow my work will be completely over, and then I will take you on a trip to Miami. Fury, what are you doing? Fury, aren't you very controlling? Are you really not moved in the face of such a big genius as yourself? Link thought. If not, tomorrow you can only show the ability to mutate. You can't leave New York. At most, next year, Ultron is coming. He didn't want to just stare at the time. If he could contact S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, he could even cut the flames directly from the source. It is true that his current strength is not weak, but after all, it is not to the extent of covering the sky with one hand. Maybe he gave himself a mutation or something that could quickly improve his strength, but that would be too stupid and completely harmful. Let me ask, who is willing to become an evil demon outer path if he can become the ancestor of the three Qingdao? Obediently tomorrow. Don't make me a demon, understand? Hill is full of majesty. Link nodded obediently, like an honest child. Following. Seeing Hill drive away, Link came into the house, covered the camera, and called Lorna out. Lorna went to take a bath, wrapped in a bath towel, and the whole person was like a hibiscus out of water. By this time, Link had already warmed up the pizza, and the two began to eat happily. Eating more and eating less is irrelevant to Link, and light energy can replenish all the nutrients he needs, mainly enjoying such a process. As for Hill's advice, he had long been thrown out of Cloud 9. Lorna, if you want to improve quickly, you should eat less of these foods before I have developed the cultivation method. Link looked at Lorna's bulging mouth and said with a chuckle. Lorna gave a puzzled look. Is Link making fun of himself? Afraid of getting fat? All the genetically modified foods in circulation are now in circulation, and these foods have ingredients that inhibit the X gene. Link explained. Lorna's eyes widened suddenly, and she asked eagerly, is this true? I don't have to lie to you. This is when I was studying grains and stumbled upon an element. Link made up a random reason. Lorna was breathing quickly and thought a lot in an instant. There is no doubt that this is a conspiracy against mutants. Can I announce this matter? After a long time, Lorna opened her mouth to inquire. In this way, the news will inevitably be blocked. Moreover, some mutants do want to live the life of ordinary people. Link shook his head and said, if you really want to tell this news, it will definitely attract the attention of big people, and the trouble will not be small at that time. But there are many people who don't want to be ordinary people. There are still many mutants, persecuted, powerless to resist. Lorna looked exasperated. In fact, this is still Lorna's youth, to put it shallowly. The widespread use of genetically modified foods has made Wolverine survive, and Professor X, who is committed to human peace, lose control and spend the rest of his life in regret. It is not known that they have ever saved the world, and the mastermind behind the scenes is not to put an end to the harm caused by mutants. On the contrary, they want to control mutants in their hands, and I don't know how many there are in the laboratory where mutants are held. Little Wolf Girl, Deadpool, is one of them. There is more than one behind the scenes, and all of them cover the sky. Organizations like Hydra will definitely not lack the research of mutants, and forces like the military, Sentinel Secret Service, and Essex Company, not to mention, are simply mutant killers. Link sighed. Lorna, to attack the enemy, you must first clench your fists. If you like to change this situation, follow me to cultivate first, and strive to become stronger. The shackles of the times, only strength can break it. Link's words are very meaningful. Lorna was silent for a moment, her fists clenched, and she gritted her teeth. I will definitely become stronger. Link nodded secretly, just arousing little Nico's heart to strive for strength. The ability to manipulate the magnetic field is really strong, and he doesn't want little Nico to waste her talent. Meanwhile, the other side. He'll finish the final handover and moved what little salute he had left to the trunk. A bunch of S.H.I.E.L.D. employees are seeing off. Hill, I really didn't expect that one day you would leave S.H.I.E.L.D. Hill, it's been a pleasure to work with you for so many years. We have been secretly guarding the world through ups and downs. Thank you for your company, Hill. Don't forget to treat us to a drink when you are relaxed. Take care. Looking at the car that was moving away, Coulson looked cramped. Hill is really gone. It made him feel uneasy. He moved away from everyone and whispered into the pen-like microphone on his chest. Chief, that lady is really gone. Okay, I already know. I'll contact you later. Call off. Coulson looked uncomfortable. He felt that he really did not fit into the job, and he should lead a team of agents instead of being the director. Just dealing with the senior officials of the United Nations was enough to give him a headache. Now, another veteran old agent has left, which is simply worse. You won't play S.H.I.E.L.D. to pieces, will you? Coulson quickly shook his head to dispel the ridiculous idea. Avengers base, somewhere futuristic in a basement. Fury's expression was deep, looking at a piece of electrical energy crystal, and his eyes were uncertain. No one could have imagined that the previous director of S.H.I.E.L.D. actually came to this new Avengers base built by Tony and not yet completed. And what he holds in his hand is the crystallization of electric energy compressed with an electric energy compressor. Without the slightest energy leakage, it is simply like a perfect creation. It's hard to imagine that this is a 2-year-old child's scientific research results. From beginning to end, he is alone. If this process is used in nuclear reactors, can it usher in the nuclear era? This kind of cross-era technology, Fury dare not guarantee that he can grasp it. So, I just heard the call, and Hill seems to have left S.H.I.E.L.D. Banner stood aside, looking a little embarrassed with his eyes. Hill is gone, and his adopted son will definitely not join S.H.I.E.L.D. What's the use of you looking at it for so long? Fury came over a few days ago and asked him to help with the energy compressor. This new type of instrument aroused his strong interest as a scientist, and after a few days, he had figured out the composition and operation of the instrument. But what kind of technology was used, but could not be analyzed? A plus B becomes C. He had no way of knowing the process of this addition. To be able to do this level, it is already considered that Banner's IQ is extremely high, and the average person will only be like that S.H.I.E.L.D. scientist, and he will not even be able to recover. Instead of answering Banner's question, Fury asked, don't you think that people like Link are a huge threat when left unchecked? You're going to kill him. Fury, he's just a 2-year-old. Banner exclaimed. Fury's face darkened. Why do they all look at me like that? Am I really that bad? Shut up, Banner. I mean, Link must join S.H.I.E.L.D. Fury blew his beard and glared, but his tone was unwavering. Banner stalled his hands, but Hill is already leaving. She'll be back. Fury said in a deep voice. Banner, let me ask you, if this energy enrichment method is used in nuclear energy, is it possible to create civilian nuclear energy? Banner thought for a moment and said professionally. I think there is this possibility, but more tests are needed, and how to call the energy in this crystal is also a problem. It is too stable. Then Hill must come back. Fury pulled out his phone, his eyes shining. Toot toot. In the car, the mobile phone vibrates. Hill glances at it and finds that it is a live call, and the number is very strange. Hill, it's me. When the phone was connected, Fury's voice came from the other end of the phone. Seal inhaled helplessly, rubbed his temples, and said, Fury, I've been annoying enough in the past 2 days. I hope you don't block me. The busyness of these days made her very tired. If she didn't want to finish her resignation quickly, she would have wanted to take a sick day. I already know about Link. I hope you don't leave S.H.I.E.L.D. Fury said calmly. If you're just saying that, then I'm going to hang up. Hill's voice was cold and unmoved. Link's talent is dangerous. We all know that. Do you dare to guarantee that you will be able to supervise Link 24 hours a day? What would you do if he secretly experimented while you were away? Let Link come to S.H.I.E.L.D. under our care and conduct reasonable research. This is the best way to be foolproof. I freed up an ecosystem for Coulson where Link can live happily and physically and mentally. Do you want a Superman to live a life of commuting to and from work every day with ordinary people? Then he'll end up going crazy. Since the talent can't be suppressed, then it should be released to the fullest. S.H.I.E.L.D. is Link's destination. Snap. He'll turn off the call. She didn't want to listen anymore. Off the Fury phone. Only Hill and Tony dared to do it. For that black brine egg, Hill didn't bother at all. But his words still had an impact on Hill. Is it really a good thing to suppress Link's talent? He wanted Link to live an ordinary life, but Link didn't seem to want to. What if one day, Link encounters an extraordinary event and he is unable to resist? She didn't dare to think about it. Damn Fury. Hill cursed in a low voice. Obviously she knew what trick Fury used, but she still couldn't avoid taking the bait. Just when she thought it was over, a video was sent. There's no doubt that the video was sent by Fury. Hill didn't want to watch it, but he was afraid that it would be related to Link, so he hesitated and clicked on the video. A minute later, the throttle roared, and Hill's car sped like a phantom. The phone was thrown in the passenger seat. I saw a video playing on it, and on the balcony, a little fart child was playing with a young girl, who was lit up with green light, and seemed to be trying to walk on the wall. This time I went back. I had to suck Link's ass. Link had no idea that an ass crisis was coming. He is now instructing Lorna on a wall walk. This training has been going on for several days. Every time Lorna fails, she must tell Link her experience so that Link can compare and analyze. Okay, stop, Lorna. Link spoke, stopping Lorna. Lorna jumped neatly off the wall. Is that okay? She asked. Link nodded, his eyes shining. In contrast to Lorna, his understanding of magnetic control is soaring. Suddenly, a strange fluctuation surged from his body. Lorna's eyes froze, and she felt a special magnetic force. You observe the operation of the magnetic field under different situations, and your heart has an understanding, and your control of the magnetic force has been greatly improved. You deeply analyzed the magnetic field transformation. Combined with the idea of a unified field in your brain, you had an epiphany and created magnetism gravity. Schwanchi gravity. Build a unified field with magnetism. Control one of the four natural forces, universal gravity. The potential of magnetic field control is really terrifying. Link digested the epiphany information and was speechless. When he creates the other three natural force auxiliary fields, and then improves the ability to control the magnetic field, it will not be difficult to restart the universe. At that time, matter, space, and time will be under his control. What's wrong, Link? Lorna looked concerned. Nothing. Link looked back at Lorna, and suddenly felt the need to develop a Daigo empowerment type skill. Magnetism, gravity. Oral description is difficult to express. Unless Lorna can have the same understanding as him, she can understand it from just a few words. He would not skimp on the teaching of the exercises, because it was impossible for anyone to catch up with his cultivation speed. Of course, he will not say such a fundamental method as the solar breathing method, because there is a probability that it will be targeted by others, thus revealing flaws. Moreover, you have to find an opportunity to strengthen the strength of a wave of hills, not demanding, tearing the Winter Soldier with your hands, and kicking Captain America. I feel like you're hiding something from me. Lorna pursed her lips. She didn't want Link to hide anything from her. In her opinion, the two are already one, and she can never harm him. Link scratched his head and said, "You'll know after that." Okay. Lorna laughed happily. She believed that Link was not lying to her, but that there was really something secret, and it was not convenient to say now. Link began to test magnetism gravity, and his body gradually rose. Wow, Link, you're flying. Lorna was shocked on the spot. What is this gameplay? Link nodded. I said, magnetic field control is a scientist's ability. Little Nico was hit by Link again, feeling like she had become a little waste. I'll teach you later. Link floated up to Hannah and touched her head as a sign of comfort. The feeling of manipulating gravity is wonderful, combined with the magnetic field, as if it can control everything. Chairs and flower beds also flew. Obviously, they do not contain iron. I don't want it. Lorna clasped her hands over her shoulders, varied Sundra. At this moment, a red Porsche appeared in the distance. Link was sharp-eyed, and he saw Hill in the driver's seat at a glance, and Hill was also looking at him. His beautiful eyes were bright. It is true that Link is sure that someone is watching him and deliberately exposing Lorna and himself, but now that he has been caught, he is still a little weak-hearted. Your mom is back. Lorna broke her way in an instant and sneaked into the house like a rabbit. She knew Hill's car. Link landed and followed. The floating tables, chairs, and benches returned to their original places, as if spiritually. Squeak. The car was parked, and Hill got out of the car, imposing. She opened the door of the villa in a hurry, did not change her shoes, quickly walked to the living room, and saw Link, who was watching TV. Link. Hilly's eyebrows were upturned, and he didn't look calm at all. Link shrunk into a ball with a weak heart, not gnawing sounds. Link. Who is that little girl on the balcony? Hill asked. Do you mean Lorna? That's my new friend. Hey Hill, do you even care about this? I need private space. Link was unconvinced. Private space again. Seal's face turned red with anger. Today I will let you know what private space is. With that, she sat down on the couch and pinned Link to her legs. What are you going to do? Link had a bad feeling in his heart. In the next second, the bad feeling came true. His ass went cold and his pants were ripped off. Suddenly, he panicked and quickly shouted, I ate Indian food in the morning. You won't want to taste my ass. Seal's face was livid, not afraid of the threat of squirting, and his white palm was heavily printed on Link's ass egg. Snap. Private space, huh? Instead of pain, Link felt shy. Snap. Now even Mother Hill doesn't bark. Snap. You're a bad boy. Snap. Make you mischievous. Snap. Let you lie. Hey, let me clarify that. I didn't lie to you. It's good that Link doesn't pout, and Hill hits even more fiercely, and the white slap sets off a wave of flesh on the ass egg. Link really didn't lie to her, but he is very ghostly. Even if he doesn't lie, he can't be honest. Snap. Hill's hands rose and fell, and after her anger was vented, she found that it was quite enjoyable to fight. Link's skin is very smooth and feels excellent, like a solid rubber with skin. However, when she saw the redness of the little butt egg, she still stopped. Do you know what's wrong? Hill was vicious. Suddenly, Link recalled the fear of being dominated by his mother in his previous life. It's just that Hill is not his own mother after all, and there may not be a possibility of fighting back in the future. But now, you can only soften. His small face twisted, and he nodded. Humph. Hill snorted proudly, changed to an ordinary child, now crying. But Link hasn't cried since he was a kid. Hill sometimes really wondered if Link was hosting an adult soul, because sometimes he was too mature. But even as an adult, it is impossible to have Link's IQ. Therefore, Link can only be rated as a genius who can shock the whole world. Taking a deep breath, Seal's expression converged, and his eyes became solemn. Link put on his pants and knew that the final examination was coming. Link, do you want to live an ordinary but safe life, or an unordinary but dangerous life? Hill asked seriously. Of course it's not an ordinary life. Moreover, who said that ordinary is safe? And if it is not ordinary, it is dangerous? Link answered immediately. Superman's life is not ordinary, but who can threaten Superman? Thanos snapped his fingers. Half of the universe was dead. Who can say that ordinary is safe? The obedient is mortal, the rebel is immortal. As an Oriental, Link knows this all too well. Hill was slightly startled, and then smiled with relief. You're right, being an ordinary person doesn't necessarily mean being safe. Baby, I won't interfere with your decisions in the future. No matter what you do, I will fully support you. Saying that, Hill kissed Link on the cheek. Fury's words are correct. Since the talent cannot be suppressed, it should be released to the fullest. Link blossomed. I will definitely protect you and Sister Mia, as well as Lorna's. A proud smile appeared on his face, and Link wanted them to be with him forever, not a guest in life. Lorna, you haven't said how you met her. Hill instantly changed his face, his eyes narrowed dangerously, and he grabbed Link's face. The message Fury sent her included Lorna's profile and why she was nearby. Magneto's daughter. This is a dangerous character. With S.H.I.E.L.D. capabilities, it is not difficult to investigate this, although S.H.I.E.L.D. is now in ruins. Mother Hill, do you remember that McDonald's pizza from 10 days ago? 10 days ago Lorna wanted to steal something. I gave her pizza, and that's how we met. Link said vaguely. Good guy. You like pizza these days. All because of Lorna. Moreover, you actually met 10 days ago. Hill added a little strength to his finger and said, where is she now? Let her come out. Link turned to the scientific research room and said, Lorna, come out quickly. Hill's mother wants to see you. The door was pushed open and Lorna stepped out of it. Seal's face fell. It turned out that I had been hiding in the scientific research room. No wonder I didn't notice it before. Suddenly, she wanted to spank Link's ass again. Hello. Lorna looked dragged, but she was actually panicking to death. This is up to the parents. What to do? Link's mother seems to be fierce. Will she not like herself? Will she drive herself away? She finally had a home, and she really didn't want to lose it again. Due to mood fluctuations, mutant abilities began to become unstable. Link was keenly aware of this and said, Lorna, this is Hill, my adoptive mother. Hearing this, Lorna stopped brainstorming and said respectfully, hello, Aunt Hill. Lorna, I know about you. You don't have to be nervous. Hill nodded. She did not dislike Lorna, but had some compassion. Lorna is a poor child, more unfortunate than most people in the world. Lorna, we're going to move to a new place after that. Do you have any plans? Hill asked. Lorna looked dark. Sure enough. Do you still want to drive yourself away? I'll leave on my own. Lorna felt cold in her heart, as if she had put an ice cube. Hill cheerfully said, I think you misunderstood. I mean, do you want to come with us? Stunned for a long time, Lorna suddenly returned to her senses. Are you telling the truth, Aunt Hill? Of course. Hill nodded. Now that she has decided on the route Link will take in the future, she will not be a mother-in-law. Instead of letting Lorna be abducted by Fury, it is better to stay on her side. That's right. Lorna really left alone. Fury would definitely make a move. Hill knows the old colleague and rival much more fully than Coulson. With Hill, the master of control, the three of them quickly became happy. She was not in a hurry to go to S.H.I.E.L.D. At night, Hill made a sumptuous dinner. Link ate happily, but Lorna, on the contrary, became ladylike and took small bites to eat, for fear of being hated by Hill. This scene, Link wanted to laugh. Lorna, you don't have to be restrained, just be your own home. Hill also saw Lorna's discomfort. Yes. Lorna immediately straightened her back. Very funny. Hill and Link looked sideways, and Link laughed even more. Lorna glared, a little embarrassed in her foxy eyes. Stinky brother. What's so funny? Link. Hill squinted at Link. Now about you. Me? What can I do? Link stopped laughing abruptly, blinked, and said, what's wrong with me? Hill clicked on the phone recording and placed it in front of Link. On the video, Link also tried to take 2 steps towards the wall, and he walked very smoothly, very strangely. The stone hammered. Link is also a superpower. When's the thing? Hill asked. Yesterday. Link told the truth and added, my awakened mutant ability, like Lorna, is magnetic field control. When Lorna heard this, she secretly rolled her eyes. Himself is not the same as him. It's a long way off. So does Lorna fly too? Apparently, Hill saw the scene of Link in the air. This is an improvised capability that I developed. Link explained, meaning that Lorna wouldn't yet. Hill nodded secretly. At the time, she thought she was blinded. So, those flower beds, why were they floating in the air at that time? Hill's eyes lit up with inquiry. Flower beds don't contain steel. How did Link do that? As a former deputy director of S.H.I.E.L.D., she is familiar with Magneto's information. Lorna's abilities are in the same vein as Magneto, and Link happens to awaken the ability of the same mutant. However, Magneto can't manipulate non-steel items. How did Link do it? Could it be that he didn't awaken to the control of the magnetic field? Hill, do you know the unified field theory? Link asked. Are you saying that your newly developed ability is a unified field? Hill's eyes widened in surprise. This expression rarely appears on Hill's face. Link thought it was funny. He nodded and said, almost. Suddenly, Hill couldn't hold back, and his mood fluctuated violently. Can she think that Link surpassed Magneto on the first day he gained the mutant ability? What a little monster I picked up. Perhaps Link really is, as he says he is, an all-round genius. But if this is the case, will he also understand a lot in the other 18+ periods? Hill didn't know where he thought, a little ashamed. Can't sleep with Link in the future. Damn, did he still bathe with Link not long ago? With this little ghost memory, he won't remember it for a lifetime, right? Link scratched his head, wondering why Hill had become strange. It's time to become a big super. T'Chau can read minds. When the origin power of the Celestial God Group was developed, it was a telepathic mutant ability. Now, the Heavenly God Group origin power in his body is modeled and can only accommodate one mutant ability. It's just that this one variant ability alone is enough to kill the gods. In other words, isn't the Earth sleeping a member of the Celestial God Group? Is it possible to steal a hand yourself? It's too far away to think about it now. Link, Lorna, I'll take you to S.H.I.E.L.D. later, and then you may need to do something. Of course, if you mind, you can refuse. Hill spoke softly, taking Link to S.H.I.E.L.D. She has no worries in her heart. After all, S.H.I.E.L.D. was her territory. The only concern was that Link wouldn't accept it. No problem. Link readily agreed. Lorna saw that Link agreed, and agreed, but her expression was very nervous. Hill noticed this and asked, what's wrong with you, Lorna? Lorna pursed her lips and said, is it a human experiment? Hill looked stunned. Lorna was young. Why would she say such a thing? But when she thought of the mutant's current situation, she was relieved. Of course not. Just some normal scientific research. S.H.I.E.L.D. is an organization dedicated to peace. Hill wrapped her arms around Lorna's shoulders and spoke softly. It seems that I have to let the psychologist show Lorna afterwards. Don't worry, I'm here. Link took Lorna's hand. Lorna's eyes were red, and she couldn't bear to cry. Although she is still young, she has a heavy burden on her. That is, to change the current situation of mutants. This is a strong and brave girl who dares to be bold. 3 days passed in a row. Fury, who had been waiting for Hill's news, couldn't help but be a little anxious. Are things really yellow? With Hill's brain, he should know that joining S.H.I.E.L.D. is the best choice for Link, right? Could it be that women with children really can't figure it out with common sense? Or is Hill fighting psychological warfare with himself? Tread. Behind Fury, Banner walked back and forth, and eventually, he asked out loud, Fury, what's going on? Is Link going to join S.H.I.E.L.D.? Banner is also looking forward to Link joining S.H.I.E.L.D. One is sympathy for researchers, the second is pure curiosity, and the third is that with Link's joining, the power guarding Blue Star will grow by another point. Fury didn't speak. If Natasha doesn't try it, she can always get a lot done. Banner spoke. Let her hook up with a 2-year-old child, or do you want to be a stepmother to that child? Fury teased to himself. He knew that Natasha had eaten Banner to death. People like Banner are too easy to handle. It's just that it's impossible to use the same method to deal with Link. Although Natasha looks amorous, there are few characters in the world who can use her emotional manipulation. And the task that can be completed by flesh trading, ordinary goods can do it, without Natasha. More critically, Link is just a 2-year-old. No matter how good Natasha is, no matter how frustrated, it is impossible to start with a child. I seem to hear someone calling my name. At this time, a rhythmic footstep sounded, and Natasha, who had red hair, walked into the conference room. Natasha. Banner stepped aside in shame, like a shy big boy. Natasha smiled at him, then looked at Fury. Fury, we haven't seen each other in a long time. 44 days ago, we had a meeting. Fury's eyes were gentle. Natasha will always be his most trusted agent. Because S.H.I.E.L.D. is Natasha's home, a former shelter of ghosts. He has no doubt that in order to maintain the existence of this family, Natasha is willing to give up her life for this. You remember it so clearly. Natasha was dressed in a white suit, sitting casually, with a variety of styles. So, what is the purpose of your coming this time? Didn't Banner tell you? Fury said unexpectedly. Banner shrugged. I thought it was classified. Fury understood and began to explain to Natasha about Link. Listening to Fury's narrative, Natasha's expression went from confused to shocked to ridiculous. Fury, are you sure you're talking about a 2-year-old boy? Yes, it's even more shocking than the Hiroshima one, isn't it? Banner chuckled. Banner, this joke is not funny. Fury glanced at Banner. The United States is a country that prides itself on maintaining world peace. Okay. Banner shrugged helplessly. He just wanted to warm up the field. If you say the information is correct, I think you should give Hill a call. Natasha said, and pertinently suggested. After all, Hill's choice is not only yours, and the longer you drag, the greater your loss. That's true, but Fury always felt like he would be pinched by Hill. Now is not the time to weigh the benefits. Fury. Natasha saw his concerns. After the Battle of New York, Blue Star was exposed to the entire cosmic civilization system, and various extraordinary events occurred frequently, and the black hands hidden in the shadows were also ready to move. Some scaly claws are enough to be scary, and when it completely surfaces, it is estimated that it will be another crisis no less than the invasion of the Chitauri people. Fury was moved, but he remained silent and looked at Natasha. You seem to want him to join us. Who wouldn't want to have an extra super boost on the team? Natasha spoke bluntly, with a calm face. Banner is right. Link is a boy who is more shocking than the round bullet in Hiroshima. If he and Tony work together, what sparks will the two collide? If Link is taught by Tony, how much will he grow in the future? These are all too exciting. Maybe the next time there is an alien invasion, they will no longer be greeted by guns and bullets, but by a Star Destroyer. Fury, I think you should focus more on that kid's future than you do now. For example, what do you think of making him Tony's godson? Natasha's eyes sparkled with wisdom. Banner stopped talking. Is it possible that Link doesn't need Tony as a teacher at all? Fury and Natasha, after all, are not scientists, and they do not understand the gold content of the energy compressor. If the electrical energy in the crystallization can be smoothly exported, it will be a technology no less than Tony's arc reactor, and it will become one of the energy pillars of mankind in the future. Well, you convince me. Fury let out a long sigh, picked up the phone, and dialed out. Natasha smiled with satisfaction. Banner was thrilled to finally have a new colleague. Fury's phone was well connected. The other end did not speak. Fury spoke first. It's me, Hill. Say something if you have something. Hill spoke coldly. Not hanging up the phone at the first time shows that this woman has made a decision. But it is this tone again. Hey, it really got pinched. Fury's thoughts flashed, and he said unhurriedly, since you have made a decision, then hurry up and come to S.H.I.E.L.D. I didn't make any decisions. Hill's tone remained cold. Now the right to speak is on her side, but there is no need to be polite. Okay, Hill, I took the initiative to call you. You should know what it means, say your terms. Fury chose to confess, left his seat, and walked a little farther. Banner and Natasha didn't keep up. I need S.H.I.E.L.D. to help me set up a technology company, and the products that Link develops in the future can only belong to him. Fury was so frank, and Hill stopped selling. Impossible. Fury decisively refused. Want to borrow chickens and lay eggs? Really use him as a charity? Then don't talk. Hill is tough. It is impossible to work part-time. With Link as an ace, they can be their own bosses. It is clear that Link has the ability to be the richest man in the world. Why should he work for S.H.I.E.L.D.? Hill is also full of emotion in his heart. His cheap son may change the world and change the entire human society in the future. For her, it was a surprise and a shock. As a mother, she must fight for Link's best rights. Hill, I know you have more than one choice, but you can't deny that S.H.I.E.L.D. is the best fit for Link, and this is the safest place for him. I don't think you can make the wrong decision because of a little money. Fury elaborates, clarifying the stakes, but also to the heart of Hill's problem, Link's safety. However, this is a negotiation, and Hill will not be affected by the love of his children. So he is very calm, and he mocks each other. A little money? Fury's face did not change. This is just one of the security measures, written in the safety regulations. Really? Hill chuckled, his voice full of victory. Hill, someone has already set eyes on Link. Fury throws a bombshell. What? Hill's voice was raised a few points. That's an organization called High Tide. The video I sent to is released by High Tide Organization. If it weren't for our interception, the video would have been circulating on the internet. You should thank us. Fury moved back to city. The two sides fell silent, and the atmosphere became very quiet for a while. Okay, I agree, but you have to share the technology, and you have to complete at least part of the tasks we assign. In the end, Fury lost the battle, and the game failed. After all, it was he who coveted someone else's son. Now he hates it in his heart. Why not himself when he picked up Link in the first place? In the future, do you want to go to those disaster areas for a few laps? Maybe you can meet the next Link? I hope we're a partnership, and you're just making an investment that will pay off greatly. Fury said, okay, I see. What an old fox. Fury cursed secretly in his heart. It's over. Looking at Fury, who walked over with a gloomy face, Natasha smiled. Fury's expression was like this, looking at everyone with scrutiny. Fury nodded. Oh, roar. Banner cheered. Natasha smiled too. Fury picked up the energy compressor and walked out the door. Where are you going? Banner asked. See Tony Stark. Listening to Fury's words, Banner laughed and followed. Natasha followed, smiling. Whoever thinks is that Link and Tony will be the best partners. Until they actually meet Tony. What? You call me out for this? Tony was dressed in work clothes and had an expression that you were teasing me. What's the problem? Banner was puzzled. Damn, I don't have time to play any political games with you. Tony said unkindly. Ask him to greet a new colleague. And he's a 2-year-old brat. What a joke. Really, when Tony Stark can't eat official meals. Tony, this time it's not a related family, but a powerful person. Fury placed the energy compressor on the table. Powerful. Tony felt ridiculous and said coldly. Now, immediately, leave my lab. Tony, we know you're busy, but don't be busy yet. Banner spoke, trying to persuade Tony. Talent and pride are Tony's main color, but this does not prevent him from having a sensitive heart, especially when it comes to disasters and wars. Banner felt that Tony had never escaped the shadow of the Chitauri invasion. That big war had too much impact on Tony. He, seeing life die, could not do anything about himself. He, seeing people crying, is out of his own hands. He, seeing that human civilization is in danger, is powerless in the face of alien civilization. Too much burden weighed on Tony, making him go wrong. For 2 years, Tony has been shrouded in a sense of crisis, wanting to create an army of steel to protect the Blue Star, but no matter how he designs the armor, he is not satisfied. Fury's one-eyed light flashed with an old and spicy light, looked at Tony, and said in a deep voice, Tony, you must take it seriously this time. Fury, here I named it the new Avengers base. I built it. The Avengers are not your subordinates. Do you understand? Tony didn't care at all what Fury was talking about. Tony, Natasha called. Show me his engineer credentials, or his resume, or his thesis. Tony held out his palm. The difficult attitude can be seen by anyone. A small child, it is impossible to take these out. Tony is a super genius in his own right, and he knows all too well what genius looks like. What Fury said is complete nonsense. A 2-year-old who can program is already amazing. He can make circuit boards at age 4, build engines at age 6, and enter MIT at age 15. This is already the limit of humanity. There is absolutely no way that someone more genius than him will appear. Majel Fak. Fury took out the electric energy crystal, flicked it on Tony's breastplate, carried the energy compressor, and turned to leave. He saw Tony's instability. Link, can't put it on Tony's side. Natasha and Banner chased after them. Banner turned his head and said, Tony, you'll regret it. Come on, it's just some political tricks. Tony watched everyone leave, opened his hand, and looked helpless. Leaving Tony's office, Natasha caught up with Fury and said anxiously, Fury, I'll get Tony to accept Link. Did you make a mistake, Natasha? Fury sneered. Natasha's face changed slightly. I never said I wanted Link to join the Avengers. After Fury finished speaking, he directly dialed Coulson's phone, regardless of the presence of Banner and Natasha on the side. What's the matter, Chief? Coulson, haven't you always wanted to form a special operations team? This old agent leader always has a plan B in his heart. Natasha stopped and looked at the departing Fury with a frown. She felt that Tony had done something very wrong today. I'll take a look. After Fury and the others left, Tony hesitated, picked up the crystals of electrical energy that had fallen to the ground, and entered the laboratory. Jarvis. At your service, sir. Jarvis, what do you think this is? Tony placed the electrical energy crystallization on the bench. Parsing. With Jarvis's polite voice, the scanning rays fell on the electrical crystals. Later, Jarvis broke a series of data that shocked Tony a little. Are you saying that its energy closed loop has reached perfection, and it contains enough electricity to use 10,000 people for a year? Tony picked up the electrical crystallization without any outer packaging, and his eyes were incredible. In most people's perceptions, electricity has no weight. In fact, electricity has weight. 1 kilogram of electricity, if converted into a value, can be used by all mankind for half a day. And this piece of electrical energy crystallization seems to be moving in this direction. In theory, it is. Jax replied. Tony's heart jumped, and he quickly put down the power crystal. What if this thing explodes? He didn't know that Link's research. Safety is the first priority. Even if the electrical energy crystallization is accidentally damaged, the electrical energy contained in it will only decay rapidly, becoming a squib, and will not explode. Of course, if someone keeps holding this thing during the decay process, they will definitely be scorched by electricity. Originally, Tony wanted to do some chemical tests, but now he has completely abandoned this idea. I don't know where Fury got this thing. It seems that it is necessary to pay attention to it later. Don't blame him for being suspicious. He once trusted Fury, but Fury used the cosmic cube to make weapons and attracted alien civilizations. From beginning to end, Tony never believed Fury's ghost story. Still that sentence. There will be no more genius in this world than him. Link leaned back in the comfortable backseat of his Porsche, his little face full of excitement. It's finally time to meet those legendary superheroes, especially Thor and Banner. One is the Lord of the Immortal Palace, and the other is the invincible Hulk who can destroy the multiverse. Moreover, with S.H.I.E.L.D., as the financial master, he can intervene in all kinds of resources in the world. The resource he wants most now is the genes in the United Nations Gene Bank. The United Nations Gene Bank, known as the Bank of Life. It contains all NDA information of paleontology, vegetation, animals, microorganisms, and humans, and there are countless samples of all kinds. If he can get this resource, Link can perfect the foundation of becoming a superhuman and take a solid step towards the path of supreme evolution. Seeing Link so happy, Lorna was also happy, and the corners of her good-looking mouth were slightly upturned. Anything you forgot? Hill sat in the driver's seat and turned his head to ask. No, let's go. Link couldn't wait. Hill gave him a blank look and started the car. Several camouflage cars, I don't know where to get out, escorts on the left and right. These were all arranged by Fury. From the outsider's point of view, it is quite a kind of noble prince traveling. Link does deserve this treatment, too. Are you so happy? Lorna clings to Link, and the two share a seatbelt. Hey, Link cheerfully. S.H.I.E.L.D. was a spiritual sanctuary for him. After a wave of crazy cultivation, you can wait for the purple potato essence to deliver the infinity stones to your door. There are still 4 years before Thanos comes to the door. In the past 4 years, how far he can grow, he himself does not know. But when the time comes to fight a Thanos, there should be no problem, right? When he gets the 6 infinity stones, the villains big and small can really wash and sleep. Whether a person is strong or not safe, let the people around him also become strong. Link glanced at Hill and thought to himself, in theory, Hill also has the potential to become a mutant, but I don't know if she wants to or not. Mutants are essentially no different from humans, just more mutant abilities. In addition, the Sokovia incident will begin next year at the latest. Fooling a Wanda as a babysitter, no problem, right? Link, are you looking forward to meeting those superheroes? You might be disappointed. Hill said without turning his head. What do you mean? Link had a question mark on his face. S.H.I.E.L.D. is the official security department. The Avengers are the Avengers, and we only occasionally cooperate. This time, you'll move into a whole new division instead of joining the Avengers. Listening to Hill's calm narration, Link's brows first froze, and then stretched. Doesn't matter. Anyway, he is in no hurry to study the Hulk and Thor now. This time back to S.H.I.E.L.D. The greeting of Hill is still the group of old employees who sent Hill away. It's just that there is one more Nick Fury. That's right, Fury came in person. Nice to meet you, little genius. Fury was dressed in a black leather trench coat, squatting slightly, as if soaked in soy sauce, and barely pulled out a kind smile. It's very scary. Link took half a step backwards. Fury, are you serious about taking half a step back? Nice to meet you too. Link is still very polite. This is our former chief. Come back this time to take a look. Coulson introduced. Link nodded in understanding. Hill, we're meeting again. Coulson looked at Hill with a smile. Everyone thought that they would not see Hill for a long time, but they did not expect that after less than 5 days, they would get together again, and they were a little embarrassed in their hearts. Of course, not everyone thinks so, and one person is particularly happy. That was Hand. She looked into Link's gaze, full of pity, and wanted to pick up Link and spoil him. Link noticed her gaze and turned to her with a cute smile. And Hand. Suddenly, Hand felt that his heart was about to melt. I have been so cute and handsome since I was a child, and I will definitely cheat many girls when I grow up. She leaned down and, in Link's speechless eyes, pinched his face. We meet again, little Link. Let's go first. Hill was so imposing that it was like returning to his own home. Of course, Coulson immediately walked ahead to greet everyone. The group stepped into S.H.I.E.L.D. An old agent looked at Lorna. This is Lorna, and will be one of us in the future. Hill pulled Link with one hand and stroked Lorna's shoulder with the other, and said indifferently. Some agents know Lorna's identity, and some do not. Fury listened to Seal's words and the conversation of everyone, and was not distracted, and his eyes kept falling on Link. He found that Link walked smoothly and was physically strong, not like the average child. Moreover, his demeanor is very calm, and although his eyes are full of curiosity, he will not be surprised. As he walked down a metal aisle, Fury suddenly had a smile on his face. Little one, we've built a team for you, and I think you'll like it. After he finished speaking, he began to lead the way. Link's eyes lit up, and his pace quickened a little. Under Fury's guidance, everyone walked through an ecological garden to a research institute that integrates life and research. This is specially for you. Do you like it? Fury laughed. On the side, Coulson also smiled. This is the special operations team. You will be a member of it in the future. Link was naturally satisfied, and could not be more satisfied. Such a big battle undoubtedly shows that S.H.I.E.L.D. attaches great importance to him. It seems that the previous exposure behavior has been very productive. It is not easy to make Fury's black egg appear. Hill, you will be the captain of the special operations team from now on. Coulson said sincerely. This was discussed with Hill before. It is certainly not appropriate to let Link go to an ordinary scientific research department. Therefore, he created a special operation team specifically for Link. And the people who will enter it in the future will also be some strange people, specializing in scientific research and creation and the exploration of unknown fields. Now come with me to meet your new teammates. Coulson's face was enthusiastic. Hill let go of her hand. She and Fury and the others. There were other things to discuss. Link and Lorna followed Coulson to the deeper part of the institute. In the workshop, Simmons was bickering with Fitz. Suddenly, the two heard footsteps and looked over in unison. Coulson, Lorna, and Link walked in. They're always so passionate. Coulson told a cold joke. They heard the two arguing outside. Simmons saw Link and quickly ran over and hugged him. Link is washed by light energy all year round. His temperament is holy and clear, like the warm sun of early spring, and his appearance is impeccable, and the intersection of the two is too murderous. Lorna frowned, a little unhappy. Link is hers. Hi, Simmons. Link greeted calmly. How could you be here? Simmons crouched in front of Link with an affectionate expression, and then, as if she had thought of something, she was shocked. Could it be that the old acquaintance Chief Coulson said is you? You're a new member? Fitz pouted. How can it be? This little ghost looks very ordinary. At most it looks better. However, as soon as he thought so, Coulson nodded. That's right. He admired the shocked expressions of the two and continued. The energy compressor was invented by Link, and he will be your vice captain in the future. After that, he looked at Link and introduced Fitz and Simmons. Simmons, specializing in biochemistry. Fitz, specializing in construction machinery. Link, in the future, your experiments need to be taken care of by both of them to avoid mistakes. Fitz and Simmons are also genius scientists of S.H.I.E.L.D. Before Fitz could recover from the shock, he heard that he was going to give Link a hand, and suddenly looked skeptical and disgruntled, and said loudly, Coulson, I seriously doubt the correctness of your decision. Saying that, he pointed to the electric energy compressor on the side. This is a cross-arrow work, and it is absolutely impossible to come from the hands of this little ghost. Hey, Fitz, watch your demeanor. Simmons frowned. This look will scare little Link. I think it's. However, the Fitz Polytechnic man's sexual seizure did not mean to listen to advice. It's okay. Link waved his hand generously. I'll just make another one. It should be my meeting gift to S.H.I.E.L.D. Whether it's messing around, you'll know later. This is the most direct proof of his strength, simple and trouble-free. What do you need? Coulson's eyes lit up. Could he have witnessed the manufacturing of an energy compressor? Fitz wanted to say something, but was stopped by Coulson raising his hand. Link spoke up a series of materials that needed to be used, and Coulson immediately asked people to prepare. Simmons, I think Coulson has a brain problem. Fitz found an opportunity to pull Simmons aside and whispered. Simmons glared at him and said, maybe little Link. Fitz was speechless. Being able to say this, it seems that Simmons has been completely confused by Link's male color. You're not a science and engineering major. You don't understand. Fitz frowned. Simonson was angry. I talk to you about feelings, you talk to me about theory. This is the old problem of many love fools, and they will offend their loved ones because of it. We bet. Simmons gritted his teeth and looked at him seriously, like a fried cat. Bet on what? Fitz's eyes lit up. Unbeknownst to him, he had offended Simmons. 1 month's access to the meal card. Simmons wrote. Then it's settled. Fitz happily agreed. This is to lose. He hit and died on the spot. Simmons, you lost this time. Wait to obediently hand in the meal card. Fitz was triumphant. He has studied the electric energy compressor, and the light study of the packaging design of the surface layer has almost burned his brain cells. He never believed it would be Link's creation. You better expect me to win. Simmons' gaze was meaningful. Fitz suddenly snorted. This mother-in-law will not only not admit it, but also rake it backwards, right? He felt that if he won the bet, there would be no good ending. Just as the two whispered, the materials were ready. Link randomly found a lab bench and began to operate. Fitz immediately walked up, afraid that Link would make a mess, and just as he was about to give a few instructions, he found that Link was extremely skilled in operation. Of course, Link has long seen how these instruments are used. Seeing the real thing, as soon as he deduced it a little, the relevant knowledge came over. It has to be said that S.H.I.E.L.D. is S.H.I.E.L.D. and has strong capital. The equipment he applied for was top-notch. In less than an hour, S.H.I.E.L.D. got it all. Link was happy with that. Link, can I shoot? Looking at the busy Link, Coulson said carefully. Nope. Link flatly refused. But he had heard Hill say that his research was to be sold. Coulson smiled and watched from the sidelines. Not long after, he asked, how long will it take? Link estimated, half an hour. It took him about 3 days to tinker with an energy compressor at home, and now with these high-end equipment as a supplement, half an hour is enough. After all, it's not that much of a difficult technique for him. Can you see his movements clearly? Fitz bumped Simmons with his elbow, looking stunned. I saw that Link danced with both hands, like a phantom, and the whole process was sparked with lightning, mixed with chemical fluorescence. He remembers that his role was to supervise Link's work. How do you supervise this? Simmons was also surprised, but then she looked excited. Maybe little Linker can really do it. Is this what a genius looks like? Coulson felt that Link's current appearance was the same as before. Geniuses are so scientific. You really haven't seen a genius. Coulson's heart was like 10,000 grass and mud horses crumbling, sloppy. This time S.H.I.E.L.D. really picked up a treasure. The director's eyes are really vicious. As time passed, the energy compressor gradually took shape, and Fitz's expression was already respectful. You're done. Link clapped his hands and stood on the workbench with his hands crossed at his waist. Although he didn't sweat much, his little face was slightly red, and he was obviously a little tired. Simmons was distressed and hurried to bring water to feed Link. Lorna folded her arms and leaned against the wall, her eyes smiling. She was very satisfied with Link's outstanding performance. In the United States, it is the strong that attract attention, and the rest are scum. Link, is it done? Coulson approached, his eyes glancing at the energy compressor. Link nodded. Perfect creation. Fitz exclaimed, the power compressor shining. He was a little afraid to touch. It seems a little different from the original. Coulson looked at the new version of the energy compressor and said with some understanding. Director, this time the energy compressor is definitely better than the previous one. Before Link could speak, Fitz picked up the conversation excitedly. Look at this integrated package. I'm sure that most scientists don't even know how to disassemble it. Coulson touched his nose awkwardly. Of course he knew that. The original power compressor could not be restored after dismantling, and it was only after the director entrusted Banner that it was successfully restored. You have a good eye. Link glanced at Fitz unexpectedly. Thanks for the compliment. Fitz blushed. Now, he has become a fan of Link through and through. Simmons rolled his eyes at his typical Polytechnic behavior. Coulson, I heard that you are not small here. At this time, Fury and Hill walked into the research room. The two of them looked at the spring breeze, obviously very satisfied with the results of the negotiation. Coulson hurriedly reported the good news. Director, come and see. This is Link's newly manufactured electric energy compressor. How many times have you said that now you are the chief? Fury walked up and asked, did Link just make it? Yes. Coulson nodded heavily. Link's talent was confirmed again, causing Fury to grin widen and show his white teeth. Link, why are you making an energy compressor? Can you tell me? Fury stared at Link with one eye, full of admiration. He doesn't think of Link like a child anymore. From the observations along the way, Link already has a very mature mind. For fun, Link naturally couldn't say that it was to convert it into light energy and then use it for cultivation. Fun. The corner of Fury's mouth twitched. He wondered if his psychological profile was biased. Is Link really just a naive child? Fury was a little uncertain. His one-eyed light flashed dimly and said, Link, you should know the purpose of our invitation to come over. After our test, electrical energy crystallization cannot derive energy, so it is not useful to us. Do you understand what we mean? Link is the creator of the energy compressor, and he knows its function best. Whether there is a possibility of monetization also depends on what Link says. Otherwise, if it is just pure science and technology, the value of the energy compressor and Link itself will be greatly reduced. Hearing this, Link waved his hand and said unconcerned. Mother Hill told me about it. You want to crystallize electrical energy into stable energy, right? I can do it, but it will take a little time. The energy industry is indeed profiteering. If a little effort can bring countless benefits, then Link is happy to do it. In this world, money can solve most problems, and Link certainly doesn't dislike it. Speaking, with his current ability, it is quite easy to be the richest man in the world. How long will it take? Fury's eyes lit up. At this time, everyone's eyes were on Link. Link mused. If it is civilian, there are many aspects involved. After a moment, he said, 10 days. Instantly, there was a sound of gasping in the research room. No one doubted Link's words. Even Coulson, who wasn't interested in science. After watching Link's operation of making an electrical energy compressor, he already took Link seriously. In a word, receiving the answer, Fury's heart jumped wildly. He knows nothing more about the current world landscape. To sum it up in 4 words, energy is king. If the utilization rate of electric energy crystallization can reach 30%, it is enough to create an energy empire except Arabia. If the utilization rate of electric energy crystallization can reach 50%, a small country can grow to the position of world hegemon. If the utilization rate of electrical energy crystallization can reach 90%, don't dare to think. The whole world will change. Blue Star will usher in a new era. Tony's arc reactor was too expensive to be popularized on a large scale. But electrical energy crystallization is different. Only electricity is needed. This is a truly civilian technology that may replace oil in the future. Hill. Fury looked at Hill. Don't even think about it. Hill knew what the hell he wanted to fight. Fury's face darkened. This old colleague really doesn't give any affection. It seems that he can only wait for the public and private listings before he comes back to buy shares. That's right. Hill registered a company for Link Industries, which was very simple and rude. The original funding came from a number of enterprises in the secret of S.H.I.E.L.D. Borrowing the chicken and egg model, Fury is not too skilled in playing. In this company, Hill mother and son own 51%, Fury 7%, and S.H.I.E.L.D. 7%. The remaining shares will circulate in the market. Fury had already made plans to buy shares like crazy as soon as Link Industries went public. People, you have to save some pension money for yourself. I'm not talking about shares. Fu Rui Chong found a step for himself and said, I want to ask Link how is the conversion rate of electric energy crystallization, which determines the upper limit of a product. Products? Simmons and others don't know why. Link listened, touched his chin, and shook his head. My technology must not be all taken out at once. The first stage 5%, the second stage 10%, the third stage 30%, step by step. Is this really a ghost? I actually know so much about the business model. Fury's jaw was about to drop in shock, and as an agent, he was calm, and his body was completely beaten. Hill was relieved. My own child really grew up and became sensible. Well, Link seems to have always been quite sensible. Hill took Link and hardly bothered him. Kid, leave this to me. You just need to do what you like. Hill spoke softly. Link smiled secretly. He looked down on this old mother a little. Hill wasn't an idiot and certainly knew the dangers of handing over all the technology at once. After mentioning it a little, Link didn't say more. Simmons and Fitz were confused throughout. What are they talking about? How a moment the company, a while the product. Okay, I won't bother you. Fury said, looking like he was about to leave. And then, as if he had thought of something, he said to Link, by the way, I originally wanted you to cooperate with Iron Man, but he doesn't seem to think much of you. Sorry, obviously you like superheroes. Fury was putting on medicine on Tony. Fury at this time is like green tea. I see. Link heard the provocative meaning in his words and smiled indifferently. Iron Man, it's normal to have a bit of arrogance. Fury is gone. Coulson nagged 2 words and left 2. Simmons quickly stopped him and wondered. Coulson, what were you talking about earlier? The company. Who is going to open the company? For Link Industries, Coulson has long known. At this moment, he patted Fitz on the shoulder and kindly reminded. Remember, you must buy the shares of Link Industries. 10 days later, Link handed in all the answers, relaxed. And the content of the answer sheet is perfect. He built a perfect commercial system around the crystallization of electric energy. First of all, the electric energy guidance technology was completed, and the utilization rate of electric energy crystallization initially reached 70%. Link handed over the technology to Hill for safekeeping. Secondly, the electric energy compressor was modified by him, and now it can crystallize electric energy into 4 levels: micro, small, medium, and large. In the scenario, micro supplies household appliances, small supplies electric vehicles, and medium and large supply specific industries. Among them, the most worthy of talking about is electric vehicles. This is the concept proposed by Link, a reference to a previous life Tesla. However, due to funding problems, such projects cannot be carried out at present. Considering the market, microelectric energy crystallization is not worth promoting for the time being. Because some home appliances, others can use sockets. Why do you have to use your premium new energy? Therefore, the best operating model at present is to first take medium and large power crystallization as a selling point to attract social attention and attract investment. I believe that those giant crocodiles will not miss this opportunity, and there will be no need to consider funds at that time. With sufficient funds, it is possible to beat the new home appliances of the system as a fifth product in the name of new era home appliances. As long as the culture is formed and causes a trend, no one will care about the little premium. The most classic examples are sneakers and luxury goods. It can be said that the business blueprint belonging to Link has slowly unfolded, and the future is definitely enough to shake the whole world. These days, Hill is always busy starting a company. Link Industries subsidiaries are as many as 11. With his connections, Hill has already attracted a lot of investment. S.H.I.E.L.D. has also contributed, and patents have been green. Wait for the product to hit the market now. In fact, in addition to investment, factory construction, basic personnel selection, and brand marketing are all very troublesome things. But these, with Hill there, Link doesn't need to care. However, afraid that Hill would be overworked, he still discussed some things with Hill and finalized a lot of administrative plans. Hill was unimpressed at first, but later found that what Link said made sense, and some of the ideas were to the point and very practical. On this day, Hill took the last industrial technology, and Link completed his first task after joining S.H.I.E.L.D. He quickly called Coulson. Link. Coulson had an amiable smile on his face, and his expression was mixed with a little wind and frost. These days, he doesn't stop campaigning for Link Industries. Some of S.H.I.E.L.D. As other plans have been delayed as a result. Uncle Coulson. Link said hello. Director. Simmons brought tea. Coulson was concerned about Link's situation as usual, such as whether he was comfortable living comfortably and whether there were any problems. Link didn't want to exchange pleasantries, chatted for a while, and said directly, Uncle Coulson, I've been interested in biology lately. Coulson nodded in approval. From energy to biology, the span is a bit big. But Link is a genius, and it's natural to be curious about other fields. I have a small request. Link's thumb and forefinger compared to a fingertip universe. Haha, if you have any requirements, don't be polite with me. Coulson took a sip of tea and looked pleasant. I thought Link had called him somewhat. I guess I just want some equipment, or help him hire a biology teacher. I want to see all the information in the UN gene bank. Link blinked. Poof dash. The tea that Coulson had just drunk into his mouth squirted out directly. He said in disbelief, what did you say? What's wrong with that? Link raised an eyebrow. Of course there is a problem. The problem is big. Coulson exclaimed exaggeratedly. The purpose of the United Nations Gene Bank is to answer all medical and biological questions, with the participation of European and Asian countries, and it is also the base of the Human Genome Project. The purpose of the Human Genome Project is to detect the sequence of 3 billion base pairs in the DNA of the human genome and decipher all the genetic information of human beings, known as one of the world's 3 major projects. From this, we can see how important the United Nations Gene Bank is. How can Link, an outsider, suddenly say that he wants to browse the information inside? How can this not be shocking? Link, do you know what place that is? Coulson looked excited. I know. Link nodded. Suddenly, Coulson was surprised. Are you serious? Otherwise I wouldn't have called you here. Link's small face was calm. This thing. Coulson rubbed his hands together, a little undecided. Link always looked calm. With electric energy crystals as a stepping stone, he didn't believe that S.H.I.E.L.D. couldn't meet his requirements. Are you sure you're browsing through all the information? Coulson confirmed. Link returned an affirmative look. Coulson covered his forehead with one hand and felt his hairline rise. This matter, even for S.H.I.E.L.D., is difficult to do. Because the United Nations Gene Bank is not a word of the United States, but the property of all mankind. The nature has nothing to do with politics, but the atmosphere of scientific research is very strong, and there is quite a sense of not being governed. I can help you operate this matter, but it is estimated that it will take a long time, and it also requires Hill to communicate. You know, she's very imposing now, and it's a lot easier to have her help. Coulson finally made up his mind. Hill is now at the center of the storm, and many big people want to tie up their interests with Link Industries. With Hill and his joint efforts, I believe that it is not difficult to access information once in the United Nations Gene Bank. Thank you, Uncle Coulson. Link cheered. He was naturally happy when he got what he wanted. He is getting closer and closer to becoming Superman. Putting aside the genetic information of all mankind, the accumulated knowledge in the United Nations gene pool alone is enough for him to greatly enrich a wave of heritage. The benefits of this are self-evident. Coulson left. Link and Simmons greeted and went to the training room together. Inside the training room, Lorna manipulates dozens of steel balls to form various shapes in the air. She is training the precision of magnetic field control. Fitz was on the side, doing some data analysis. Link said that magnetic field control is an ability that belongs to scientists. Under the guidance of the system, Lorna has improved rapidly and has the strength of adulthood. After all, magnetism is the cornerstone force that makes up the universe. Following Lorna's original path, it was a complete waste of potential. Seeing Link arrive, Lorna Lorna stopped maneuvering at once, and the steel ball snapped to the ground. Fitz slapped his forehead helplessly. Half a day of image data was wasted. Does Link have such a big charm? Why do these women like Link so much? Lorna is like this, Simmons is like this, including Hinder, who often visits the door, and they all treat Link like a baby. Link is now completely a group pet treatment. The male agents in S.H.I.E.L.D. have more or less jealousy in their hearts. They also want to be ravaged by the ladies in their arms. Link, I've gotten a lot stronger again. Lorna looked excited and reported her results to Link. Link nodded in satisfaction. Lorna's face was very delicate, and Link raised his hand and pinched her face. He was tall and could touch Lorna's face when he raised his hand. Lorna's cold face was slightly red, and she did not refuse. Sometimes, she really feels like she's the younger one. Link, what are you doing here? Lorna was curious. Link rarely comes to the training room. Train with you. Link smiled on his face. I'm done with things over there. Really? Lorna's eyes lit up. Seeing this, Fitz's eyes were full of envy. This young lady is cold to everyone, except Link. There's no way to go to the UN gene bank for the time being, but Link doesn't plan to waste that time. He hadn't created a cultivation method for a long time, and he had some tricks. The difficulty of creating a cultivation method is much greater than that of physical scientific research. After all, this is the evolutionary law involving life. A month later, you have been practicing magnetic field manipulation for a long time, and in this environment, your control of the magnetic field has greatly improved, and you have an epiphany and created the original magnetic cultivation method. Original magnetic cultivation method used itself as a base station to command all the magnetic fields of the body, and eventually the magnetic field of each cell and each particle of dust will be controlled, and in this process, the ability to control the variant of the magnetic field will be continuously enhanced. You combined a large number of spiritual books and understanding of the brain domain, mastered hypnosis, psychological suggestion, and created Palace of God. Palace of God. The brain domain ability is enhanced, the memory ability is fully liberated, and all the knowledge seen can be stored in the memory palace. You get the brain domain evolution, and the spiritual power is born in the most peaceful way, and you naturally master emotional manipulation, memory installation, and spiritual attack. These 3 prompts were all received by Link one after another. Needless to say, the original magnetic cultivation method is a proper variant ability cultivation method. The Palace of the Gods was specially created by him for his later gene pool journey. To his surprise, not long after the creation of the Palace of God, the brain domain evolved and gained spiritual power. This delighted Link. The strength of the psychic side is enhanced, and although it is not as perverted as Professor X's telepathy, it is also enough to resist the psychic attacks of others. In itself, his spiritual power is not weak. Just like Steve, although he does not have the strength of the spiritual side, he has a complete spirit and high mental resistance. Emotional manipulation, memory, indoctrination. The power of the spirit side, really magical. You can go to the test first. Link pondered for a moment, laughed wickedly, and found Fitz. He said that he would teach the exercises to Lorna. Now, there's no need to specifically create a Daigo empowerment exercise. Link, what's going on? Fitz was eating potato chips and was surprised by Link's arrival. There's new experiments to do, Fitz. Link laughed. Really? When? Fitz's eyes lit up. Link's power compression technology hasn't been fully understood, but people are always greedy and inadequate. Now, Link unleashes emotional manipulation. Fitz should have been happy to hear the answer, but he inexplicably wanted to cry. I don't know why. Very depressed. Then, he literally cried. What's going on? Fitz touched a handful of tears and looked stunned. Why did I cry myself? Is it suffering from depression? But these days, he lives very leisurely. The ability to manipulate emotions is still quite powerful, and a little evil. Link watched from the sidelines and thought of a lot of the use of emotional manipulation. In the future, the manufacture of the new energy compressor will be handed over to you. When the observation was almost done, he raised his finger and pointed at Fitz's forehead. In an instant, many memories and pictures appeared in Fitz's mind. It was as if he had built an energy compressor with his own hands, and he understood a lot of truth. Fitz stays in the special operations team. Even if he is half an apprentice, it doesn't matter if he gives him a little sweetness, and the future industry expands, and the manufacture of electric energy compressors does not require Link to personally serve. By the time Fitz finished digesting the memory and came back to his senses, Link was gone. He wondered if he had had a dream. After a while, he hurriedly found relevant equipment and began to manufacture electric energy compressors. Lorna. She was playing with a notebook. Link suddenly appeared behind her, which startled her. You scared me, Link. Lorna said with disgust. I'm sorry, what are you looking at so engrossed? Link swept his gaze and saw that Lorna was looking up some information about mutants. Professor X appeared not long ago, and I wanted to see if I could find him. Lorna noticed Link's gaze, and a hint of sadness appeared on her cold and pretty face. Is that so? Link whispered. Lorna wanted to change the mutant's environment, which he had always known. But now is not the time. Leave this alone. Do you remember what I was going to teach you about cultivation before? Link didn't want little Nico to get too caught up in these things, and opened his mouth to divert her attention. You mean your ability to float? Hearing this, Lorna's expression became vivid and radiant. That's right. Link nodded. Then let's go to the training room. Lorna said joyfully. No need. Link smiled mysteriously. Lorna blinked in surprise, not knowing what Link meant. You close your eyes and accept the knowledge I pass on to you. Link helped Lorna brush the green hair on her forehead and spoke. Lorna was used to this kind of intimacy, and at this moment she nodded, closed her eyes, and trusted Link completely. Link pointed a finger at Lorna's head. Suddenly, a lot of memories and knowledge flooded into Lorna's brain. A moment later, Lorna opened her eyes, her body shone with beautiful northern lights, and the whole person floated. Link, I can fly. Did you transmit the memory to me? Lorna was overjoyed. She felt as if she was possessed by Link at the moment, and the sensations were similar to those in her memory. That was Link's memory. Perhaps, it is not appropriate to describe it as memory, which is more like a reproduction of experience. Satisfied? Link nodded and smiled. Of course, Lorna was satisfied and could not be more satisfied. She floated twice. Her body suddenly turned upside down, and her beautiful green hair fell in front of Link, and she came to a light kiss. Spider-Man is going to charge royalties. Link shouted in his heart. I don't know how long has passed. The girl stopped this excessive behavior. Lorna felt that she was too excited to fly when she first gained the ability to fly. However, while she was shy, she was not afraid, but half sat on the table, her calves dangling gently, and looked directly at Link boldly. That's very Lorna. Link secretly sighed at Lorna's boldness, and said, it's not over yet. What do you mean? Lorna raised an eyebrow, and then saw Link nodded again. The content about the origin magnetic cultivation method also flooded into her mind. This time, Lorna was even more shocked than before. This seems to be a cultivation method of mutant ability, not an application technique. As a Westerner, this was the first time she knew about cultivation methods, and she was a little unable to understand the meaning of cultivation. Link, can my mutant abilities be enhanced through cultivation? Lorna was pleasantly surprised. Link thought it was ordinary. Cultivate, become stronger. This is a natural thing for him. Did you create this for me? Lorna thought cranky, her little face getting hotter and hotter. Sort of. Link felt that without Lorna, he really couldn't create the primordial magnetic cultivation method, which was less than half of the credit. Lorna cheered and flew down directly, looking happy. Link quickly caught her. The girl has a body fragrance on her body, but unfortunately, both parties are too young. Lorna curled up in Link's arms like a cute Egyptian cat. This sense of deja vu made Linker a little funny, and he stroked Lorna's short hair and rubbed it into a mess. Nasty. Lorna hummed. Let's go to dinner together. Link spoke. Now it's lunchtime. Let's go. Speaking of this, Lorna jumped off Link at once. She couldn't say no to food. Much of the food in the Shield cafeteria was something she couldn't taste before. She made up her mind to eat all the food she hadn't eaten. This is probably a kind of revenge mentality. Many poor children will do this when they have capital. I've been looking for you for a long time. Let's go to dinner. At this time, Simmons happened to come over. The three of them went to the cafeteria together. Simmons grumbled. That guy Fitz is crazy, and he won't listen when I call him. The technology that Fitz thinks about day and night is in his mind at this moment, for fear of forgetting. Naturally, he refuses to be distracted in the slightest. Maybe he has something urgent right now. Link mouthed. The three of them chatted all the way to the cafeteria. Little Link, here's here. Isn't Hill here today? Come to Aunt Jenny. The little one wants to eat something today. Link's appearance caused a wave of onlookers. Cute and handsome appearance, simply invincible. Link is already immune to these words. Robert, who is that kid? A man asked his friends at the same table. His name is Ward. He went out on field service some time ago and has not returned to S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters for a long time. In addition to being a level 7 agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., he is also a spy of Hydra. Yes, there are still Hydras lurking in S.H.I.E.L.D. If it is about the size of Blue Star's villain organization, Hydra recognizes the first, and no one dares to recognize the second. The early giants of S.H.I.E.L.D., known as the Zodiac, later split. Fury is one of them Gemini. John Garrett is one of the Aquarius, because his identity is a Hydra high-ranking officer, and it is now regulated. But what others don't know is that Ward is his adopted son. Secretly, Ward is a representative of the Hydra Youngjuang faction, and he became a level 7 agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. at a young age, and his ability should not be underestimated. Hill's adopted son, named Link. You know that we are advancing the new energy plan. Link seems to be a key person in it. Robert whispered. Key person? The word caught Ward's attention. What does this have to do with him? Ward feigned curiosity. I don't know much about it. There are rumors that he is a manufacturer of new energy, but I don't think it's reliable. Robert shook his head. The relationship between Link and the energy compressor cannot be hidden. That weak current phenomenon in New York is still hanging in some third-rate tabloid newspapers and has become one of the urban legends. So, Ward's eyes darkened for a moment, and he decided to investigate Link properly. His intuition as an agent told him that Link was not simple, and there was something strange in it. Link frowned. His eyes swept around, and he inexplicably felt a little uncomfortable. A few days later, somewhere in a drowsy basement, a corner table lamp is revealed, and the light shines on the table. Under the chime, a photo can be seen. The owner of the photo is a handsome man with a faint look in his eyes and looking ahead. Exactly Ward. It's just that at this moment, a dagger is inserted in the photo. Fury supported the table with his elbows, and the whole person fell into the shadows. His eyes were deep. The fish are going to take the bait. A certain Brine Egg Bureau chief has always been a brilliant angler. On this day, Link was in his study, looking up biological materials, when he heard about Coulson's visit. He immediately went to the hall. Link told Hill about teaching Fitz to make an electrical energy compressor, and Hill transferred Fitz as the captain. It just so happened that the few energy compressors that Link made were not enough. Fitz was just right to do hard labor. Now the entire institute, just Link, Lorna, Simmons. Link, seeing Link coming, Coulson immediately greeted him. Uncle Coulson. Link nodded and looked at the strange woman beside Coulson rather surprised. The woman has long flaxen hair, blending the beauty of Eastern and Western mixed races, three-dimensional and sexy facial features, and amber eyes with a wildness, pride, and unruliness. This is Sky, a new member of the Einsatzgruppen team. Coulson introduced, adding, with Hill's permission. Hello. Sky greeted Link and Simmons. She doesn't seem to eat Link's face, and that's exactly what happened. She is not interested in cuteness and prefers men with a sense of strength, as can be seen in her wild eyes. At this time, Lorna also came over. Hi Lorna, this is your new teammate in the future. Coulson introduced Lorna again. Then, he continued, Sky's computer technology is very good. If you have any information to inquire about in the future, you can give it to her. Welcome. Simmons applauded, looking happy. Fitz is gone. Sky is here, just enough to fill the gap. At least you don't have to find an outsider to fix it every time there is a problem with your computer. Welcome. Link's eyes lit up. Sky is an Inhuman. Although the heals of the Inhumans are not as good as those of mutants, Sky's concussive ability is still worth studying. Saying, the Inhuman leader Black Bolt also possesses shock-like abilities and claims to be able to destroy Earth with sound waves. Then met Wanda, a reality modification, directly changed his mouth, and finally the sound wave could not be released. His head exploded, and he died very funny. Sky tilted her chin slightly and smiled at Link and Lorna. I've known you guys for a long time, and I've paid attention to you when you used superpowers on the balcony. It was also because of that incident that she was checked by S.H.I.E.L.D. Water meter. After observing for a month, Coulson thoroughly figured out her details, determined that she was extremely valuable, and took her in. Sky's hacking ability is terrifying. Coulson found out that she had used a laptop to hack into the Pentagon's network system. Oh, Link didn't expect this stubble. Sky nodded, about to say something about the High Tide organization, and then woke up his current identity and silently shut up. Coulson came over this time, not just for Sky's business. Link Industries went public today for a listing celebration, and Link and others were going to watch the ceremony. Of course, Link doesn't show his face. It's just that it's a pity not to witness such an important moment. Link Industries, as a company, is ready to go public in less than half a year, which is inconceivable to outsiders. But when one considers the investors behind it, it's not surprising. The publicity about Link Industries, which was overwhelming in 1 month, attracted widespread attention throughout the world. The financial giants who got inside information on Wall Street have been waiting for this day to come. Link Industries estimates a market value of $30 billion, but the real price is much more than that. 5 S.H.I.E.L.D. Safety vehicles headed for downtown New York. In the center car sat Coulson and Link. Simmons hummed softly, holding his phone in his hand and keeping an eye on the stock market. She took out a lot of loans online, just waiting for Link Industries to go public and buy shares and wait for them to appreciate. Link looked calm. Becoming the richest man in the world was just a small goal. Sky looked out the window. She wasn't interested in money. Lorna clings to Link. She has Link enough, and she has no capital to invest. Coulson's driving skills are at full level, and there are almost no bumps along the way, which is very comfortable. Finally, the group arrived at the Link Industrial Building. At this time, the building was surrounded by reporters. Escorted by S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, Link and the others entered the building. Auditorium. A grand ceremony is being held, and mainstream media such as CNN and BBC are being broadcast live simultaneously. Link and the others appeared in the private room on the second floor, swept their eyes, and found a military representative in the front row of the ceremony. Good guy, what a blatant. He loves it. Hill was standing in front of the stage at this time, and his eyes glanced towards Link, his eyes showing apologies. She was so busy. Link smiled back. Guests have arrived one after another. Link even saw representatives of Stark Industries. The representative had a hint of embarrassment on his face, and was obviously questioned by the media before coming in. After all, Stark Industries, as a new energy giant today, Link Industries' huge listing will definitely have a certain impact on it. About an hour later, Link Industries announced its official launch. The flowers fell from the sky, and the scene resounded with warm applause. Simmons' cheeks flushed. He bought stocks, and put all his assets on Link. Money drives people crazy. Keith shook his head. She has seen many people commit crimes for money, even if the other party is transcendent. When money speaks, all truth is silent. Link remembered this famous quote. Money is not everything, but no money is impossible. As strong as collectors, Hai Tianzuan, or the 3 major empires of the universe, they will also bend their waist for money. Money can be channeled. There is nothing wrong with this sentence said by the ancient Chinese people. At this moment, an agent walked up to Link and said, Link, Hill wants to see you. Link glanced at Coulson, and Coulson didn't know where to run, and looked at the agent again. You are strange. Who are you? Ward lit up his shield. Credentials. My name is Ward. Link's eyes flashed, and the corners of his mouth hooked up with interest. Come with me. There was a hint of coldness in Ward's eyes, and led the way ahead. Link did not refuse, walking alongside Lorna. Sky hesitated and followed the three. She felt Ward was a little suspicious. Simmons was immersed in the stock market, and when she came back to her senses, she was alone in the room. Hey, can you tell us where Coulson went? Sky saw that the road was getting further and further off, and the bad feeling in his heart became more and more aggravated. He has urgent matters to deal with. Ward looked sideways at Sky, his eyes cold. Sky felt cold, took 2 steps back, secretly looked at Link, and whispered, This is already far from the venue. It's really far from the venue. Link nodded and stopped. Going so far, waiting for the bloody scene should not be seen by outsiders, affecting the reputation of Link Industries. I advise you to follow me honestly. Ward turned around and looked condescendingly at Link and his group. 8 men armed with firearms burst out of the compartment in the corridor, forming an encirclement in an instant. Link, we are very interested in your brain. I hope you will cooperate well. Ward straightened the neckline of his suit and smiled victoriously. 3 trained Hydra members stepped forward and prepared for capture. Sky protects in front of Link and Lorna like an old hen. Sky can become the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the future, and his sense of justice is still very strong. Link looked past Sky's arm and landed on a man next to Ward, who was dressed as a Winter Soldier. Interesting. The corners of Link's mouth turned up slightly. Obviously, Hydra also moved the real thing in order to find him. I just don't know who the snakehead is behind it. If only you could find Baron Strack and get the psychic scepter in advance. Thinking of this, Link gently raised his palm. The guns in the hands of the Hydra personnel exploded as if they had rebelled, and the metal fragments that exploded slammed into their heads like spirits. Suddenly, red and white tofu flowers splashed, and the scene was extremely cruel. The 3 Hydra members who were about to make an arrest were stunned. To keep Link safe, they didn't have guns. But that doesn't mean they're okay. Link snapped his fingers. Gravity twisted, and the heads of the 3 people directly turned in a circle. The whole process, less than 5 seconds. Ward was shocked on the spot and shouted in anger. Damn mutant miscellaneous. Today, mutants, although in decline, are still the largest group of superpowers. His words angered Lorna. Obviously, everyone is the same person, but some people have to be divided into 3, 6, and 9. The green aurora floated, and several steel balls shot out from Lorna's body, slamming into Ward violently. The Winter Soldier is a killing machine specially produced for war, and at this moment, he judges the situation and wants to shoot. In the next second, the gun twisted into a twist. But without the steel gun, he liberated the Winter Soldier, and he rushed directly towards Lorna. In the face of this bloody scene, Lorna can make a move even if her psychological quality is good. But after all, she has not experienced the combat training of the 8 classics, and she is a little at a loss for a while. At the critical moment, Link struck. He used the simplest and most effective means. Gravity misalignment. The Winter Soldier flew directly to the ceiling and landed heavily on the ground. Link stepped on top of his head and squeezed his palm lightly. A terrifying scene happened. The Winter Soldier's steel-sturdy arms clicked, as if a collapse had occurred. Gee, the Winter Soldier is no more than that. Link was disdainful. He hasn't built a complete unified field yet. Can't stand a gravitational pull alone. After completely abolishing the Winter Soldier, Link raised his hand, and Ward flew over. Sky was leaned against the wall, stunned. It's just that no one cares about her mood at the moment. Say, who sent you? Link grabbed Ward by the neck collar and said without salt. Bah, you demon. You'll go to hell. Ward spat fiercely, and at this moment, it was obvious that he was a victim. Wrong answer. Link shook his head lightly. Suddenly, Ward's expression became terrified, and he screamed like crazy. Just when he was at his most unstable, Link used psychic attacks. The powerful mental power directly turned Ward into a dementia. Say, what is your purpose? Link spoke. Capture, Link, hostage, rescue, adoptive father. Ward's eyes were confused, and saliva flowed from the corners of his mouth. Do you know where the psychic scepter is? Link nodded in satisfaction and asked about what interested him. I don't know. Ward has become a complete fool who only knows how to answer questions, just like the Sow in the 18 Forbidden game. Link threw him away in disgust, because he had already heard someone coming. Soon, footsteps came from both ends of the corridor. Agents May and Coulson led a group of agents to the scene. Alert! Coulson shouted. Link and Lorna were speechless. Top floor of Link building, deluxe room. Hill washed Link with incense and changed him into new clothes. She watched the battle video in the corridor, and her heart was full of mixed feelings. Almost immediately, Link was about to be taken captive. This made her doubt the correctness of getting caught up in strife. But the matter has come to this, and it is impossible to go back. As for cruelty or something, doesn't she care very much? Everyone else has knocked on the door. Do you still have to be good-hearted? To be the virgin at this moment is a complete act of foolishness. On the contrary, Link's calm performance satisfied her. This means that Link will be able to protect himself well in the future. Instead, Fury called to draw her attention to Link's mental health issues. Damn bald heads. In her heart, her own child is the cutest and most obedient. So she is not a demon king who kills without blinking. Touching Link's fleshy little face, Hill smiled. Were you scared today? Nope. Link straightened his chest. After killing people today, I really didn't feel anything. He is not the DC Superman, and he is afraid of getting hurt. Awesome. Hill sended Link one. On the side, Lorna, who was sitting on the sofa, was a little jealous, and her foxy eyes widened a little. Link was keenly aware and said with a smile, Lorna, you weren't scared, were you? Hill gritted his teeth. This little ghost will pick up a girl at a young age. Lorna's expression soothed, and she shook her head. I feel average. She is worthy of being Lao Wan's daughter, and she is very bold. Link secretly gave a thumbs up, just when the 3 of them were having fun. On the shield, there is a terrible picket operation. In fact, there is no need to picket. Ward is now in a state of questioning, even more rebellious than a mutiny. All the remaining parties in S.H.I.E.L.D. were all served in one pot. The internal Hydra of S.H.I.E.L.D. suffered, and the outside was naturally no better, and many of the Hydra forces hidden in the shadows were offered out by Ward. These will become the key targets of S.H.I.E.L.D. After it, Hydra, proper terrorist organization, S.H.I.E.L.D., specializes in them. Coulson made a great achievement so easily, and his face blossomed. Originally, he only became the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. because of his qualifications and Fury's recommendation, but now he has real achievements. No one dared to question his status as chief again. It has long been known that this organization is a rotten thing. In the laboratory, listening to Jarvis's report, Tony looked disdainful. S.H.I.E.L.D. Information channels, he has here. The Avengers information channels, S.H.I.E.L.D. also has. Except for some extremely secret things, the 2 sides can be said to be transparent to each other. Jarvis, where's the material analysis? Tony spoke. On the experimental table on one side, there is an electric energy compressor. This was obtained by Stark Industries in the name of a collaborator. The purpose is also simple. Steel Master. In the crystallization of electricity, Tony saw the possibility of creating a new steel army. Electrical energy, in itself, is an energy source suitable for attack. It is expected that 12% has been resolved. Jarvis said politely. It's been 3 days since I got the energy compressor. Tony frowned slightly and stretched. As a researcher, he understands that research is a long process. However, Tony didn't know that Link had a combination lock on the power compression technology to prevent the power compressor from being mass-produced or replicated. When Tony breaks through the material level, he will fall into an even bigger pit. Link has some brains, but he's a little bit more whimsical. Tony muttered to himself, muttering, but boss, you don't dare to go out these days. Are you afraid of Dr. Banner and Natasha's taunts? Jarvis said coldly. Jarvis, shut up. S.H.I.E.L.D. can't go back for the time being. Link spent 5 days in the presidential suite. For the past 5 days, he has been reading books on physics to prepare for the completion of the unified field. This is the convenience of modern society. Any ethical knowledge can be recorded in books. If you are savvy enough, you can really learn to rub a nuclear bomb by hand. Just as Link was tirelessly absorbing knowledge, a phone call came. Link checked the incoming message. It was from Coulson. Connecting the phone, Coulson's happy voice came over. Hey, Link, the gene bank has applied for permission to check down. Link was stunned by this sudden surprise, and the beauty bubbled. Is it true? Uncle Coulson never lied. Link jumped 3 meters tall and cheered happily. He hurriedly threw the book aside and said, send someone to pick me up now. Okay, I'll do it as soon as possible. At this time, Sky and Lorna passively attracted them. What's wrong, Link? Lorna was curious. What could make Link happy like this? Lorna, I'm going to the UN Gene Bank. Link was beaming. Lorna was abrupt. Link had told her about it. She said cheerfully, congratulations, Link. When Link is happy, she is happy. For the joy of the two little guys, Sky was a little puzzled. United Nations Gene Bank. She had heard of this place, but was there anything good about going there? Of course, she didn't know that Link didn't come back after a walk this time, but came over with the highest authority and could check all the information. Just as Sky was about to ask something, bang, the door was suddenly opened, and Hill walked in with great force. She stared at Link at a glance. Don't go. Hill really hated Coulson's big mouth now, and he wanted to punch him in the face. Do you know what the situation is now? Link had just been attacked by Hydra, and he dared to let Link go out? What about your cultivation as an agent? Your caution and patience as an agent? Are they all fed to the dogs? Just then, Link's cell phone rang. Hill moved with long legs, stepped forward, and took the phone. Link, it's not good. Hill knows that you are going to the United Nations Gene Bank. It seems to be angry. You be careful. On the other end of the phone, Coulson's voice trembled. The good old man Coulson was scolded by Hill just now, and now he can still report the news, which is already very righteous. However, he didn't know that it was Hill who was answering the phone now. Branch, you, Forrest. Seal's teeth crunched. Inside the office, Coulson dropped the phone in fright, gasped, and felt like he had seen God. He finally knew why Fury bit his shaved head. Who can withstand the pressure of his chief? Link could see at a glance that Hill's angry expression was scaring himself. And even if it is true, he is not afraid. In order to go to the UN Gene Bank, I am afraid that I will not have to be a rebel today. Link, you can't go out. Hill is full of majesty. Umph. Link, don't overdo it. His body floats. I can fly. That meant that Hill couldn't hold him down. Hill. The originally taut face was almost broken by Link, and he laughed. This kid is really getting more and more bare. Sky watched from the side, thinking that the mother and son were going to quarrel, but Hill waved his hand and said, okay, okay. Sky was envious. It would be good to have such a good family environment, a family that can understand each other. I'm too busy here to accompany you, but I'll help you get a bodyguard. Hill rubbed his forehead. Don't worry, I'll be fine, and you know how strong I am. Link flew closer, touched Hill's head, and said confidently, on the bright side of the entire Earth, there are only a handful of people who can hurt him, and almost all of them are the kind who do not care about the world. I'm afraid you'll hurt others. Hill said worriedly. Link was speechless. Don't abuse your power. Hill straightened Link's clothes. Do you think I'm the kind of person who gets lost in power? Many people in Marvel suddenly gained god-level power, and then their brains began to pump and were played to death by themselves. Link is not that kind of person. He belongs to the kind that has a strong heart, skill, and strength in all directions. This is what a Superman should be. I hope so. Hill also believed that Link was not that kind of person, and nodded. How long are you going to go this time? Link mused. At least a month. The amount of information in the UN Gene Bank is no joke. Good. Hill, a little worried, stepped aside and dialed the phone. Link's bodyguard must be elite. It can't be those rice buckets from S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore. Who knows if S.H.I.E.L.D. will pop up again? Hydra. It's simply tiring. The next day, stop at the airport. Hill drove with the special operations team of 4 to a parking position. Suddenly, the light and shadow in front of me changed. The Kuan fighter withdrew from its stealth stance and was revealed. Simmons covered his mouth. Although a member of S.H.I.E.L.D., she has never flown in a Kuan-style fighter. The gangway descended, and Hill led the 4 into the plane. Hill, long time no see. A blonde-haired beauty in a white flight attendant outfit walked out of the cab. Natasha, Link pleases you. Hill looked serious. Although she occasionally has political disagreements with Fury, she is absolutely relieved to hand Link over to this woman. That's right. This time, it was Natasha Romanoff who served as a bodyguard for Link. It has to be said that Hill's connections are the top. Natasha is a member of the Avengers and a level 9 agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and her ability is absolutely incredible, and she is proficient in a series of skills such as detection, infiltration, language, interrogation, and computers. Moreover, Natasha is a beauty. The Black Widow on the movie line is not an old monster, and she is just over 30 years old. Hill was able to move the general, and Link was also surprised. I also want to thank you for giving me a long vacation. Natasha laughed. Protecting Link, compared to her previous high-intensity work, is indeed a vacation, similar to when she sneaked into Tony's side. You're Link. First meeting, I'm Natasha. Immediately, Natasha looked at Link with soft light in her eyes and stretched out her hand. She is always extra patient with children. Hello. Link reached out and shook her hand. Okay, I'll go first. Before leaving, Hill kissed Link before leaving. You're Black Widow, aren't you red-haired? After repeated comparisons, Sky recognized Natasha's identity and looked surprised. You know me? Natasha raised her eyebrows in surprise and sat down casually. As a level 9 agent, her existence is a secret in itself. As a former member of the High Tide organization, Sky once accidentally found information about Natasha. Hearing this, Natasha did not ask, and said with a smile, sit tight. Link hurriedly pulled the women to sit down. The gangway closed, and the Quinn fighter began to take to the air. Only then did Natasha smile and say, autopilot. Simmons was scared enough. Natasha didn't do this for nothing. She was measuring the personalities of several people, especially Link. Fury said that Link is mentally mature. But how mature has it been? She was curious. The flight destination is Austria. It takes 7 hours, and we have to talk. Natasha propped her chin, stared at Link across from her, and said with a smile, what does Aunt Natasha want to talk about? Link laughed. This Black Widow wants to probe her bottom. It doesn't matter, just satisfy her. Just call me sister. No matter how old a woman is, she cares about her age and title. Natasha thought for a while and said, I heard that my brother has a high level of attainment in physics, and I also have some understanding of this aspect. Natasha then initiated a series of questions, and Link answered them like a stream. The two chatted deeper and deeper, gradually extending to some difficult areas. Natasha went from asking questions to asking questions. At the end, Link looked strange and interrupted her. You won't be stealing the power compression technique, will you? When she boarded, Natasha was embarrassed. The latter questions were all entrusted by Tony to ask. It turns out to be related to energy compression. Tony asked her a very tricky question, and most people don't think about power compression technology, but they ran into Link. Link is not Fitz's level of knowing and not knowing why, but a true master. Seeing Link staring at herself with a smile, Natasha scolded Tony 100 times in her heart. Although spies are originally in this business, but let yourself do it to a child. It's still too much. Bastard Tony. I don't understand these questions very well. Hee. I heard that Huaxia people are very good at mathematics. Natasha changed the subject. Half an hour later, I'm going to the cockpit to take a look. Natasha left sweaty. Today, destined to be Natasha's depleted day. It's really hard to be crushed by a small child. Stupid. I still want to compare your IQ with Link. Lorna snorted. Yes, she doesn't even have your IQ. Link pinched her face. Lorna is really cute and has these baby fat on her face. Really? Sky watched from the side, feeling like a Link, look, your company's stock is up again. Simmons elbowed Link with a look of excitement. Since buying shares in Link Industries and tasting the taste of sudden wealth, Simmons has been out of control and has become a complete wealth fan. I think it's better for you to pay off the loan first. Link kindly suggested. How can stocks rise fast if you owe debts? Simmons licked his lips, his eyes almost changing into the shape of Franklin. She used to be a house girl and did not have much need for money. But you can't stand the charm of money. For example, no matter how lazy a person is, if $100 fall on the ground, he will still bend down to pick it up. Link looked speechless, shook his head, and ignored her. Not long after, Natasha came out and changed into normal clothes. She opened the show ice box and poured some drinks for everyone, and the service was very attentive. This time, Natasha's topic was more normal. Everyone had a good chat along the way, and time passed inadvertently. The destination has arrived. The United Nations Gene Bank is built on an artificial island near the Austrian capital, and white buildings are scattered on the island, full of technology. twin fighters landed on the tarmac. Going down the gangway, Link first saw 3 men dressed as scholars. Welcome to the American Research Group. The leader was a middle-aged man with gray hair. Hello, Director Wells, Natasha said with a smile. The middle-aged man in front of him, the second in command of the entire island, used to be the director of a research institute, now serves as an executive of the United Nations Gene Bank, and is also one of the heads of the Human Genome Project. Judging from the specifications of the welcome, the United Nations side attaches great importance to this meeting. Wells was only surprised to see 5 women and a young boy disembarking from the plane, and then led everyone into the scientific research base. There was no bloody incident during the entire meeting, and both sides showed good literacy. That said, with Natasha here, there would be no such diplomatic accident. It may also be because this is not the United States, and the competitive social atmosphere is not strong. Wells spent half a day and took everyone on a tour of the research base. The scientific research equipment in the base is extremely cutting edge, which is a degree that ordinary scholars cannot understand. He then led the group into a central laboratory. I don't know who of you is going in. In front of the silver steel gate, Wells stopped. Behind the gate is a top secret place that can't let too many outsiders in. Me and him. Natasha pointed at Link. Okay, Karen, you take these young ladies to visit other places. Wells nodded. Let's go, guys. A young man stepped forward with a smile. Lorna nervously grabbed Link's hand, and Link returned a reassuring look. Sky and they left. Wells turned around, pressed one hand on the fingerprint meter, and after successful verification, passed the iris scan. The silver steel gate separates on both sides. A giant research room is revealed, flanked by cell culture tanks, and a large road leads deeper. All the cells cultured here are 3,700 kinds of diseased cells in total. Wells laughs. We need to record their various periods and stages of coding for life science research. Whoever comes here will be shocked. Link is no exception. Subsequently, Wells took several people to the cancer area, the congenital disease area, the normal somatic cell area. Here, it's like a Noah's Ark. It preserves more than 300,000 species of plants, millions of animals, nearly 10 million species of microbial living resources, covering almost all known DNA data, RNA, and proteins. Eventually, Wells led the crowd to the image library. If you need a genetic sample, tell Darwin. Wells retracted the kind smile of the researcher and said slightly seriously, remember, your access permission is only once, and you can't use it again. Got it. Natasha nodded and looked at the other scholar. Darwin smiled at her. Suddenly, Natasha felt that she hadn't heard Link's movement for a long time, and when she looked down, she found that his eyes were glowing with obsession, and his black pupils seemed to be embedded in a river of stars. Natasha laughed dumbly. Through the behavioral test, Link is an adult in her psychological evaluation level. Now seeing Link's innocent and pure appearance, she really found it funny. It can only be said that the appearance of Link's child is too deceptive. Back to God. Natasha touched Link's head. Link looked back. Did you just hear clearly? You only have one chance. Don't waste it. Natasha's voice was soothing, kindly reminding. This opportunity is really hard to come by. I will. Link clenched his fist excitedly. If you don't learn everything, you won't go out yourself. Wells left, leaving Darwin to oversee and teach the two the way to access information. Miss Natasha, how do I feel? Children here are the backbone. Darwin laughed. He found that Miss Natasha, who had a top qualification in biology, was not very interested in what he was saying. On the contrary, it was a little ghost on the side, full of interest. You guessed half right. This time over, it does mean to bring my adopted son to gain insight. Natasha laughed. Link listened and silently glanced at Natasha. How did he not know when he had such a beautiful stepmother? So it is. Darwin was abrupt, and there was a hint of envy in his eyes. A big man is a big man. The cultivation of heirs is done in this way, and the handwriting is simply heavenly. How much data is stored in the UN Gene Bank? If you convert DNA fragments into movies, you can broadcast them for 100,000 years. At first, Link did not expect that there was so much data here, surprised and surprised. In addition to somatic data, there are programs carried out here by various world-class organizations. Break gene locks, reverse aging, eliminate cancer, etc. These are all things Link has to learn. Since he is here, Link has to be satisfied all at once, and he must incorporate all the information into his brain, making himself a general outline of genetic science. 3 months later, the door to the image gallery opens. Link walked out of it, and the wisdom in his eyes almost overflowed. Natasha, who was waiting outside, glanced inside the gate. I saw several large screens, dense information changing rapidly. Just ordinary people's eyes, even its general content cannot be captured, can only see a blur. And each screen plays content from a different system. Natasha was surprised. As early as the first time she delivered food to Link, she was surprised once and asked the question in her heart. Can Link really come to learn? Which evil skill is this practice? Can you really see what's on the screen? At that time, Link laughed and said nothing, as if to say that geniuses and mortals are not the same. Invisible pretense is the deadliest one. Since then, Natasha has never cared about Link's studies again. Today is the last day deadline they give. Natasha frowned. Link turns on the highest access privilege. It was 3 months away. Of course, the group of envoys stationed here could not accept it. Today is the deadline. I know. Let's go back to New York today. Link bowed. Seeing his plain appearance, Natasha's heart moved, and she asked, have you found what you want? That's right. Natasha speculated that Link might be looking for some specific information. Sort of. Link nodded indifferently. Sort of, huh? Natasha didn't like the vagueness of the answer. In this case, as usual, she might want to touch Link's head and make a few jokes in exchange for the information she wants. But now, she doesn't plan to do that. At this time, Link has an inexplicable aura around him, and no one should enter. Natasha's heart throbbed, forced to endure the discomfort, and asked bluntly, how much did you find? All, Link replied. Countless valuable scientific research information in the United Nations Gene Bank has been recorded by Link in his mind. This cramming of knowledge does not carry much personal understanding and does not digest it. But that's enough. His purpose for coming here has been successfully accomplished. You hold me. I'm a little sleepy. Link uphold Natasha. Good. Natasha readily agreed and leaned over to pick up Link. Immediately, Link fell asleep in her arms. Sleeping so fast, a flash of surprise flashed in Natasha's eyes. How long has Link been sleeping? There was a single room in the image library, and she only came occasionally, usually having to deal with Darwin in them, and did not know the specific situation. In fact, Link didn't sleep at all. He's tired and sleepy now, but it's worth it. After leaving the central area, Natasha summoned the 3 of Sky. After not seeing Link in 3 months, Simmons and Lorna were dying of him. Including Sky, he is more or less worried in his heart. However, seeing Link sleeping, the 3 of them tacitly did not disturb. In the past 3 months, the experience of the 3 has also been quite rich. On this island, there are masters in various fields, and the advanced knowledge stored is also extraordinarily large, and the 3 of them have studied fiercely, and their professional abilities have increased. Half a year later, in the spiritual world, the vast ocean of books is displayed on the shelves, arranged one after another, with no end in sight. Countless golden rivers of knowledge surround Link, like the Milky Way, like a dream. For half a year, Link studied all the time, during which he also had an epiphany of several learning methods, and his learning efficiency was greatly improved. The accumulation of the heritage of the entire human civilization, the digestion and study of half a year, bloom at this moment to their due brilliance, bursting out the light of eternal life. There are countless inspirations in Link's eyes, and the prompts come and go. Through the accumulation of massive knowledge, you have gained insight into the deep mysteries of life, and your attainment in genes has reached the pinnacle, and you have an epiphany, creating bloodline immortality. Bloodline immortality. Your body cells will never age, and there is no concept of death. Through the accumulation of massive knowledge, you have gained insight into the deep mysteries of life, and your attainment in genes has reached the pinnacle, and you have an epiphany and created bloodline magical power, unlimited potential. Bloodline magical power, infinite potential. Every part of your body cells and body dust has unlimited potential, and there is no upper limit. Through the accumulation of massive knowledge, you have gained insight into the deep mysteries of life, and your attainment in genes has reached the pinnacle, and you have an epiphany, creating bloodline magic impression reproduction. Bloodline magic impression replica. All the genetic abilities you have seen can be reproduced by consuming gene vitality, and the degree of reproduction depends on consumption. With your rich knowledge of biology and light energy, you summed up your past experience in cultivating solar breathing method 2.0, and you had an epiphany and created Silver Superman Cultivation Method Youth Edition. Silver Superman Cultivation Method Youth Edition. Any light and heat will become your energy source, and the solar spectrum will make a positive jump in your genes. Currently has 0.01 stellar power. Phew. In reality, Link opened his eyes and let out a long breath. The breath was like a gust of wind, blowing the furniture in the room upside down. His face was full of excitement and muttered, finally completed the breakthrough. This time the epiphany, but it is really not simple. Rao was Link himself, and he didn't expect this epiphany to bring so many benefits. In the past 6 months, he did not waste energy to have an epiphany of other abilities, but wholeheartedly molded himself into a real Superman. And the effect is naturally good and amazing, and the accumulation of massive amounts directly completes a big outbreak. Silver Superman can obtain abilities through imagination to solve various problems, and it is not an exaggeration to say that he has hundreds of millions of superpowers. Although I haven't reached that level of abstraction yet, but accumulating 10,000 superpowers, how can I say that I can blast stars with one punch? Bloodline impression replica allows Link to replicate various genetic abilities. As long as he has seen it, the genes can be imitated, which is not strong, and it is similar to Silver Superman. Eagle King 100-fold replica. Link genes computing power has been increased without limit, constantly strengthening his vision, and his gaze passes through the floor-to-ceiling windows and looks at the sky. Gradually, his vision became clearer and clearer. In broad daylight, he actually saw the moon. As the strengthening continued, he even saw craters on the moon. Vision is constantly focused, and the gravel on the moon comes into view. Finally, Link felt tired and relieved of his abilities. As soon as the ability is removed, the lost gene vitality in the body is quickly restored. In just a few seconds, the consumption just caused was compensated. It's really strong enough. Link looked up and laughed. He didn't pay much attention, and his body repaired itself. If he takes the initiative to promote body repair, how powerful should it be? Approaching Wolverine. Next, Link sat cross-kneeled and began to cultivate. The Silver Superman cultivation method operated, and all the surrounding light and heat were absorbed. The light energy crystals originally worn quickly disintegrated and disappeared into the void. Link did not stop cultivating because of this, and continued to immerse himself in this mysterious process. There was a dawn on his body. The whole person looked extremely sacred. His physique was constantly transforming. His body was crazy, and he crossed the age of 3, 4, 5 and finally to 6 years old. It is not until the accumulated nutrients run out that the leap of life stops. If he wanted to, Link could now grow into a monster with well-developed limbs and muscles. But that way of growing up is obviously wrong. Now Link himself is an extremely mysterious computer. The road of evolution will be self-deduced and promoted. Excessive interference is not good. Link got up, walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, looked at the boyish self in the mirror, and smiled with satisfaction. According to his evolutionary age, he is now 6 years old, but he is already 1 meter 2 in height. Very nice. The most important thing is that you are handsome enough. Bang bang. Link, what happened? Lorna's voice came from outside the door. Nothing, you come in. Link smirked. I don't know if Lorna can recognize it as she looks like this. With a click, Lorna opened the door. Yay. Lorna covered her face, and then said angrily, who are you? How are you wearing Link's clothes? I'm Link. Link smiled slightly. Fool whom? Lorna muttered, feeling that the person in front of her was indeed very similar to Link, both in temperament and in the way he spoke. She lowered her hand and asked uncertainly, are you really Link? Uh-huh. I've developed a second time. It's normal. Link nodded. Originally, I wanted to scare little Neasy, but looking at her panicked look, forget it. Secondary development. Fool the ghost. Lorna was speechless and guessed. Link, have you awakened the second mutant ability? Good associative ability. Link nodded in his heart and nodded. Lorna is so smart. Will you change back then? Lorna blushed. Probably not. Link shook his head. What is this little Neasy blushing? Oh, Lorna snorted, her face getting redder and redder, and her eyes were wrong. Link followed her gaze down. Grass. It's a light chicken. With a bang, Link rushed into the bedroom. Bang. The door is closed. Then a voice sounded. Help me sell a set of clothes. What can Lorna do? She can only blush her little face, honestly, buy clothes, and keep recalling the scene she just saw in her mind, and the picture is getting clearer and clearer. Link came to see Hill today, so he lived on the top floor of the building. Hill and his family lived in the Link building, and the top 3 floors were their living quarters. It didn't take long for Lorna to return, along with Hill. Link, you opened the door. Lorna knocked on the bedroom door, her eyes full of teasing. No clothes, watch how Link comes out. A few seconds later, the door opened. Link was wrapped in a bath towel, looking like he had just taken a bath, which made little Nico's bad thoughts fail. Link, Seal's eyes hesitated. She recognized this as her child at a glance, but because she recognized it, she hesitated. Originally small, cute, and well-behaved, now so big. For a while, Hill wanted to cry without tears. You return me, little Link. Mother Hill, don't you recognize me? Link smiled as bright as the sun. Child. Hill hugged Link deeply and said with relief, it's okay if you're okay. His baby suddenly grew so big, ordinary people may not be able to accept it for a while. But after all, Hill has been exposed to extraordinary events, and it is still more acceptable. Lorna said you awakened the mutant ability, is it true? With concern in his eyes, Hill said softly, uh-huh. Link acknowledged the setting. This way others are more receptive to it. Hours later, Coulson arrived at the Link building. What? Coulson's mouth was long and he could tuck his fist, and he turned to look at Hill. This is Link? Hill nodded. I'm afraid I won't be able to go back to S.H.I.E.L.D. Right now, Uncle Coulson. Link stalled hand. If he goes back like this, it will definitely cause a sensation. I'll build a lab for Link here. Hill took advantage of the situation and said, okay. Coulson nodded. Now that he is in power, he is no longer the new director who has just become the director, and he does not need to report to Fury to make some decisions. If you don't take Link to check it out. Coulson turned to his mind, and his gaze inadvertently glanced at the cold Hill, and immediately dismissed this idea. Protected by a mother chicken. Can't afford to mess with it. Night. Hill processed the official documents on the table, his brows touching slightly. Today, she buys tens of millions of dollars in brand new scientific equipment for Link, and her cash flow is a bit tight. Although their family's capital is strong, it is used to press the market, and there is not much money that can be called in time. No way. If you want the company to grow, that's it. I still need some equipment to buy, but I can't, so I can only pay in installments. Hill sighed and felt a headache. She also wanted to buy a medical device for Link and equip a medical team. Mother's love is like a mountain. Madam, or let's sell some shares. Beside Hill, a beautiful woman dressed as a secretary said worriedly. She has a sweet voice and beautiful yellow hair, which is Mia. After Hill became the CEO of Link Industries, he felt that he couldn't be busy, so he invited Mia and became a crony. Mia's ability and character, Hill, is recognized. After being promoted to a crony, he did not let himself down and grew up quickly. Although it is not as good as some senior elites, it is good that the foundation is clean and can be trusted. What do you say? You can't sell the shares. At this time, Link took Lorna into the room. Hill and Mia looked over together, and Hill said, baby, why are you here? You haven't gone to sleep yet. It's not that you guys haven't come up all the time, so let's take a look. Lindley shrugged. Chew. Hill kissed Link, feeling a lot of exhaustion removed. Link had long been accustomed to this way of getting close to Western families, and looked at Mia and smiled. Sister Mia? Link, now that you are older, you should learn to sleep alone, and you shouldn't need Sister Mia to sing you a lullaby. Mia teased. She also learned about Link's growth at night, and didn't feel anything. Now the news of mutants is flying. Nor is she racist. Please, you sing very badly. I'm having nightmares right now, and my head is all about your voice. Link glanced sideways at Mia and pouted. Mia's beautiful eyes widened slightly. She has learned bel canto, and she actually said that she sings badly. How can it be reasonable? Link, you go upstairs with Sister Mia first. Hill wants to send Link away. It was obviously very soundproofed here, and I don't know how Link heard the previous conversation. Yes, let Sister Mia sing you a lullaby, okay? Mia smiled and pinched both sides of Link's cheeks. You don't trust me. Link slapped Mia's claws away. Hill was stunned, remembering that Link had a talent for business. But immediately, she shook her head and sighed. Link, cash cannot be solved by commercial means. Cash is cash and capital is capital, and the two are different. There are two fastest ways to get there today. The first is robbery. The second is to sell. Isn't it just to make quick money? I have a way. Link said unimpressed. He casually developed one or two gadgets, and as soon as the Link industrial stock market went up, the money was gone. Moreover, it just so happened that his light energy crystallization ran out and needed to be replenished. You can't steal electricity this time. Do you have a way? Hill's eyes lit up. Is there any good way for your own baby? Mom, you forgot I'm an inventor? Link looked speechless. Hill instantly became clear, remembering how Link Industries was built. His own son is a genius. Almost forgot about this stubble. No way. Link hadn't done research for nearly a year, and everyone was about to forget his genius name. You can't do it. Mia poked Link's face, very suspicious. Although she had known about Link's deeds for a long time. After all, she had never seen Link doing scientific research with her own eyes. The corner of Link's mouth twitched. Whether I'm a fine dog or not, you'll know later. Mia blinked. Thin dogs? Looking back, Mia giggled. The little one's self-esteem is quite strong. Leave the money-making to me. But, Mom, you have to leave some living funds in the future. Don't throw all the money into the market. Link suggested. It's not that I'm afraid of encountering a capital crisis in the future, but if people don't have money, they will inevitably lose money to themselves and spend money to tie their hands. She didn't want Hill to be like that. Link remembers that Tony fought with the Hulk and bought a building directly in order to bomb it. That's called arrogance. After speaking, Link continued. By the way, isn't the crystallization conversion rate of our company's electric energy crystallization only 30%? Let's directly mention 70%. Don't have to make technical reserves anymore. It's not okay. Hill frowned. After all, we have only been established for a year, and if the power compression technology is stolen, our group will face too big a rush. In the official matter, with S.H.I.E.L.D., Link Industries is not afraid. But in business, it is difficult to say. Mom, that's what I made when I was 2 years old. Link had to remind Hill. How can this old mother always ignore her true ability? Could it be that he has been low-key for too long? Hey, I've been really busy lately. Hill smiled wryly. Link's eyes were thoughtful. It seems that it is time to lift a wave of families. He already has ideas for this. Ordinary means definitely do not work. At least you have to be at the epiphany level to be worthy of your own family. Seeing Link's appearance as a little adult, Mia couldn't help but say, our family's big inventor, you haven't said what you want to invent. Mia was curious about what Link was going to come up with to revive his title of genius. Don't worry, Link said and turned to look at Hill. Mom, how many power plants do we have now? The power plant is the core facility of Link Industries, a top priority. Hill nodded and said, we have now built a total of 2 power plants, both of which use German photovoltaic power generation, which can generate 20 million watt-hours per day. This power generation is not bad. It's certainly not enough to consider the growing size of the enterprise in the future. Link thought for a while and said, with this power generation, I think it's best to sell electricity first, occupy the home appliance market, then build a power plant, and then enter the automotive field. What is the market share of new energy appliances? Link plans to build appliances first. This field is simple to get started, and there is no need to run relationships, pull orders. If the product is good, it can quickly encroach on the market. It's 5% at home, and it's even lower in overseas markets. Hill voiced the data without thinking. Link frowned. It seems that the cultural output is still not in place. But it doesn't matter. Just work hard. Link took a seat and began sketching on the spot. New energy desk lamp. 36 brightness can be adjusted. Energy service life, 30 years. New energy refrigerator. 10 kinds of freezing areas to choose from. Energy service life of 3 years. New energy air conditioners. The effectiveness and energy saving are 3 times that of ordinary air conditioners, and the energy service life is 3 years. New energy water dispersers. The water purification effect is 3 times that of ordinary water dispensers. New energy projector. Up to 120 frames. New energy washing machine. For each sketch that Link draws, Mia takes one, and the contents on it make her exclaim repeatedly. At present, the acceptance of new energy products on the market is still relatively low. But if you can really make these products and hit the market, the effect will be completely different. It's like the new energy vehicles in the previous life. At first, people were reluctant to buy it. But if the new energy vehicle is 3 times, 5 times, 10 times better than the old oil car, will that be bought? Definitely buy. Customers have always been the most ruthless creatures, but no matter what feelings are not emotionless. Looking at the approximate cost of the remarks above, Mia took a sharp breath and exclaimed, Link, can you really make these things? Such a low cost, such a high level of expression. It is simply amazing. Link rolled his eyes. Now to build these things, he doesn't even need an epiphany. Just do it. The batteries of these products can be removed in exchange for other new energy appliances. Hill was keenly aware of this. Now the selling point of new energy appliances is that there is no socket and long standby time. But because of the high price, it is not accepted by most families. But with the advantage of removable batteries, the originally high price has become cheaper, and it has become a steady profit. Even if your appliance is broken, the internal battery can be exchanged for other appliances. Moreover, after more than a year of wandering around the mall, Hill's sense of business has become very sharp. In this, she smelled the smell of cultural values. Now every generation of new energy batteries, perhaps in the future, someone will rush to collect and become a cultural icon. With you in these products, even if it is a sample, the stock must have risen. Plus the announcement of the crystallization conversion rate of electrical energy. Mia couldn't stop exclaiming. Her eyes were bright. When these 2 news were announced, it would not be a problem for Link Industries' market value to increase tenfold. Under the huge flow of capital, the factory is not built in an uproar. I believe that in a few years, Link Industries will be among the top 10 or even top 3 global enterprises. New energy overlord. It's scary to think about. Madam, funding will not be a problem now. Mia said joyfully. Hill nodded affirmatively. She must equip Link with a world-class laboratory. The sooner things are finalized, the better. Link finished writing the last draft, put down his pen, and smiled. He was also happy to see the 2 women happy. Strange, weren't you not interested in money before? Suddenly, Mia seemed to have discovered something and became suspicious. Even Hill looked puzzled. GZMO Ruomo. Hill knows Link too well, and as usual, Link doesn't worry about the company, and even if he asks, it's just to chat with himself. Did Link suddenly grow up and become interested in money? She had to think in that direction. Men are nothing more than money and power. No man can refuse these 3 words, not even a eunuch. Hee, I'm not interested in money. I'm interested in power. Link chuckled, looked at Hill, and winked. Mom, do you remember the first time I used the energy compressor? The crystallization of the electrical energy generated this time is the reason why I am so powerful now. Hill was abrupt. At first, she thought that Link's first condensed electric energy crystallization had failed, so she did not ask, but she did not expect that before she went home, Link had already obtained a piece of electric energy crystal. And Link's power to instantaneously Winter Soldier may be related to that piece of electrical energy crystallization. Is this power harmful? Hill asked nervously. If it was harmful, she would definitely not allow Link to use it. Nope. Link shook his head. He is not engaged in mutation, but cultivation. Naturally, there is no harm. That's good. Seal breathed a sigh of relief and nodded in satisfaction. More things, she didn't ask, believing that when the time came, Link would tell her. When children grow up, they should also have their own secrets. 5 days later, after 5 days of warm-up, news about the new product launch of Link Industries was rampant. At the press conference, there was a lot of shoulder to shoulder. The newspaper office alone came to hundreds of homes. No way. The news released by Link Industries this time is really explosive. There are brand new products not to mention, but also claim that the original conversion rate of 30% of the new energy, now the conversion rate can reach 70%. This means being more environmentally friendly and energy efficient. It also means that this company is making rapid progress. That's 30 to 70%. That's a big jump. Originally, countless experts predicted that Link Industry would not have a breakthrough in a short time, but this news was undoubtedly the most favorable counterattack. Originally, how much they swore was now, how embarrassing they were now. This is a conspiracy. Jameson looked at the New York Times reporter who had been invited into the infield with an angry look. The cameraman immediately recorded his indignant expression. Jameson, owner of the Daily Horn and former frontline reporter, is now back in his old business just to ruin Link's reputation. He is a staunch anti-new energy old party that has been blasted in newspapers for an unknown number of times since Link Industries suggested it. This earned him a lot of traffic. I believe all New Yorkers know that the Daily Horn is a staunch new energy opposition, and if Link Industries wants to fight a proof war, why not invite me to the venue? Jameson spoke generously, angrily no. The owner of his dignified Horn Daily came in person, and Link Industries didn't even invite him to the venue, not even a receptionist. Thanks to the basket of tricky questions he prepared, they can only rot in the stomach now. Please let me. You're in the way, sir. At this time, a large number of people rushed over. Jameson was pushed away, and with sharp eyes, he immediately noticed that the person who came over was an invited person from PIM Technology. In an instant, he was like a shark smelling blood and quickly chased after him. What is PIM Technology's opinion on this conference? Whether it is smashing the jobs of oil workers, whether it destroys the natural environment, increase social energy consumption. Jameson asked like a cannon, and the cameraman behind him was also very professional and followed closely. No comment. Klaus paused and looked sideways at Jameson. Also, sir, you've crossed the line. Do you suspect that the data released by Link Industries is fake? This press conference is just a fake gimmick. Jameson was unmoved. The more intense the behavior, the more intense the rhetoric, the more the audience can be. Jameson is well aware of this. Klaus shook his head and walked away. Later, several members of the work ran over and pushed Jameson outside the red carpet. See, Link Industries used atrocities, and they didn't dare to let me, the man of truth, report more. Jameson said indignantly. Subsequently, the ratings of the news station leased by the Clarion Daily dropped significantly. Everyone could see that he was a clown. The videographer stopped talking. He felt that it was better for this big boss to return to his newspaper industry. The Clarion Daily started as black material, and it simply could not be on the table in such a formal occasion. Hurry up, Roxxon Energy's agent is here. Go and interview him. Jameson's eyes were fiery, and he aimed at another group of invited guests. Only this time, under the attention of security, he failed to rush into the red carpet, and the cameraman was implicated by him and did not even take key photos. Thinking of the salary that would be deducted later, the cameraman was angry, directly carried the camera and left, and stopped choking. More and more agents are arriving on site, in all fields. On the venue, Hill, as the host, introduced the content of his press conference. Mia, as an assistant, cooperated on the side. The two beautiful ladies attracted a lot of attention and added a touch of brilliance to this launch. The name of Link Industrial Shuangshu is very famous in the industry. The press conference was successfully held. For 3 hours, there was not a single absence of applause and exclamations from the scene. After that, Link Industries' skyrocketing market capitalization, needless to mention. Night. A more high-end celebration banquet was held at the Link building. Most of the attendees were top executives and celebrities from all walks of life. Classical music is played. In the center of the venue, people danced. Link sat in the corner of the room, looking relaxed. Simmons and Sky were also invited and sat on the sidelines. Both ladies were dressed gorgeously. Simmons wore a rose red diamond evening dress, a bold and colorful outfit, which was very different from her usual personality, which was surprising. Sky wore a yellow satin dance dress, beautiful and ostentatious, like a leopard in the jungle. Sky, are you wearing this because someone wants you to dance? Link looked at Sky's dance dress style and smiled. Sky propped his chin with his fists, stared at Link with a smile, and did not speak. What happened to Link's upbringing? The special operations team except Fitz, everyone else knew. They will also move to the Link building side later. Hill now has a family, and he doesn't need to worry about S.H.I.E.L.D. Research equipment. The two sides are originally just collaborators. Seeing her like this, Link directly stretched out his hand. Sky gladly accepted, and the two stepped onto the dance floor. Lorna clenched her small fists angrily. She decided that she would also study dance later. Simmons' eyes roamed the venue, and soon found the familiar figure, and his eyes couldn't help but light up, wanting to say hello. However, Fitz didn't seem to notice him, holding a wine glass and talking to a female celebrity. The current Fitz, but he has achieved fame, has not returned to the special operations team for a long time. I don't know how long it took. Link and Sky returned. Link noticed Simmons' indignant look and said curiously, Simmons, what's wrong with you? Simmons was about to appeal to Fitz's evil deeds, and Link grabbed her delicate palm. I know, it must be that I didn't ask you to dance. You are angry. After that, without waiting for Simmons to answer, he pulled Simmons into the dance floor. Halfway through a dance, the two happened to pass by Fitz. Fitz put his arm around his dance partner, the older celebrity, and looked at Simmons with round eyes. Why is Simmons here? And he was dancing with a boy. Simmons dressed up and painted makeup, which was beautiful. When it's over, Simmons will definitely misunderstand himself. He swore to heaven that he really was just socializing normally. Simmons noticed his gaze and snorted darkly, sticking Link tighter. Link's chest was hot, and he felt soft, as if he was holding a blooming flower, and his heart instantly felt more thoughtful. Simmons' appearance is still very top, especially after taking off his eyes, the standard American sweetheart. It's just that Link still prefers the way she wears glasses. Ahem, that's very attractive. A dance. Link returned to his seat. A pair of small eyes full of resentment immediately locked him firmly. Link, is the dance good? Lorna spoke in a leisurely tone, and under the light, her green hair was very beautiful, reflecting her like a green elf. It's okay. Link nodded slightly, feeling the trickiness. How to say, Lorna was also the first to come. You can't snub yourself. After thinking about it, Link coughed lightly and said, Lorna, do you want to dance? Lorna's little head was slightly lowered. For people who have never studied dance, it is really inappropriate to come to this occasion. The little girl has a rare inferiority. The identity of the mutant has washed her life down, making it impossible for her to have a normal life. Wait and follow my rhythm. Don't resist. Suddenly, Link came over and took her hand. Lorna froze slightly. But Link, I won't. She muttered softly. I said you would. You would. Link couldn't help but say, pulling her onto the dance floor. At this time, the new music is just right, and the soothing music is very melodious and melodious. Link grabbed Lorna's waist with one hand and raised Lorna's hand with the other, and Lorna's other hand was on his shoulder. Lorna's face was tense, and her calves were tense. Then, her body involuntarily began to swing, and she worked perfectly with Link. What happened? Why is my body moving? Lorna was stunned, and then thought of something. Her big eyes flashed with small stars, and her body gradually softened. Feeling the change in Lorna, Link smiled with satisfaction. Although gravitational traction is used in this kind of place, some overkill. But Superman does this himself. Do whatever you want. The superb and gorgeous dance of the two has attracted the attention of many people. This is the third time that little ghost has entered the dance floor, and the dance partner is different every time. Some of the onlookers muttered. He was very envious. Link's 3 dance partners are all stunning. I don't know which young master this is. The man secretly noted Link and decided to find out afterwards. The center of the night in New York is this auditorium. If you can come here, you must be rich or expensive. Link can dance with 3 ladies in a row, indicating that his status is higher than that of ordinary dignitaries. The soothing music began to subside. Lorna hung on Link like a little sloth, and she hadn't come back yet, dumbfounded. Seeing this, Link chuckled and increased the strength of his arm. Lorna wakes up to find that people have begun to leave the dance floor, and hurries to leave with Link. She can still walk. She doesn't need Link's help. Link, you're not kind. The two returned to their seats, and Sky touched Link with the tip of his high heels and said strangely, Rain and Dew are okay. Couldn't a beautiful lady satisfy this little ghost? After so much time together, she didn't think of Link as a child. When asked like this, Link did not feel embarrassed and said in his heart, It's all Superman. How can I do single choice questions? Naturally I want it. Watching those extraordinary movies in his previous life, he felt speechless. The male protagonist obviously has such a powerful force. Why do we have to struggle with who to choose? It is not incapable of giving happiness to every beloved. I don't know if it's an honor to get acquainted. At this moment, an elegant woman walked over. You are. Link raised an eyebrow. He felt a very unusual aura in this woman. Emma Grace Frost. Emma handed over a business card and stared at Link. Link took the business card. Emma Grace Frost, CEO and chairman of Frost International Incorporated, is also the president of Massachusetts College. Every identity is amazing. You don't mind if I sit down, do you? Emma laughed. Please. Link is funny. See mutants again. White Queen, leader of the Hellfire Club. Emma sat down on the sofa, her legs folded over each other, revealing her white leg line. Link, I remember you were 2 years old before. How did you suddenly grow so big? Fluttering words spat out of Emma's mouth. I thought that Link would be shocked, and she was ready to watch the show. However, Link looked calm, as if he had turned a deaf ear to her words. Next second, I don't know what your excellency the White Queen does. With a bang, Emma's brain seemed to explode a bomb, and her face changed greatly. How do you know? Emma was surprised, and the whole person was on guard. There are only a handful of people in the world who know their dual identity. It should never include Link in any way. Suddenly, Lorna looked slightly excited. The name of the White Queen is very loud among mutants. I can't tell you that. Also, answer my question. You won't find me for no reason. Link shook his head, his tone leisurely. What about even the White Queen? There are no mutants in this world who can make themselves fearful. Emma took a deep breath, suppressed the shock in her heart, and said, I am a member of the Hellfire Club, you know? I know. Link nodded slightly. Emma listened, understood that she had no secrets to speak of, and her expression changed for a while. Darwin is my good friend. This little ghost in front of her made her a little unable to see through. Therefore, she was not going to make some unnecessary temptation. In case of provoking the other party, it may really be empty. The one in the gene bank. Link raised his eyebrows slightly, remembering the scholar from the United Nations gene bank. Well, he's a mutant. Emma confirmed Link's guess. At this time, Link was really a little surprised. It's pretty good to hide. Can escape their own perception. Think that the other party's mutant ability is not weak. It was Darwin who asked me to come, and he told me about you and Lorna. Emma began to tell the cause and effect. He secretly observed Lorna for a long time, and in the current environment, Lorna's mutant ability does not advance and retreat, which is very abnormal. You know, in Darwin's mouth, Lorna was eating genetically modified food from the island. In this case, its mutant capabilities are still increasing, which is simply against the norm. Of course, he also noticed you, and you are also very unusual. So, what is your purpose? Link tapped his fingers on the desktop and spoke slowly. Emma's heart tightened, and she inexplicably felt a pressure. We want to know the reason for this, and it is best to take Lorna. It can't be. Link shook his head. Don't even think about this delusional thought. I also know it's impossible. Emma smiled wryly. Link can say her details softly, indicating that the power currently displayed by Link Industry is only the tip of the iceberg, and the real energy behind it must have really reached the sky. Immediately afterwards, Emma said sincerely, however, we can still cooperate. We came with sincerity. Roxxon Energy seems to have set its sights on you, and their agents have been mentally shielded by me, and they should no longer pay attention to Link Industries. Behind them is Hydra. You should know this organization. Why is there a Hydra everywhere? It seems that S.H.I.E.L.D.'s crackdown is still not enough. Link was literally speechless. This organization is completely like a spell. At the same time, he was a little envious of Emma's telepathic ability, which was too convenient. Mutants want to return to their former prosperity and can just not eat genetically modified foods. Link reciprocated. We know that. Emma was unmoved. Lindley listened and smiled. In the circle of mutants, there is no rumor about not eating genetically modified food. It seems that the purpose of the Hellfire Club is not pure. It is estimated that it is a calculation to take advantage of the opportunity to integrate forces. I thought that the mutants were almost dead and wounded, but I didn't expect that there was still the possibility of turning over the battle. Is this a plot where the villain saves the world? Similar phenomena are rare in Hyper English. I just don't know if the positive and negative mutants of the past will join forces this time to fight against the enemy that cannot be resisted. Link came interested, but did not speak first, and the rhythm was deadly. Sure enough, seeing that he didn't speak, Emma spoke. Of the mutants of the past, none of them are like Lorna, who grow fast and are very stable. Speaking of this, Emma's eyes stared at Lorna and became a little fiery. I'm not going with you. Lorna shook her head firmly. She had always wanted to find the mutant organization, but if the price was to leave Link, she was not willing. No matter how good that group is, it is not as good as Link. What's more, Link is also a mutant and kisses her. She already considered herself a member of the Hill family. There is nothing more to belong than a family. We didn't say we had to take you. We just wanted to test you in detail. Emma is very science-oriented. Otherwise, the secrets in genetically modified foods would not have been discovered. With this smart brain, even if the mutant ability is average, it can stand at the tip of the pyramid of mutants. Link secretly gave Emma an evaluation. Then, he said directly, Lorna's super-fast growth has nothing to do with her own physique, but I gave her a cultivation method. It's a showdown. Cultivation method? Emma pondered for a moment, and her eyes lit up. You mean the kind of cultivation method that Eastern cultivators are talking about? You can understand it that way. Link nodded affirmatively. In the Marvel world, the Eastern cultivation world does not seem to be prosperous, and it looks like the Taoist system has fallen. I don't know this cultivation method. Can other mutants cultivate? Emma said, and then added, of course, we can pay you. Link smiled secretly, waiting for your words. Isn't this the material for studying the power of the Tenjin group? He pretended to be difficult. Each person's mutant ability is different, the exercises are naturally different, and they need to be tailored, which requires a large number of mutant genetic samples, and it is also a waste of my time. Emma's pupils shrank. She keenly captured key messages in Link's words. Other mutants can also be cultivated. That's enough. It's not a waste of time. You'll get the friendship of our Hellfire Club. Emma was slightly anxious, and her eyes flashed. Moreover, you seem to be interested in mutant genes? Emma is a true elite celebrity, and despite not being able to telepathically detect Link's thoughts, she can guess something. You're smart. Link smiled and praised, and said nothing, looking like he was sitting firmly on the fishing platform. At this moment, Emma really felt tricky. She is a master of psychology herself, and it is easy to see that Link also knows psychology, and the rank seems to be higher than herself. Is this really a ghost? Emma hustled in vain. She was one step away from a level 4 mutant, and she couldn't miss this opportunity no matter what. As long as the cultivation method is effective, she can become a new 4th level mutant, and it is logical to become the new king among the mutants. It will not be impossible to call on mutants around the world to work for them. Say, what do you want to get? Emma was honestly knifed. Saying that, he subconsciously straightened his chest, and the abyss-like depth V was staggering. Link coughed lightly. Beauty meter, he doesn't eat this set. It's true. For every exercise given to you, you need to complete one thing for me, plus 100 mutant genetic samples. Of course, I also need cultivators to cooperate with my scientific research. Link voiced his conditions. Emma frowned. Genetic samples of mutants, which she did store. But what if you let us die? Emma said warily. Don't worry. I'm not the kind of person with a narrow temperament. Link said unimpressed. People with small bellies do not live long. I hope so, and I hope that our cooperation will continue happily. Emma stood up and leaned over to hold out her hand. Magnificent. Indeed magnificent. Link remembered Nietzsche's famous quote. When you gaze into the abyss is also staring at you. He reached out and shook Emma's hand, and said with a smile, happy cooperation. Emma was gone, her back swaying, and before leaving, she told Link that she would bring the mutant gene tomorrow. Don't do anything to my people next time. Emma, who had already walked away, suddenly heard Link's voice in her head. She suddenly turned around and found Link talking and laughing with Simmons and Sky, who had just woken up. The two women were already unconscious when she walked over to say the first words. Is this a warning to me? How many secrets does he have that I don't know? Emma felt a hint of horror and jealousy in her heart. Link does not seem to communicate telepathically, but like a pure spiritual power, very special. Link, did I just get some sleep? Simmons looked dumbfounded. The woman fell asleep on her own as soon as she came, and woke up to find that the other party was leaving. How could there be such a clever thing? She doubted herself a little. Sky looked solemn. Just now, she also fell asleep. That woman is a superpower. Be careful when you meet in the future. Link nodded. Superpowers? Simmons exclaimed. Well, she has the ability to control minds, and is a mutant. Link said it directly, so as not to make the two women confused. Oh, Simmons was clear, and then said, don't worry, I won't tell Chief Coulson about it. Coulson, after all, it was a mispayment. The news that Link had contact with mutants was not good after all. It reached S.H.I.E.L.D. After all, Link already has a Magneto's daughter by his side, and with some other mutants, there is a feeling that he is going to rise up. Link laughed and said nothing, thinking Simmons was innocent and cute. Even if S.H.I.E.L.D. found out, what else can be done to yourself? Don't forget, S.H.I.E.L.D. has a stake in Link Industries. What's more, the relationship between himself and Coulson is not far enough. As a veteran of S.H.I.E.L.D., he is still a second-generation S.H.I.E.L.D. Excluding that black egg, there is no possibility of conflict between himself and S.H.I.E.L.D. That's right. Exclude that black brine egg. Fury took Link's fishing, and Hill knew about it later, and he was furious, so Fury hid and didn't come out. Otherwise he had to give him a blow. When the Link building held a banquet and countless bulls cheered for Link Industry, there was a new energy giant, but it was so anxious that he was almost driven crazy. This man is Tony. Tony wore a black shirt and sat in a chair, his eyes blank, like a dead fish. I have been researching power compression technology for half a year. Do you know how he has spent the past half a year? Day and night research. The implementation of countless whimsical ideas, just to get the core technology of the energy compressor. Then every time he passes through the maze and reaches the end, he finds that it is empty joy. It's like a dream bubble. Tony, of course, knew it was a combination lock set by Link. But it didn't matter. He never wanted to give up. And then held out for half a year. This half-year harvest is not even as valuable as the composition of materials analyzed by Jarvis at the beginning. At this time, Banner walked into the room and was surprised by Tony's appearance. Tony, I think you should give up. Banner took a cup of black coffee. He also helped Tony, but the thing couldn't be solved. It's like asking what's outside the universe. No one can answer this question. You don't understand, Banner. Tony's voice was dry. After speaking, he seemed to wake up, took the cold black coffee on the side, and drank it all in one gulp. Coffee is like a sore throat. Banner would not understand his feelings. He never thought that he, Tony Stark, would one day encounter such a thing as a technical barrier. MMP. Tony, something has been brought back for you. Natasha walked into the room, holding the latest energy compressor in her hand. Stark Industries got it as a collaborator. Although the two sides are in competition, in order to get the energy compressor, Tony can only give up some market and knock out his teeth and swallow. Tony, don't lose it this time. You already have a previous conviction. Natasha pointed out thoughtfully. Tony began to decipher power compression technology, not to fight Link, but to create an army of steel. After that, it was more like vindictiveness. Tony didn't speak, took the energy compressor, turned, and left. I'm fairly familiar with Hill, and I'm willing to help you as a lobbyist if you want. Natasha frowned, not wanting Tony to continue wasting her talent. After returning from the UN Gene Bank, she often visited Link's house, knew the people of the Einsatzgruppen well, and had an old friendship with Hill. Just one step away, this time will definitely succeed. Hearing this, Tony paused in his steps, and then continued to the depths of a laboratory. Poor Tony, if he had been to the east, he would have known that there was something called Pinksy. Following, Link building underground laboratory. Emma sent 100 genetic samples of mutants. Before studying the exercises for you, you first show your abilities, including the one that turns into masonry. Link spoke. Good. Emma gladly agreed. She was already surprised that Link knew what she was capable of. After she went back last night, she summoned all her energy to probe Link's bottom and found nothing. This made her even more jealous and valued Link. She didn't want to wake up that day to find that the Hellfire Club and Frost International had been plundered by Link Industries. The next moment, her body turned into a diamond. Link focused his gaze and found that Emma's body structure was actually a layer of diamond material. The power of the Celestial God Group is really amazing. The power of the realm of abstraction, the realm of matter, and the realm of energy can all be found in mutants. Next, Emma began to cooperate with Link for various tests, and the blood was also drawn twice. The test was carried out for half a day. After that, Link told her to come back to her in a month to get the exercises. Emma had no complaints about this and left expectantly. I don't know if the Red Devil is in the Hellfire Club. His teleportation ability is quite good. After Emma left, Link muttered. The Hellfire Club had been disbanded once before. According to Emma, the new Hellfire Club was created by her and Darwin, and the specific members of the team were not revealed. Diamond replica. Link suddenly turned into a large humanoid diamond, shining brightly. When the White Queen becomes a diamond, she can't use her psychic abilities, and I don't seem to have such a limit. He thought to himself, the magnetic field is controlled and can be activated at any time. He found that his diamondization was not as perfect as Emma's, unless he consumed genetic power and actively strengthened it. But that would be detached from the original intention of the reproduction. The mutant's origin power level is too high after all, and he can't do it perfectly now. Study. Supplement the knowledge base. Next, Link began research on variant genes. Asking Emma to mutate genes, on the one hand, is naturally to study the power of the origin of the Celestial God Group. On the other hand, it is also to create exercises for the Hill Girls. 7 days later, you have a deep understanding of mutant genes and a lot of experiments. Your comprehension of the meaning of life has reached a higher level, and Silver Superman cultivation method youth has been supplemented. 18 days later, through your own understanding of the human body, combined with light particles, you have an epiphany and created the Angel Cultivation method. Angel Cultivation method. By absorbing light energy, it can achieve the effect of life-level evolution, youth eternity, immortality, body holiness, and increase negative energy resistance. 20 days later, you use the original foundation of light energy crystallization equation to innovate and create light energy crystallization equation 2.0, which can increase the light energy that the crystal can hold tenfold and is fixed into stellar light energy. You have reached the pinnacle of the discipline of light energy and created the light energy crystallization guidance circuit. Light energy crystallization guidance circuit. Engraved on light energy crystal, it can direct energy to specific living bodies. Inside the laboratory, the electrical energy crystals are neatly arranged and sent into the light energy compressor piece by piece. Today, the crystallization of electrical energy swallowed by the light energy compressor alone is already worth hundreds of millions. The result is 6 crystalline pendants with similar styles and beautiful patterns. Link named them the Sun Pendant. In order to avoid affecting daily life, he also coated the Sun Pendant with a static package, which ordinary electronic devices could not detect. Night. At the family banquet, the long case was full of dishes, which was very rich. Link took a sip of the tomato egg soup, satisfied with the current atmosphere. Lorna was close to him, and Hill and Mia chatted about work, sighing, and complaining from time to time. Sky sat in front of the TV with the food. Simmons finished his meal early, sat on the couch, and scratched his notebook, staring intently at the stock market. These days, something happened. The Einsatzgruppen was officially disbanded. The Einsatzgruppen itself was established for Link, and the two sides are only a partnership. As Link Industries gets stronger, it's only a matter of time before the two sides break up. Coulson didn't say much about it, only said he hoped to cooperate more in the future. Simmons and Sky were poached by Hill from S.H.I.E.L.D. and became members of the Hill family. Hill could see that Link and the two had an emotional bond. Link looked out the floor-to-ceiling windows at night in New York City and was really enjoying this life. In the past, he did not not ask about the world when he did scientific research. These days, he spends most of his time in scientific research and the rest with his family. Link, Simmons took my living expenses. Lorna looked left and right and whispered to Link, what did you do with it? Link blinked, unsure. Lorna has followed the Hill family for the longest time, and the living expenses in January are $100,000, and she usually doesn't buy anything, so she is a rich woman. She said to help me manage my money. Lorna was very lacking in confidence and said in a low voice, it's all lost. Link listened and almost vomited blood. No wonder Lorna is so aggrieved. No wonder Simmons hid after eating. So how do you want to punish her? Link knew that Lorna was here to sue, but she didn't want to sue Hill. When Mother Hill is not there tomorrow, we will throw her out of the Link building and then rescue her. Lorna offered a good major, a smile on her pretty face. Simmons felt a chill in his back and quickly pulled the blanket to cover himself. You're a demon, Link complained in his heart. Lorna, this Neezy, is a good mix of street material. He was speechless. How are you practicing in the gravitational field? Dare to play like this? That's why I want you together. Lorna perked up. This prank is too unreliable. Let him know that he will kill himself. Link dared to agree to this, but it was really wrong for Simmons to trick the little girl into money, so he leaned into Lorna's ear and whispered a few words. Lorna's eyes lit up and she nodded repeatedly. What are you talking about? Hill looked over at this time. Nothing. Lorna pretended to be calm. Link pulled out a tissue, wiped his mouth, and said, I have something to tell you. After that, he stood up and said loudly, Sky, Simmons, you all come here. Hearing this, Sky turned off the TV, and Simmons also came over. Did something happen, Link? Sky asked suspiciously. Link looked a little solemn, which was not common. Well, I have something to announce. Link took the sun pendant out of his pocket, held it high, and shook it. The women were immediately attracted. Hill is no exception. Women are born with no resistance to shiny, beautiful things. Seeing all the women gathered around, Link put the sun pendant on the table and said with a smile, This is the sun pendant for you. Choose one from each other. Simmons said at this time, That's what you're doing these days. She had also been to the underground lab and had seen one or two related blueprints. When the women listened, their expressions changed a little. The sun pendant is exceptionally beautiful and comparable to any craftsmanship. What's more, it came from Link. This is much better than the so-called famous brand. That's right, you guys sit down first and then choose one. Link felt that the dinner plate on the table was a bit of an eyesore and thought to himself, It seems that when you have time, you need to study a new energy housekeeping robot or something. It's so formal. Mia laughed. Link smiled silently, looking smug. When you know how powerful the sun pendant is, you will feel that it is no longer too formal. However, as is Link's family, the sun pendant may not be very valuable in the future, and when the time comes, it will be in line with the status by giving a star as a gift. Simmons and Sky sat down. Simmons had little stars in his eyes. After making money from stock trading, she began to buy licensed goods, and the aesthetics were absolutely online. In her eyes, the sun pendant is definitely a top luxury level. Hill comes first. Link took the sun pendant and came to Hill's side. Hill had a reassuring smile on his face. Link's gift this time is very sincere. The child has grown up. I want this. Hill didn't hesitate long and chose a sun pendant with lace and thorns. This sun pendant looks the most noble, very much in line with her identity as the main mother. Link put it on for Hill with his own hands. Then, his fingers gently stroked Hill's forehead, transmitting the relevant memories of the angel cultivation method. Mia fainted after seeing Hill put on the sun pendant, and couldn't help but be a little surprised. Looking at Link, who walked to her side, she quickly said, Hey, our family is not allowed to play sleepy black tea. Boom. Link turned dark and knocked her on the head. It hurts. Mia hugged her head and exclaimed, This smelly brother is really willing to start. Pick one. Link didn't have a good airway. This Mia's sister, when she was a child, she liked to tease her little finches, and now that she has grown up, she is still full of crimson thoughts. Little sadder, let me wake up and find out, You're dead. Mia grunted twice and took away a Tai Chi-style sun pendant. Immediately, Link put it on for her. Mia closed her eyes and leaned her head on the back of the chair. Next is Sky. Link went down according to Hill's lower hand, which was very fair. Without the slightest hesitation, Sky grabbed a sun pendant with 3 star-rimmed thorns. Link put it on for her. Next is Simmons' turn. Simmons stared at the bright, heart-shaped amber pendant with anticipation. However, Link skipped her seat. Simmons quickly grabbed Link and said, What about mine? Lorna said that you owe her a debt and have promised to use the sun pendant as collateral. Link pretended to be indifferent. What? Suddenly, Simmons looked disbelief. I didn't say such a thing. She didn't know about the sun pendant before. How could she mortgage? Moreover, Link actually listened to Lorna so easily and did not listen to her explanation. It's too much. Simmons' eyes were red, and his eyes were suddenly filled with small pearls. What a person, so can't help but amuse. Link hurried back, and 2 sun pendants fell in front of Simmons' eyes, and he said speechlessly, Lie to you. The brilliant light instantly attracted Simmons. Simmons gave Link an annoyed look and reached for it. Flash. Link withdrew his hand and smiled. But you did something wrong. Let Lorna choose first this time. I was helping Lorna manage her finances. Simmons' face bulged up at once, and he quibbled. Repentance is not the beginning. Abominable stock market. Next time we'll definitely copy your bottom. How about choosing that? Catching a glimpse of Simmons' nervous look, Lorna deliberately swayed from side to side. Simmons closed his eyes resignedly, leaving only a small slit to peek. Seeing this, Lorna chose a cat's eye-shaped sun pendant. Yay! Suddenly, Simmons raised his hand and cheered. Lorna pinched the pendant and did not give it to Link for the first time, but asked, Link, what about yours? Hey, it's still little Neezy who feels sorry for us. Link pulled out the sun pendant he was wearing and said, Of course I have it. Simmons noticed Link's pendant with crown-like side spines and said loudly, Well, you really want to rebel against Hill. Link grinds his teeth darkly. Be sure to find a chance to teach Simmons a good lesson. Better to jerk her cocked pee-pee. After instilling memories in Lorna, Link went up to Simmons and put it on for her. His hair, you hurt me. Simmons exclaimed. You'll have to eat less later, Simmons. After putting it on, Link pinched her little square face, and immediately, without waiting for her to refute, the content about the angel cultivation method was transmitted into her mind. After about a minute, Hill opened his eyes and looked at Simmons. Although she looked unconscious just now, she didn't, and she could still sense the outside world. So, what's going on with debt? As a patriarch, Hill cares about this. The hapless Simmons didn't know that when she sobered up, Hill would have to interrogate her. Link, have you passed on this cultivation method to others? Hill looked at Link with a solemn expression. This is what I made especially for you. Link chuckled. Hill pressed Sheen Lai, and then, according to the method in her memory, turned on the energy guidance function of the sun pendant. If the angel cultivation method is a bright road, then the sun pendant is an accelerator. Subsequently, Mia and Sky woke up one after another. The two had different expressions, but without exception, they both had a firm recognition in their eyes. Thanks. As soon as Mia spoke, she was interrupted by Link. Link said firmly, Sister Mia, you don't need to say thank you. And Sky, we are all a family, and will always be together in the future. Link had an idea for an eternal family. It's like the hentai family in DC. Lorna and Simmons woke up one after another. Simmons exclaimed, Angel cultivation method. Link, how did you come up with such a thing? She simply sighed. He looked at Simmons and said, Simmons, don't talk about this, you know. The angel cultivation method is a set of extraordinary evolution methods. If it really releases the wind, careerists all over the world will grab their heads and break the blood. In the family of 6, the least reliable is not the youngest Lorna, but Simmons. I'm not stupid. Simmons rolled his eyes. Everyone took him for a fool. Sky was like that, and now so is Hill. The girls who studied science and engineering are very smart. Okay, you guys quickly try the cultivation effect. Link urged. Although it is a technique that I have researched myself, I have not measured it on others after all. Good. Hill nodded, and then nodded to everyone. Unlock the sun pendant first, so that the entry will be faster. The energy released by the sun pendant at the beginning is very slight, and when their cultivation progress increases, they can adjust it by themselves. Relevant information, everyone has it in their heads. After the 5 of them were ready, they began to cultivate together. Link opened his senses and observed everyone's cultivation status. Time passes bit by bit. The first to appear mysterious was Lorna. Silver brilliance floated on her body, like falling stars. This is the glow of life. The light produced by the evolution of life can be controlled. It's just that Luo Na at the moment obviously doesn't have that mind, and is focused on cultivation. She felt that her body was constantly being washed, and her whole body cells were as if she were soaking in a hot spring, which was very comfortable. The second person to appear in the glow of life is Mia. Looking at the overly brilliant silver point of light, Link was a little surprised. Mia doesn't seem ordinary. This shows a strong vitality that is at least 3 times that of Lorna. The third person to appear in the glow of life is Sky. The glow of life she emitted, trembling slightly, seemed to awaken some kind of power. Apparently, her inhuman power was activated during the evolutionary process. The fourth person to appear in the glow of life is Hill. The fifth is Simmons. Neither of them showed anything special, they were unremarkable. In other words, the glass of the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Link building is one-way viewable. Otherwise, this scene full of light will definitely be discovered by outsiders. Link, I feel a force in my body and want to release it. Sky stopped practicing and said with some trepidation. During the cultivation process, the power in the body has been rising, and now there is a feeling of fullness and overflow. She had a hunch that this force would be very terrifying. Don't. Link quickly stopped himself. If Sky releases energy now, it is estimated that the explosion of Link's new energy crystals will spread throughout New York the next day. Sky's shockwaves are destructive and can be said to be inherently destructive. When cattle are batched, they can easily cause earthquakes. I'm so uncomfortable. Sky gritted her teeth and desperately wanted to release. Who can stop a bird with wings from flying? At this time, the others also stopped cultivating. Sky, what's wrong with you? Hill asked with a frown. Sky's cheeks were very tangled, not painful, but definitely not happy. Hill, have you ever gone 10 days and 10 nights without going to the bathroom? Sky said with a sad face. Yes. Everyone was confused. Sky continued. Anyway, I have to find a place to release it now, otherwise I can't help it. What a tiger wolf word is this? Mia looked at Link instantly, her eyes strange. This is definitely what an X-side effect right now. Link didn't know what she was thinking, otherwise he would have to give it a head. What a dirty person he is. Okay, I'll take Sky out first, and I'll be back later. Link picked up Sky with a serious look and flew out the window. Hill hurriedly came to the window and looked at it. I saw Link and the two rushing up into the sky, and soon disappeared. Hurry up, by the way, don't hit me with energy. Thousands of meters in the air, Link changed his holding position and circled Sky's slender waist from behind. Sky endured his fear of heights, did not look down, concentrated his mind, and released that special energy from his hands. Buzz. The tidal wave of oscillations is released in a fan shape. Don't look at the lack of big movement. But at this moment, even if there is a roller in the way, it will be destroyed in an instant. Link was slightly surprised. I didn't expect Sky's energy level to be so high. It can only be said that it is worthy of a shockwave. Sky really mastered this power with ease. I am afraid that he could not directly suppress the Hulk. Comfortable. After about 3 minutes, Sky let out a long sigh and looked satisfied. Then, she glanced at Link behind her. Aren't you able to use gravity to control the air? Why are you holding me? Boy, put down the bowl and scold your mother. Link had a bad taste, laughed deeply, and directly let go. The exclamation pulled a straight line in the air. Sky fell so fast that his soul was almost scared out. So, Link flew over, hugged her horizontally, drew an arc in the air, and continued to fly up. Little Link, you're dying. Sky clasped Link with both hands and used an annoyed, scornful name. Dare to tease yourself like this. It was hot under her just now. Do you want to do it again? Link smacked his lips. It's a pity that Sky's ugly appearance was not photographed. With this experience, Sky will probably not show that mouth wide open and frightened look in the future. It's a pity, it's a pity. Hurry up and let me go. Sky didn't want to play this horror game at all. Really, Link was pleasantly surprised. No. Sky understood that she had said the wrong thing, and suddenly hugged me tighter. You quickly let me go back to the room. I have a fear of heights. In this environment, people who do not have a fear of heights also have a fear of heights. Enjoy flying. Sky, I want to take you on an interstellar tour in the future. Link flipped the beauty in his arms and suddenly accelerated. Ugh, Sky screamed. The vision in front of him is blurred, and the New York City below seems to be the other side of the sky. At this moment, heaven and earth seem to be reversed. It is difficult to tell what is up and what is down. Just as Sky was getting used to it and was about to put his mind down, Link suddenly played a commotion. Spun, jump, dive, and even toss. Sky quickly closed his eyes, his lips trembling, eager to bite Link to death. I don't know how long has passed before she adapts. She found that no matter how fast she flew, she could not feel the presence of strong winds. Finally, Sky opened her eyes, and her beautiful eyes trembled. Seeing this, Link let go of Sky. Sky did not fall from this, but stood in the air. Look down there. It's beautiful, isn't it? Link overlooks the lights of New York. Sky nodded. Fear is due to insecurity, and Link's ability is beyond her imagination. In the high-risk movements of her heart beating again and again, she was sure that Link could give her absolute safety. Is this flying? Fly again. Link said a word, and then the two began the standard Superman flight. Don't say why you don't fly vertically. That's too strange, and it's not good to see the scenery below. Fly over there. Sky pointed in one direction and laughed. Link naturally had no opinion. The two played for about half an hour before they began to return. This time, Sky had a good time and really experienced the joy of flying. Hill and them, who had been waiting by the window, saw Link and the two coming over and quickly got out of the way. Finally back. Looking at Link who landed, Hill breathed a sigh of relief. Are you alright, Sky? Simmons and the others were concerned. I'm worried about you. I'm sorry, I'm fine. Sky's smile stiffened slightly, and at this time, Mia found something and frowned. Sky, are you done with release? Sky nodded. Instantly, Mia became angry and launched a crusade against Link. Link, what did you do to Sky? Sky was raining, her eyes were slightly red, and she had obviously cried before. Link, on the other hand, was grinning and looking very happy. How did you all release it? Is there really a problem with the exercises? Mia's fingers brushed through her crotch, and she didn't feel it. Link listened, speechless. I'm only 6 years old. What can I do to Sky? You can't slander yourself like this because of the maturity you usually show, he said with a faint look in his eyes. Do you want to listen to what you were saying? Mia was not convinced and asked, why does not Sky cry? Mia asked, why is not Sky crying? Simmons also spoke. Yes, Sky, what's wrong with you? Sky's expression now really has a feeling of forced laughter. She has always been tough. How could she show such an expression? It's hard not to suspect something. Link nodded a little and said frankly, I flew her to New York. Sky scared? Flew New York all over again. Everyone knows it. Hill frowned. Link, don't do this next time. Flying is fun. Link said innocently. Sky is also happy in the back. I'm not happy. Hill, you must punish him well. Sky glared. Link is so abominable. Hey, don't wrong me. I didn't propose to go home later. You don't want to come back. Link called Chu Dao. Okay, stop messing around. Sky, tell me what happened to you earlier. Hill didn't want to see the two arguing, so he quickly called a stop. Before mixing your mouth, can you get down to business? Link nodded and said, that's right. Sky awakened a superpower, shockwave. Superpowers. Simmons' eyes lit up. Link nodded and said, well, but it's very powerful, and I can't show it to you for the time being. I think I can give it a try. Sky hooked her lips and chuckled, and picked up a water glass. After so long of precipitation, she felt that the power in her body could be controlled a lot. Saying that, without waiting for others to react, the water cup in his hand exploded into powder with a bang and fell. Suddenly, an exclamation sounded. Simmons exclaimed with envy. Sky, you are so good. As a chemist, she knows exactly how much power it takes to blow a glass like this. In fact, watching Link and Lorna flying around all day, she also has a heart that wants to become stronger. Ordinary people, those who do not envy extraordinary strength. Oh, it seems that I now have an angel cultivation method and a sun pendant. That's all right. Take control of this force, Sky. Hill was as calm as ever. I don't want my children to save the world when they have the power, but I don't want to do anything unreasonable. This is her consistent philosophy. Sky pursed her lips and felt the warmth of family. Hill is like a big parent, caring for every child in the extended family. Sometimes, she really wanted to call Hill mommy. Actually, I think you can go to the cultivation room now to test your strength. Seeing that everyone was a little envious, Link suggested. Although their cultivation time has not been long, Mia and her family have already evolved to high-level life forms, and their life level and vitality have improved. The angel cultivation method is very powerful, and Mia and their efforts will not necessarily be weaker than Sky in the future. In addition, there is another point that Link is very pleased with. That is, from a microscopic perspective, the bodies of the women are much purer than before cultivation. It didn't waste his painstaking efforts. Hill looked moved, nodded and said, okay, then go and give it a try. In the past, everyone often practiced for no more than 2.5 hours, and the time could be said to be very short. But she could clearly feel the changes in her body. The eyes that were originally a little short-sighted now feel very clear when they see everything, and there is a refreshing feeling of clear lungs. Hill said in his heart. It turns out that cultivation is such a refreshing thing. I've always heard that the cultivation in the East is very hard, and there are ascetics. The women were eager to get on the exclusive elevator and headed towards the -4th floor. Link Tower has 56 floors. The -4 floors are large training rooms. The -5 floor is the laboratory. Both are hidden floors. The lights in the large training room were on at any time, and Simmons came to a dynamometer excitedly, rubbing his fists and saying, guess how many pounds I can hit now? 100. Sky guessed. Simmons looked at Lorna. Lorna said, 130. Hill mused, 200. Link chimed in, 200. Mia said, 190. Look okay. Simmons smiled crookedly, like a dragon king returning to the city, and punched suddenly. The power in the body is already jumping. This punch must be groundbreaking. Bang! The fist landed on the force target. The value jumped wildly, and finally came to 209. Suddenly, everyone was shocked. Simmons was also shocked, covering his small mouth and saying, I used to hit up to 100. Doesn't that mean that her strength has doubled? Simmons looked at Hill in shock. Hill, how do you know? I do physical training a lot, and am sensitive to values. Hill stepped forward and put on his fist. The reason why the budget was so accurate was because she felt the amount of chi growing in her body and guessed casually. I didn't expect to really guess 8, 9, and 10. Next, it's my turn. Hill bounced twice, revealing a rare look of blood. Bang! It was like a gunshot. The numerical table jumped wildly and finally came to 453. Little Lorna was scared to take a step back. It turned out that Hill was so strong. Even if the value is halved, there are more than 200. Later, the crowd tested running speed, cardiopulmonary ability, nervous reflexes, and flexibility. It was found that the lowest comprehensive body value doubled. That's an exaggeration. Seeing their chattering and excited looks, Link smiled secretly. The Marvel Terran race is not simple, and when you evolve, there will be more supernatural. Now it is just a physical enhancement. Just happy to be like this. In the future, really evolve what to hold the sun and the moon, Shinko and Emo tricks, and still fly into the sky happily. Link, this is Superman for a long time. Ignoring the feeling of ordinary people suddenly stepping into the extraordinary. Ordinary people, let alone double their physical fitness, suddenly grow 3 centimeters tall, and they will happily open champagne. At this time, Lorna leaned over to Link and whispered, is Sky an awakened mutant ability? It's not. Link saw Lorna's expectation, but shook his head. Sky's power comes from the Kree's experimental product, the Inhumans. However, Link was not going to tell Sky about the Inhumans. Sky's parents are quite strange. The mother was taken by Hydra for research and became a villain after surviving. In order to save his wife, the father sacrificed the whole village. Such 3 people, meeting each other will only increase the trouble. This way, Lorna was a little disappointed. I thought I needed another mutant partner. She is still obsessed with this aspect. After all, kiss and kiss. The next day, noon. Simmons, who had practiced all night yesterday, was sleeping soundly and hadn't eaten breakfast. Since becoming a member of the extended family, she has lived as a rice worm, often sleeping until noon. Suddenly, the bedroom door clicked open. The boy and girl poked their heads out. Women up and down men. Link is still shorter than Lorna, and his face is more immature. Simmons was covered with a small blanket and his butt leaked outside. What a lazy pig. Lorna whispered, don't think overnight. Simmons pits her debts and doesn't need to be paid. Link put his index finger in front of his mouth and motioned for her to whisper. Lorna nodded, raised her hand, green light appeared, and after finding the feeling, she suddenly exerted her strength. Suddenly, Simmons flew up and suddenly stuck to the ceiling. Lorna grinned and hurriedly closed the door, maintaining the release of her power. Then, Simmons' unexplained panic shouts came from the room. Just by listening to the voice, you can feel how frightened she is now. Help, save me. Hill, Link. Hill and Mia went to work. Sky got up in the morning and went underground to practice, and now there is Link and Lorna left in the suite. Simmons called it that. It was useless. It was just to increase the torture limit for himself. Lorna, it turns out that you are making trouble. In the end, Lorna couldn't hold back her laughter and was exposed. This time, there is no need to play. The door opens. Lorna walked in with a smile, and Link also had an amused look. Then he saw Simmons, who was sleeping naked, dancing. Both of them were stunned, their eyes wide and small. Link hurried away. He couldn't afford to mess with. Simmons' face turned crimson visibly, as if he was about to bleed. Link Graham, halfway bite, the tone changed. Simmons has always been a very conservative person. No one expected this suddenly. Link thought how she should have worn a small underneath, but she didn't expect it to be like this. At night, Link announced that he would be in retreat for a few days and not show up for the time being. Inside the compartment, Link sat cross-kneeled, constantly using the nutrients in his body to nourish the power of the origin of the Celestial God Group. After a lot of research, he had a deeper understanding of the power of the origin of the Celestial God Group. Although it is not possible to create the corresponding exercises for the time being, it can still be mentioned with excellent knowledge. A few days later, the power of the origin of the Celestial God Group already had the feeling that it was about to break through. With the last force, the origin power of the Celestial God Group trembled, as if it was created out of nothing, and then purified, and a sublimation occurred. After years of cultivation by you, the power of the origin of the Celestial God Group has reached a bottleneck, and with your uninterrupted stimulation, the power of the origin of the Celestial God Group has sublimated and reached the modeled level, and your life potential has increased significantly. The power of the origin of the modeled Heavenly God Group. From some great power, the X ability is awakening, 1/4. Haha, Master Dao, I'm done. A terrifying tide of energy stirred through Link, and he opened his eyes and laughed up at the sky. It's not easy. After so long of cultivation and exploration, I finally discovered a little root of the origin power of the Celestial God Group. Feeling the enhanced vitality, Link couldn't help but be overjoyed. Ordinary mutants, even if they obtain the power of the origin of the Heavenly God, they become stronger. But Link is different. He's Silver Superman. The power of the origin of the Heavenly God is not an addition here, but a multiplication. The mystery of the power of the origin of the Celestial God Group was being quickly absorbed by him and turned into growth nutrients. Then, he closed his eyes, his consciousness sank into his body, and he came to a pure white space. This space is the embodiment of the origin power of the Celestial God Group. Link consciously looked down. Below is a sea of colorful light, and each point of light represents an ability. There are a total of 7,338 abilities. Link's mind moved, and he immediately received feedback from the origin power of the Celestial God Group. Unfortunately, there is no such high ability to modify reality and create space. It should be the reason why the purity of the power of origin is not enough. Link thought to himself. Randomly, he picked what he wanted among the 7,338 abilities. He can now pick 3 mutant abilities to use as his explicit power. Such moments cannot be sloppy. Rao Yiling's heart couldn't help but be slightly anxious at the moment. No way, he is now suppressing the awakening of the mutant ability. Otherwise, from the moment the power of the heavenly god Origin sublimated, the mutant ability would have awakened. This kind of suppression cannot last long. The 7,338 abilities went through Link's mind over and over again, and it was really hard to decide. Telepathy is a must. Choose it first. Link was the first to choose telepathy. Suddenly, a vigorous colored light rushed to the sky and entered the outside Link's body. The pressure was reduced a bit, and Link had more time to choose. Which one to choose next? Air fetch. Raise low. Perhaps, creating the corresponding exercises by yourself may be very strong. What about the self-healing factor? This doesn't seem to be needed, and his current recovery speed is completely comparable to Wolverine. Not long after, Link chose the second mutant ability, Freeze. That is, the abilities of the Iceman. This is an external level ability no less than telepathy, which can reduce the external and internal temperature of the body at will, freeze molecules, elementalize, and even create absolute zero. This ability is in Link's hands. The upper limit is to freeze the universe and turn it into a glass bead. And how to say that the lower limit is also to freeze the world and return the planet to the Ice Age. It can be said that this is also an ability that belongs to scholars. And Link is undoubtedly a scholar. Moreover, he also has a solid body foundation as an energy source for freezing ability. Time is running out. Link struggles internally, hesitating about the third mutant ability. Suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration, thought of something, and chose the third ability without hesitation. Doppelganger. The avatar ability is very ordinary and has no depth. It is impossible to have the ability of the ontology perfectly. But who is Link? World-class savvy owner. 1. Gas. Change. 3. Clear. This magical power must be created. Link was a bit of a gamble, but it doesn't matter. Won the Clubhouse Tinder model lost. It's a loss, but it's worth a try. One more variant is not much, and one less variant has a lot of ability. Link comforted himself inwardly. And what if it really does? As the colored light rushes out of the white space, Link's consciousness also returns to reality. Link then began to digest 3 abilities. 3 days later, your freezing ability has been elevated to perfection under your repeated warmth, perfectly adapted to your body, and your life potential has been enhanced. Your telepathic ability has been elevated to perfection under your repeated warmth, perfectly adapted to the body, and your life potential has been enhanced. Your freezing ability has been elevated to perfection under your repeated warmth, perfectly adapted to your body, and your life potential has been enhanced. The mutant ability that ordinary mutants stumbled and may not be able to master perfectly in their lives was directly shortened by Link to a few days, and it was directly completed. It all had a lot to do with that trip to the UN Gene Bank. There were too many promotions that Link got that time. It is simply carrying a treasure trove of human civilization. Next, Link began the development of 3 abilities. The first is the freezing ability. After all, temperature belongs to the energy category, and in the energy field, Link still has a lot of say, and it is easy to develop new abilities. A day later, based on the freezing ability, you repeatedly deduced and rehearsed to create super cold breath. Super cold breath. Enrich a large amount of heat energy in the mouth, and then convert it into ultra low temperature in an instant. 3 days later, based on the freezing ability, you repeatedly deduced and practiced to create ice, water, steam. Ice, water, steam. You can freely change between ice, water, and steam, and the ice form will greatly increase your freezing ability. The water form will make you invisible and ignore the attacks of the material world. The steam form will make you bigger and get the power to match. 7 days later, based on the freezing ability, you repeatedly deduced and practiced to create instantaneous water world. Instantaneous water world. You teleport through the water in the air, and the distance you move depends on your perceptible range. 10 days later, you deeply understand the freezing ability, discover the relationship between it and living things, and you have an epiphany and create organic ice glacier world. Organic ice glacier world. You can permanently change the natural environment and create unintelligent ice life. 13 days later, your attainment of low temperature is at its peak, and under a long period of microscopic observation, you discovered the mystery of molecules, and you had an epiphany and created absolute zero. Absolute zero. With absolute low temperature controllability, freeze a space. 5 skills, for the time being, have developed all the places where the freezing ability can be developed. Link tested it in the cultivation room, and the results were very good. Next, there is the development of telepathy. 7 days later, through a long period of observation and exploration, you have gained insight into the mystery of telepathy, and you have an epiphany and created Mind World Monthly Reading. Mind World Monthly Reading. Anyone whose psychic power is inferior to you will be pulled into the psychic world you create, where the length of time can be extended indefinitely, and the weaker the psychic ability, the less likely it is to escape the psychic world. 10 days later, on the basis of Mind World Monthly Reading, you thought a little and innovated to create Mind World True Projection. Mind World Real Projection. The trauma of the target mind world will be synchronized with the physical body. 20 days later, through the accumulation of a large amount of psychological and life science knowledge, you discovered the connection between reality and the mind, and you had an epiphany and created Spiritual Fantasy. Mirror Flower Water Moon. Spiritual Fantasy Mirror Water Moon. With the power of the mind as the source and the real material as the medium, everyone who sees the movement of your arm will fall into complete hypnosis of sight, perception, smell, taste, touch, and intention. You have a deep insight into the power of the heart, and with your eclecticism, the Silver Superman Cultivation Method Youth Edition has been supplemented and taken to a higher level. With these 3 abilities to escort, I should not have an opponent in the mind realm. Link smiled satisfied. The development of spiritual power has a strong feeding effect on himself, and on the road to supreme evolution, there is more spiritual power, which is very good. He is now like a divine furnace, such as matter, energy, genes, and the soul in the furnace of power, calcined and grown together. The more vigorous the fire, the better the forged power. And, if Link is eager, he can also focus on an enhancement. For example, magnetic field control. He still cultivates the primordial magnetic cultivation method, accumulating magnetic power, and while accumulating magnetic power, he also looks forward to having more insights. The fundamental law, or the silver great super cultivation method. Link thought to himself, this point is not going to be. No matter what power he gained and what new perception he had. In fact, the first thing that came to mind was to supplement the silver great chow cultivation method. Next, there is the development of the avatar ability. Link looked slightly bitter. The reason for leaving the avatar development last. It was he who could have expected it. This ability is absolutely difficult to develop. These days, he didn't think about the doppelganger ability, but he didn't have a clue. 10 doppelgangers, walking out of Link's body, wide-eyed and small-eyed, very in line with his current state of mind. The source of the avatar's ability is the power of the origin of the celestial god group, and the foundation is there. But it is not known for strength, but for multiplicity. It's not easy to make fundamental changes. In fact, the way to strengthen the doppelganger, Link also thought of several. But that's not what he wants. What he really wants is not the protector law, but the enlightenment method. Separate the 3 doppelgangers, cultivate separately, and then merge together when needed. This idea, which has been around for a long time, can be said to be very nice. Wouldn't it be cool to go to the sun and squat for tens of thousands of years, and directly become a golden Superman after returning? But it's hard to implement the idea. First, Link doesn't allow himself to have 2 consciousnesses, so the clones are left alone. Second, the growth of the avatar is strong. Third, the avatar must be able to fuse with the body, otherwise it is just a powerful robot. It's useless to think too much, let's do it. Link was about to cultivate. Suddenly, there was a thunderous bang on the door of the cultivation room. The alloy gate soon had a pit. Eventually, the door slammed and was kicked open, smoke billowing out. Link looked at the retracted leg Simmons and was dumbfounded. When was Simmons so violent? In addition to Simmons, other family members were also present. Link, are you alright? Simmons hurried into the room and said anxiously. Link pointed to himself, shook his 10 fingers, and then pointed to the gate. Meaning, I'm okay, the door is fine. He frowned. Why are you here? Sky glanced at Link up and down, and seeing that he was really okay, a hanging heart put down and said, "You're sorry to say, you haven't shown up for a month. Any idea how anxious we are?" Hill hugged his shoulders, his brows furrowed into Sichuan characters. "Link, why don't you answer the phone?" In the beginning, Link kept in touch with them. He also solemnly asked them not to come in, saying that their cultivation was in retreat. Retreat, this is a very important thing. When Link heard this, he pulled into his trouser pocket. The phone has been frozen into ice bumps. Hill saw it, his brows furrowed deeper. What's going on? Link didn't want to leak too much cultivation information, so his cultivation room was unmonitored. Hill, they had no idea what was going on. Didn't I say that I can live without eating? Link was speechless, feeling the burden of family affection for the first time. But he didn't feel anything. Aren't people living for fun? Otherwise, what's the difference with Ultron? Lorna said in annoyance. But you haven't gone out for a month, and if you continue like this, the oxygen in the room will be gone. It was the first time she had a little temper with Link. They deliberated outside for 3 days before finally deciding to break the door. Until this moment, everyone saw that Link was okay, and his face relaxed. In fact, you can live without oxygen. Link argued, and then also felt unreasonable, and honestly admitted his mistake. It won't be like this in the future. The eyes of the 5 women were really overwhelming, and, unknowingly, a month actually passed. It's really a mountain without armor, and there are no years of practice. Now go out to dinner with us. Mia was furious, and her good-looking yellow hair fluttered slightly. There is quite a feeling of anger. Without you, eating is not fragrant. Simon said angrily, "Do you know how strong you are now?" Always wanted to talk to Link, but Link has always been away. You can't brag at the dinner table. Link's heart poured into the warm current, stepped forward and grabbed Hill's hand, and moved. Mother Hill, I'm so moved. Thank you for caring about me outside. Mia looked disgusted. Hill heard the long-lost name, reached out and pinched Link's face, pulled it, and said with a wry smile, "I won't count you now. I know that you want to become stronger and protect us, but don't be too tired." Link is all good there, but sometimes when you are busy, you don't finish and don't care about anything. It's good to have herself and Lorna. Otherwise, she was really worried about Link becoming a wild man. Let's go back to eat first. The food is cold. Hill uttered the old line of the Eastern Patriarch. As everyone knows, in the East, there is nothing greater than a cold meal. The group took the elevator to the top floor. Sumptuous dining is spread over long tables. By the way, Link, a man named Emma came looking for you the other day, and he looked for you several times. At the table, Hill cut a steak for Link and spoke. Hiss. Link slapped his forehead and almost forgot about the White Queen. He asked, "Didn't she do anything to you?" "We told her about you, and she was angry and wanted to do it, but she was scared away by me and Sky." Lorna said lightly. "Well, let her come over tomorrow." Link sighed inwardly. Calculate the time. It has been almost a month since Emma was delayed. Originally, I just wanted to casually create a cultivation method for her, but now it seems that I still need to use dim sum. Hey, people with a strong sense of morality are like that. Emma, who do you think caused it? Listen to Lorna. That woman is a mutant. Hill asked. Link nodded and affirmed. It's quite a background. The Hellfire Club knows. She is now the leader of it. Hearing this, Hill was a little surprised. Regarding mutants, S.H.I.E.L.D. is not very contacted, and the military side watches it closely. But for the Hellfire Club, she still heard a little. After all, the mutant giants of the previous era. After learning Emma's identity, Hill didn't say anything like don't communicate with each other. She was confident that Link would handle it. In fact, Link is more like the pillar of this family than her. Next, Emma came to the Link building, and after talking to the front desk, she walked into the elevator. The number of floors of the elevator gradually increased, and only 2 passengers remained. Emma looked at the woman twice, with red hair and a long dress of black silk and lilac. The 2 women are equally prominent. Suddenly, there was a smell of same-sex repulsion in the elevator. The elevator eventually stopped on the 50th floor. The 2 women walked out of the elevator almost at the same time. Then, almost simultaneously, I walked to an office. The 2 looked at each other. Natasha asked tentatively, "Hello?" "Hello." Emma responded and knocked on the door, feeling a little dissatisfied. Why did you make an appointment with someone else? If it weren't for the fact that Natasha was Link's guest, she would have wanted to use her psychic abilities. Mia opened the door and saw that it was such 2 big beauties, and secretly cursed in her heart. This dead little ghost. Natasha is light ripe. Emma is medium ripe. Please come in. Mia walked towards the office. Emma and Natasha entered. Hill sat behind his desk. Link plays with his phone on the couch next to him. After thinking about it last night, he really didn't have a clue, and now he was looking at some fantasy works for inspiration. Here you are. Link dropped his phone and said with a smile. Natasha did not ask for it, but took the initiative to invite Hill, saying that she wanted to find herself. Emma sulked. Anyone could see her dissatisfaction. Have you ever thought about your mother? Natasha sat down next to Link and hugged Link affectionately. Yes, yes, yes. Link smelled a pungent fragrance and quickly resisted. Hill is still around. Natasha folded her legs, her calves cocked, and stared at Link with a smile on her face. That's how she treats Link, being both a child and an adult. As for the little mother or something, she also used it to tease Link. It's like a beaker. Link said in his heart. Do you think that if you were young, you think that you will not get angry? Be careful, I ripen directly and give you a hard shot. Cluck. Natasha saw Link like this, and she was proud. It was only at such moments that she could see Link lose his calm posture. Well, don't tease him, Miss Natasha. Mia came over with 2 cups of coffee and said to Emma, "Miss Emma, please sit." "Excuse me, I'm just here to get what I deserve." Emma snorted coldly and squinted at Link. I saw that Link touched his nose and looked at her. This? Then you can die. Rumble. Link burst out and punched him in the face. Emma's face changed drastically, and her body instantly became diamond. I never expected that Link was such a backsliding. At this moment, a punch landed on Emma. With a bang, Emma flew upside down and smashed the wall. It hurts, Emma exclaimed. Apparently, masonry did not completely protect against Link's attack. The queen among mutants? That's all. Link approached step by step, smiling wickedly. "Let me go." Panic filled Emma's heart, and now she just wanted to go. Link was like a troll in her eyes at this time, making her unable to escape. "Want to go? Aren't you going to learn the cultivation method? I have created a set of spiritual cultivation methods that belong to you. You don't want it?" Link snorted. "Yes, I still have telepathy." Emma's mind flashed. She lifted the diamondization, activated telepathy, and exclaimed, "Captain America." In the psychic illusion she inflicted on Link, Captain America should have broken through the window at this moment and held Hill hostage. Oh, the power of the mind is not used by you like this. However, Link was not affected at all, and rushed forward and suppressed Emma. "Let me teach you how to use the real power of the heart." Emma moaned and gradually sank into it. Every time the soul sways, there is a deep sense of spiritual power. What's wrong with her? Emma, who was sitting next to her, suddenly snorted, and Natasha said with a puzzled look, "Didn't you come to get what belongs to you? How did you just sit down?" "Nothing. She's like that, nervous." Link suddenly smelled the sea smell and looked strange. He swears he didn't use real projections. It's all Emma's natural reaction. That's a little punishment. Although he was at fault first, who let Emma do it to Lorna and Sky? In this matter of family, Link is still stingy. It must have been Link who did something. On the side, Mia thought to herself, when I came here before, women were not like this, normal very. Could it be that Link controlled it with gravity? Not quite like that. Ignore her. Tell me about you. Link looked at Natasha. Natasha's eyes flashed and said, "What can I do? Is to come and see you." "Do you think I believe me?" Link has a look like you're teasing me. Normal door to door, but will not specifically call to notify. That's right. Tony invited you to visit the Avengers base. And by the way, I want you to give some advice on the steel mech he developed. Natasha stated the purpose of the trip. Just today, Tony confessed. After studying the latest energy compressors, he still didn't get anything. Spelling CC Dafa is too terrifying. So he cheekily commissioned Natasha to come and do this. Tony is an arrogant hero, but also a qualified businessman. Such a long period of attrition, if there is no harvest in the end, it is a real blood loss. So, Link smacked his lips. Depend on. No wonder give benefits as soon as they come. What do you think? Natasha smiled brightly, and the black silk leg rubbed Link intentionally or unintentionally, and it felt smooth to the touch. Link, just go with Natasha. He'll persuade it at this time. Link stayed at home for too long. She is afraid of affecting her mental health. The Avengers. Link mused. Seeing this, Natasha high heels nodded Link's calf. Whoops, can you stop having a fever? Link was speechless in his heart and nodded. Yes, but the development of Mecha is another matter, and I have no reason to help him. It just so happens that his inspiration has dried up recently, so it's good to go out and stroll. Maybe you can run into the two big treasures of Thor and Hulk, especially green fat. The power of the Hulk. He has been hungry for a long time. In Marvel's latest setting, the reason why Banner turned into the Hulk is not gamma rays, but the power behind gamma rays. Under all things OBA, this seems to be a benchmark OA, but it is not so expressive. It's just that it ruled the 8th Marvel multiverse that has not yet been born for tens of billions of years, annihilated all life, and iterated the Marvel multiverse for the 9th life. That's that billion point stronger. Little Link, I know you won't let little mother down. Natasha's eyes lit up, and she looked joyful. She often visits doors, and has strong intelligence gathering ability, and can be said to know Link's true scientific research level better than anyone. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is the first person in the future of ancient and modern times. It is not something that can be described by some genius demon, but it is really to the point of making people feel fearful. It's just that it's really hard to use Link. Link is not the kind of selfless person. Generosity is also only for family and good friends. Itself is actually a bit idle, cannot do things you can. The only weakness may be lascivious. You can take advantage of this weakness more in the future, Natasha said to herself. Anyway, Link can't do anything to himself. He can take this point with him at will. Let's go. Link stretched. Sometimes, he also feels that he is too busy. Just after the retreat, he set his sights on 2 more Avengers. But this is not to blame him. It is completely Marvel's gods and demons too much. You can't think of it. I'm not here to do all things for Tony. Natasha held Link's shoulder, looked at Hill, and smiled. Hill, I feel, you are different from before. It had been 2 months since she last saw Hill. Hill's skin is more radiant than ever, and his eyes are more alert. Moreover, there is an additional temperament that makes people want to be close and submissive. Really, Hill smiled coolly. Maybe I haven't been busy lately, so I use some cosmetics. This old friend is really sharp. This keenness is not about her noticing a change in herself. It's her heart. Keep an inquiring mind for changes in anything. It's rare. At least, this acumen has blunted since Hill was no longer on the front line as an agent. Natasha looked at Mia. Is Miss Mia like this too? Mia's skin is already white, and after cultivation, it looks as crystal as jade. Her hair is flexible and shiny, and the surrounding chroma is 2 points brighter. It should be. Mia chuckled. People in the company see each other every day, so much so that they feel that there is nothing, but quietly increase the rate of return. But people who haven't seen her for a long time will definitely be surprised. Natasha nodded silently. In this, there is another mystery. However, she didn't ask much, got up and pulled up Link, raised her eyebrows, and said, Boy, let's go. Hill said, Take care of Link, Natasha. Mia said, Have fun. I promise to send you back safe and sound. Natasha waved her hand and left with Link. The two just left. Suddenly, Mia noticed Emma, who was still sitting on the sofa. Immediately, she asked in a loud voice, Link is gone. Aren't you going yet? Emma didn't react at all. Just as Mia was about to touch her, Emma suddenly sobered up, and there was a pleasure in her eyes to revenge, fear, and the clarity of returning to reality. Are you okay? Mia withdrew her hand, slightly wary. This woman is a mutant. It's still worth being wary of. Of course, this does not mean that I am afraid of her. The angel cultivation method is inherently resistant to negative energy, spiritual power interference, and the like, and the spiritual defense is full. In terms of physics, fist-crushing alloys is also very easy. The knowledge that Link instilled in them was very comprehensive, including the underlying structure of the angel cultivation method, so their cultivation progress was very fast. Nothing. Please give me a break. Emma leaned limply against the couch and gasped deeply. She had just experienced something unimaginable to outsiders. In the world of the mind, decades of time passed by negligence. She was pregnant with Link's baby, but Link is her enemy. This is undoubtedly the ultimate humiliation. She did not give up on herself, but pretended to be obedient. And while living with Link, she took out a little bit of cultivation know-how about the power of the soul. Those days were really hard. While enduring Link's torture of conditioning, she also had to suppress the resentment and the trace of joy in her heart. Just when she was about to get lost, she finally set out all the mysteries of Link's cultivation. In the end, she completed the counter-killing and staged a revenge drama of the big heroine. In the hardy cultivation, he sat on the throne of the king of the world and overlooked the subordinate people. Then, Link's voice was heard. Stupid woman, didn't you notice that your child was never born? Everything dissipated like a dream bubble. Success and dwelling, bad emptiness. Emma murmured. This is a concept in Buddhism. That is, everything in the past was an illusory dream, and the present may not be real. Ahem. Principal Emma, you are very knowledgeable, but I think you should go. On the side, Mia cleared her throat. They still have to work. Hearing this, Emma took a deep breath and walked out of the office. Mia shrugged at Hill. This is a weirdo. After taking the elevator down to the first floor, Emma finally confirmed that this was the reality. I was tricked by Link before. At this moment, an elite man in a suit saw Emma. His eyes lit up, and he stepped forward and said, Hello, beautiful lady. Do you need any help? This lady was dressed in pure white, dressed very well, like a queen, and at first glance, she was a high-class person like her. Emma's eyes narrowed, and a long whip of the mind condensed and slammed it on the man's face. Call me queen. Inferior man. The elite man fell to the ground and wailed. Everyone looked over, and then as if they didn't see anything, they turned their heads and continued the original hustle and bustle. Emma raised her legs coldly, and her high heels stepped on the man's body. The flow of people automatically separates to make way for the newly promoted level 4 mutant. Avengers base. Gateway. Link meets Steve and Tony. Hey, little genius. Tony's smile was exaggerated, although this is the first time he and Link have met. But the two have been clashing for almost a year. Well, Tony thinks so. What about Banner? Link looked left and right. Where did he drop green fat go? Suddenly, Tony was embarrassed. The dignified Iron Man and Captain America are here. You go and ask the big monster. Did the idolatry of American children shift so quickly? Steve liked Link very much, and at a glance he thought he was a good boy, and smiled. Banner is off today, but we have informed him that he should be back in the afternoon. Come with us. Hee. Natasha mentions you often, and we Avengers are all curious about you. In fact, Banner discovered that after Tony was studying power compression technology, the Avengers already knew Link's name. They had long thought of inviting Link over. It's just that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been watching very strictly, and the application has never been approved. It's going to wait until the afternoon. Link looked disappointed. Let me show you around the base first. I heard that you are a hero fan and have collected our star films. Steve smiled sunshine and reached out to touch Link's head. Link ducked. Well, not every little child loves to be touched on the head. Children, geniuses, mutants picked up in the ruins of Hill equals poor baby. In Steve's mind, this is Link's label. Link gave Steve a dead fish eye. Collect star films. That's how long ago the old yellow calendar. This is our central observation deck, where you can see all of New York. This is our suit storage bin. It's cool. Do you want to get one? Oh, see what this is. The Atari battleship model, 1-to-1 simulation. Well, it seems that you don't like it very much. Along the way, Steve chattered and completely treated Link as a little kid who came to sightsee. However, not only did he not give Link a little superhero shock, but he did not hit lightly. Link looked at him the whole time, with a childish expression on your face. It's really not giving face at all. You are so amazed by 2 sentences. Am I Captain America so faceless? Finally, Steve gave up and looked down at Link. Huh. Seeing Steve like this, the corners of Natasha's mouth rose wildly. I told you long ago that Link is mentally mature, and you don't believe it. It reminded her of the powerlessness she felt when she faced Link on the plane. Now, finally, someone can empathize with themselves. These are just the outermost things. Link, do you want to see the real core of the base? At this time, Tony spoke, tilting his chin slightly. Along the way, he didn't say much, and he was still a little embarrassed. Natasha told me that you want me to help you study steel matches, right? Link looked at Tony and smiled. Tony quickly looked up at the sky, and he was thick-skinned, otherwise his face would already be red. Are today's children so direct? I'm not interested in your toys, though. Link ignored Tony's embarrassment and shrugged. He admits that black technology can indeed kill gods. But after all, there is no incense that evolved from itself. I can pay you. I apply for you. Suddenly, Tony was anxious. However, Link was unmoved. Seeing this, Tony began to mouth again and said, I know, you must be afraid that you will feel inferior when you see my creation, but it's okay. I'm willing to teach you some knowledge. Impart my knowledge? It's the funniest joke I've heard this year. Link laughed. Don't say. Tony has a lot of humor. Natasha watched from the sidelines, speechless in her heart. Tony's broken mouth is really easy to spoil. Didn't you invite someone over? What's the matter with being so proud now? I've told you, Link is different from ordinary children, and you still use such a shallow agitation method? How could the other party take the bait? With his character, it is estimated that he will suffer losses in the future. Natasha thought to herself. Just when she thought it was impossible for Link to cooperate with Tony again, Link actually agreed. Okay, I accept your challenge. Natasha. Tony smiled maniacally. Challenge? This statement is very interesting. Say, what are you going to challenge? Link shook his finger and said, we haven't said the bet yet. At this moment, a smile completely bloomed on Tony's face. Geniuses are arrogant. Excited by him, Link really hit the plan. And now the other party has also taken the initiative to put forward a bet. Isn't it right in the middle? Everyone has seen it, but it's not me bullying children. Tony spread out his hand, looking like Link was provoking things first, and then said to Link, if I lose, I will hand over the relevant technology of the arc reactor, and if you lose, you will hand over the relevant technology of electrical energy compression. How? That's a fair bet, right? Before Link could speak, Steve was dissatisfied and frowned. Tony. However, neither Link nor Tony ignored him. Link said, no, it's not enough. Tony didn't think about it and waved his hand. The conditions are yours to open. This guy's holding back. The gambling battle between the two will definitely revolve around machinery and energy. At that time, Link will definitely use its core technology, that is, power compression technology, and the Avengers base, but his base camp. Hey, now he is completely faceless and skinless. I'm just rotten, what's wrong? Tony cheered in his heart for the big victory he was about to come. I remember that Link Industries is fighting a price war with Stark Industries these days, right? The corners of Link's mouth curled up, and he smiled. Tony inexplicably had a bad premonition, nodded, and still said proudly, that's right, what's wrong? Link clasped his hands together and smiled happily. In this way, if I win, Stark Industries will make way for Link Industries in the future. Moreover, seeing that your Avengers have a great reputation, you must share information with me every time you act in the future, lest you fight and smash my property. Besides, you're going to let me read your memory again. The first two conditions, Tony already felt very excessive, and the last condition made him directly blow up. Read my memory, what do you mean? Tony said upside down. It's literally a little bit of mutant small abilities. Link held out a fingertip universe and said, don't worry, it won't make you an idiot. Impossible. When pigs fly. Tony shook his head frantically, decisively refusing. Being read by someone remembers. Isn't it that you have no privacy at all? Excluding this, it is difficult for him to agree to the first two conditions. Make way for Link Industries. Then Stark Industries will have to face transformation or become a remote market that some people don't want. This will be a very big blow to Stark Industries. How can he research the mass production of steel suits and even build an iron army to protect the Earth? Isn't it because you have money? Now Link actually wants to cut him off. Wrong. It is to transfer the way of wealth to himself. And the Avengers' plan of action is all confidential. These two items alone are already excessive. Suddenly, Tony's mind flashed, staring at Link and asking, what if you lose? If you put such a big bet on yourself, the other party should also. If I lose, I'll give you the power compression technology. Link spread his hands. Tony listened and almost vomited blood. I lost half of my life, and if you lose, that's it? Not only Tony, but Steve and Natasha on the side also twitched the corners of their mouths. Just when they thought that this gamble was destined to be yellow, Link said with a look of disdain. I know, you must know that your pile of broken copper and iron can't compare with me, and I'm afraid of losing and inferiority, so you don't dare to compare with me. It's okay, I'll just say when you just said, and I won't take it seriously. The same radical method, applied to Tony himself, obviously works very well. Tony's anger visibly rubbed upwards, fierce and vicious. Steve felt that he could not let the situation develop any longer, and Tony obviously went up and persuaded. Tony, forget it, I can't beat the shield to little Link to play with for a while. However, if Tony can be persuaded, it is not Tony. Good. I promise you a bet. However, I would add that if you lose, you will have to play for the Avengers for 3 years. Moreover, the content of the competition must be formulated by me. Although a condition of 3 years of effectiveness is added, it is completely disproportionate to the cost of losing. But Tony wasn't stupid. In his field, he has absolute confidence over Link. Don't watch Link lock him up with technology for nearly a year. But that doesn't mean there is much of a gap between the two. He believed that if he set up a combination lock, Link would not be able to decipher it either. As soon as I got back to base, I saw Tony go crazy. This is Banner's truest thought at this time. What's Tony going crazy again? Banner asked to Natasha. In the huge test site in front of the meeting, dozens of robotic arms are constantly operating, and Mars is everywhere. And Tony is like a hard-working little bee, a hammer on the left and a mallet on the left. Natasha shook her head coldly and said, Link is here today. I know. I'm coming back to see the little one. Banner smiled. Then, Tony got into a conflict with him. Banner listened to Natasha's account of the whole process, and he looked confused. It's you, Tony. You can fight with a small child so much. The content of the two-man fight is simple. To sum up in 5 words, the creation competition. Within 3 days, the two sides created a mechanical creation and competed in 3 aspects: firepower, information collection, and actual combat. During this period, both sides must create in a transparent environment and cannot leave the Avengers base, and the corresponding material Stark Industries will be flown in as soon as possible. Wouldn't Link have lost then? Banner was speechless. Isn't this pure pit child? What is Tony's hero name? Iron Man. Link has nothing but a crazy Tony's power compression technology, and Tony has a steel suit as a base, and he is already invincible. Not necessarily. Natasha shook her head, her eyes solemn. In theory, Link is indeed certain to lose, but Link was too calm. When he heard the content of the competition, he could have refused, but he still agreed. What about the Link? Banner shook his head, just as Natasha said casually. Natasha listened and walked away. Banner immediately followed. The two meet Link in a mech warehouse. In this warehouse, there are idle mechs. The large ones are more than 10 meters high, and the small ones are only the size of puppies. These mechs were made when Tony deciphered the power compression technology, and the expected drive energy source is the crystallization of electricity. At present, the only drawback is that the power compression technology has not been cracked by him, and the energy crystallization cannot be supplied normally. It can be said that everything is ready, only the east wind is owed. Seeing Natasha and the two coming over, Steve made a silent gesture. What is he doing? Seeing Link staring seriously at the mechs, Banner whispered. Tony is working on a brand new secret weapon. What's the use of you looking at his old stuff here? I don't know. Steve shook his head. Ambition? Not like. Striving for strength? It's not like either. Let's go. Suddenly, a smile appeared at the corner of Link's mouth, and he withdrew his gaze from a Tyrannosaurus Rex-like mech and said to Steve, from a microscopic perspective, the structure of those mechs is at a glance. He has already decided. Just beat himself with Tony's own creativity. Do you want to see Tony's other works? Steve said, no need. For the next 3 days, Link should eat and drink. For him now, using 2 things, or even 1 thing, is just a piece of cake. Tony has been in the mechanical field for decades, and Jarvis alone does not know how many years he has been ahead of the Earth, so he still plans to take it seriously. Through long-term observation and analysis, mechanical modification technology has reached the pinnacle. Through long-term observation and analysis, the material conversion technology has reached its peak. Through long-term observation and analysis, the mechanical energy refining technology has reached the pinnacle. Through long-term observation and analysis, virtual imaging technology has reached the pinnacle. Through long-term observation and analysis, the strong magnetic domain field technology has reached its peak. Through long-term observation and analysis, the technology of light energy polymerization has reached its peak. Mecha Gallery. With Link's snapping of his fingers, the majestic spiritual power tilted out. The mechanical creations such as Tyrannosaurus Rex, tigers, and humanoids in the field were instantly shattered. Subsequently, they quickly converged and a completely new assembly began. You did this. Natasha hid behind Link, looking at the mech formed in the fierce wind, looking shocked. Banner's face was green and white for a while, as if he was about to transform into a Hulk at any moment. Link didn't turn his head back. Based on what he knew about Banner, this fear should not be enough to support the transformation. In the past 3 days, in addition to preparing for the gambling fight, he also observed Banner well, and the basic information had been collected. Because Tony competed with power compression technology, the Avengers didn't make a few good missions. So, the heroes became a little lazy. Hawkeye took a leave of absence to temporarily return to his family. Thor returned to the Immortal Palace and is currently unreachable. So Link only targets the Hulk. Tony, forget it. Link hasn't done research these days. Approaching the competition, Steve wanted to make a last-ditch effort. Link not only did not create a technological creation in the past 2 days, but also eyed Natasha in the past 2 days, which really opened the eyes of this old man. When was the ethos in our United States so open? Oh, it turns out that it has always been so open, and the laws are different in each state. That's all right. Impossible. There is no discussion on this matter. Tony chewed viciously on the bread, full of electric paste. Steve said helplessly, he's still a child, Tony. Child. You said it was a child. Tony listened, and the crumbs of bread spewed wildly. Oh my God, Captain America, then you should call me baby. Steve opened his arms and looked down at Tony. If you count by your age, it is. Tony pushed Steve away and said, flash aside, Steve. I'm going to let him know today what the cruelty of society is. Hearing that Link didn't do anything, he didn't feel like he was invincible, but only felt cool. Right now, a giant shadow whistled past the other end of the corridor. Steve reacted quickly and quickly pulled Tony to dodge. The giant shadow is a white fighter plane that flew out of the corridor towards the green grass in the distance. I'm waiting for you in front. Link sat on the wing, the words still ringing in Tony's ears, but the fighter had already flown far away. In the air, the fighter completed its transformation, turned into a mighty giant humanoid mech, and landed heavily on the ground. You said he hasn't done anything in the past 2 days? The bread fell to the ground, and Tony was dumbfounded. Contests are held on the golf course. The first is a firepower competition. Tony's entry is a 3-meter-tall red armor, apparently modified from anti-Hulk armor, with 2 barrels on his back. My work is called anti-Link armor. What about yours? Tony propped his elbows on his red armored thighs and said with a relaxed expression. On the side, the big guy who is 10 meters tall, full of metal texture, hideous image, and a big sniper on his back is indeed quite bluffing. But whether it is practical or not is not determined by size. Transformers, Decepticons, Megatron. Looking at Tony's forced composure, Link shook his head. Okay, reptile, I know. Tony straightened his figure and pointed to the forest in front of him. 1 minute of fire coverage. Whoever causes the most damage wins. Link nodded. No problem. The competition project or something. It has been said a long time ago. The two also did not mean to change things temporarily. Then I'll come first. Tony puts on a holographic blindfold and enters the anti-Link armored perspective. The bulky anti-Link armor ran 2 steps, then took off. The 2 muzzles of the guns behind it popped out, and a large number of small Jericho missiles whistled out. Boom. The earth-shattering sound sounded for a full minute. The missiles of the 2 cannons just ran out. Obviously, this was all calculated by Tony. It's your turn. Tony took off his blindfold and said proudly. There is a consensus in the arms community today. Nuclear bombs first, missiles second. Link didn't speak. Megatron on the side answered with action, and the jet port behind it spewed out energy tail flames and suddenly rose into the air. It pulled out the big sniper behind it. Above the muzzle, the blue particles continued to converge, eventually forming a large blue ball with a diameter of about 10 meters. The terrifying energy rises in it, instinctively making the living body feel uncomfortable. Steve and the others instinctively made protective moves. This is high-energy electromagnetic compression technology, Tony said in shock. At this moment, he was really surprised and delighted. This is a high-end electrical application. It should be a derivative of the power compression technology. He really didn't see the potential of this technology. Boom. The giant energy cannon flew out and landed in the distant woods. Suddenly, a mushroom cloud rose. The chaotic stones pierced through the air, whistling, and the power was not small at a glance. Steve raised his shield and stood in front of everyone. However, the flying stone stopped dozens of meters away from everyone. This time, everyone looked at Link in unison. He is the only one present who has this ability. Link shrugged. A little mutant ability. Damn it, Tony cursed darkly. Are mutants such perverts? Since it is so strong, why is it still chased everywhere by the official? Tony didn't know. It's just that he didn't catch up with the era of Magneto. Otherwise, the treatment would not be much better than Wolverine. There is no suspense in the victory or defeat of the first game. Thousands of meters of ground seemed to have been plowed, and a large pit with more than 100 names appeared in the center. A shot of power, horror. The second competition is information gathering ability. I throw in the towel. Link directly raised his hand and threw in the towel. Tony has Jarvis, and the sky has satellites. There is no need to compare. Now, the score is tied 1-1. At this time, everyone came to the villa balcony in order to better watch the game. Banner kept shaking his legs. Steve looked solemn. Natasha's eyes drifted. It can be expected that no matter who loses or wins, it will definitely be a wonderful battle. Tony puts on an eye patch, presses his fingers on the virtual screen, and controls the anti-Link armor to come to the field. Begin. Steve drank low. In an instant, the 2 steel monsters in the field took action. Megatron drew his gun, and ion beams kept shooting out of the muzzle. The anti-Link armor flew left and right, and was quickly hit. Seeing this, the anti-Link armor fell apart directly, and a red and gold-colored steel armor flew out of it. Soldiers are not tired of deceit. The corners of Tony's mouth hooked, and he said in his mouth, the steel armor is very flexible, and with the assistance of Jarvis, it dodges the shots one by one and flies above Megatron's head. One of the muzzles on the shoulder armor opened, and several miniature missiles shot out. No matter how small a missile is, it is a missile, and blowing up a tiger tank is not a problem. The winner is decided. With such a large body as the Decepticon, it is impossible to dodge the attack of missiles. If it weren't for the caution, Tony would have wanted to take off the blindfold by now. Bang bang. As soon as the miniature missile approached Megatron, it was blocked by a layer of translucent cover, and as if it had been disturbed by something, it spun around a few times indiscriminately and exploded. Fact, what is this? Seeing this scene, Tony looked incredulous. Banner looked at Link in shock, and he thought of something. The force field composed of strong magnetism can withstand about 30 tons of heavy pressure and has a strong interference effect on electronic components. Link spoke up generously, because the game can already be over. In the field, Megatron's eyes flashed red, made an aiming gesture, aimed at the steel armor, and the muzzle light energy converged. Megatron has no AI to assist it. However, as long as the attack speed is fast enough, the steel armor will still not be able to hide. Light energy convergence, astral sniper. An icy mechanical voice came from Megatron's mouth. In the next second, the light energy ray crossed a distance of hundreds of meters and hit the steel armor at a speed of microseconds. The steel armor exploded into fireworks in an instant. It's really weak, and the shock wave and overclock sonar have not been tested. Link said murderously. Threat attacks come in two modes. One is to follow the procedure and choose a target to attack, and the second is to direct it remotely. The last moment was the result of his remote command. The newly created Transformers still feel a little clumsy. Its intelligent core is organic matter made by Link. Organic matter, even if there is life, has no wisdom. The advantage is that it can grow, constantly strengthening instincts and internal processes. Leisure sports are over, Tony. Link looked at Tony and said, now I'm going to take my booty. Tony didn't know when he had slipped quietly to the door. I'll go to the bathroom. Seeing Link, Tony hurriedly took several steps back. Link could not get used to it, and Tony was captured in his hand as soon as he beckoned. Tony's knowledge is of no small use to him. Artificial intelligence, coding, and other fields. He has not been exposed to much. Tony just happened to be a stepping stone. What are you going to do? Steve didn't care that Link was a child at this time, and he was about to attack. Link pressed Tony's head with one hand and said, if you mess around, he might really be an idiot. Natasha held Steve down and shook her head slightly. Memory reading is a little trick of telepathy. Seriously, Link is now a level 5 mutant, and the one with 4 mutant abilities. A good foundation is like that. Just like a handsome guy, he looks good in any clothes. The code, 0 and 1, is pretty interesting. Link read the memory of the knowledge direction and thought to himself. A minute later, the vast amount of knowledge was digested by Link, and he let go of his hand. Steve grabbed the paralyzed Tony, frowned and asked, is Tony okay? Before he finished speaking, Tony stood up on his own and said in amazement, oh my god, I'm still alive. Link rolled his eyes. I am not the kind of third-rate ability. Okay, Tony, willing to gamble and lose. Natasha was afraid that Tony would make trouble again, and quickly explained. I know. Tony's eyes looking at Link were already filled with a thick fear and fear. This is simply a little devil. Tony, suddenly, Link shouted. Tony was startled, and his back straightened. Link said with a serious expression, I know from your memory that you are a hero with integrity, kindness, benevolence, and a sense of justice. A real superhero. Tony was stunned. Was that the words coming out of Link's mouth? And why did he not believe it a little? I heard Link continue. You want to form the Iron Legion through power compression technology? I can help you. Link can be said to be speechless. Tony's head buzzed and asked, really? Link beckoned, and Megatron walked over. His head parted, and a black crystal floated over. Reaching out to catch the crystal, Link said, this is an organic substance that I accidentally discovered, which can be combined with carbon, iron, silicon, and other elements to make steel a real integrated life form and produce unique mechanical power. I named it Tinder Source. Now, I will give you the relevant technology of Transformers, and I hope you can contribute to the cause of protecting the Earth. Tony deciphered his own technology and also deciphered it for almost a year. This special, not pit Tony's hand. Link feels sorry for himself. This so-called Tinder Source is a variant of organic ice. In other words, its core consciousness is completely under his control. You're not kidding? Tony's whole body was dumbfounded, stupid, and almost carried away by the huge surprise. Link nodded. Daddy. Tony knelt down directly and hugged Link's thigh. What is it like to be thrown off a cliff and pulled back? What is it like for a person to drown and be rescued? Tony doesn't know, but what he knows is that his current mood is definitely 100 times more turbulent than this. His life over the past year, in Link's shadow, is in a state of fragmentation. The competition with Link shattered his decades of life. The steel armor that he was proud of, creation and invention, mind and calculation, fell apart in front of that Decepticon. And just when he felt disillusioned and even wanted purple sand, Link unexpectedly recognized him. This can be said to reshape his 3 views. Tony, hurry up. The 3 of Steve were startled by Tony and quickly pulled him up. Good guy, you are the real contrast. They had never seen Tony like this. There was a hint of surprise in Link's eyes, and it immediately came to him. Tony is the kind of person who has a sensitive heart and has never lost since he was a child. It can only be said that he is too dead bound by his own arrogance. Now the arrogance was suddenly shattered, leaving him at a loss. Isn't it just losing once? Tony, you're too ugly. Steve reprimanded in a rare way. You don't understand. Tony rubbed his snot in tears. This is not a one-time loss, but a complete loss, and everything in the past is denied. Nini, don't cry. Banner comforted and handed over a handkerchief. Nini was once called Tony by Link, and now it seems really appropriate. It's all girls. Phew. Tony blew his nose hard, and his brain finally cleared up a little. Immediately, he blinked, reacting to what he had just done, and almost wanted to find a seam to drill into. Tony wanted to say something, but couldn't. All right, Tony. Link stared at Tony and said, I recognize your determination to protect the Earth. Thank you. Tony reflexively clenched his fist, feeling that he had received great praise in his heart, and he was warm. Link patted Tony on the shoulder and said with a smile, Dyson ball, time compression, time shuttle, two-way foil, these technologies, do you want to have? Tony's eyes lit up and he said excitedly, think. Link bowed his head and said, I want it too. Tony, the Steve trio. Everybody has it together, and that's it. I'm going to stay here for a few days, and I'll teach you what I need to do. Link smiled and looked at Banner. Banner, I want to study the Hulk for a few days, no problem. Banner didn't expect to have his own business. His eyes rolled around, and he kept swimming on Megatron and Link, falling into hesitation. No problem. Without waiting for Banner to speak, Tony agreed and said to Banner, Banner, this is all about contributing to humanity. You won't disagree. With such a big guy as Link, it is just enough to cure Banner's problems. As for whether Link has a corresponding biotechnology, this also requires doubt. Skepticism has grass in the brain case. Tony doesn't see Link as a human anymore, as a god. Whoever dares to question Link is to get by with him, Tony. Okay. In the end, Banner agreed. 7 days later, laboratory. Link stared at the changing green blood in the glass jar, his eyes full of deduction. After a lot of tests on Banner and the Hulk, he already has a deep understanding of the Hulk's blood. At least at the material and genetic level, there is no secret anymore. My reincarnation ability can make me transform into the Hulk, but anger will not increase my strength. So, Banner's real strength is not genetics. Rather OBA, gamma rays. I don't know how long time passed. The aura in Link's eyes continued to converge, and finally suddenly became extremely bright. Your research on gamma rays reached its peak, discovered some unknown power hidden in gamma rays, and you had an epiphany and created gamma ray leading. Gamma rays, unknown forces in extraditing gamma rays. Epiphany. Link took a deep breath, his expression dark. At this moment, he was actually a little hesitant. That's right, just hesitation. Oba, Link murmured in his heart. In the final analysis, his current strength is at most a Heavenly Father level. Is it appropriate to approach OBA now? However, without hesitation for long, Link gritted his teeth sharply, his eyes firm. Dry? Why not do it? Marvel is a bunch of gods and ghosts of multi-level gods. What symbolizes death, what life symbolizes reality. OBA does not have any personality or thought, only the original desire to destroy the multiverse. And if it wants to come to reality, it also needs a host. Compared with those old it is simply amiable. Link wasn't kidding. It's like eternity. From the setting point of view, eternity represents the specific phenomenal of the sum of time in the multiverse, and every corner of the universe has an eternal existence. Why? Because the multiverse is eternity itself. That is to say, all numbered universes are in the eternal belly. This alone is scary enough. Generally speaking, the eternal responsibility is to maintain and regulate the order in the universe, and will not easily appear, unless there is a major event that can endanger the multiverse. But Link will not stop at the multiplicity of fields. He is destined to move forward. That being the case, why not give yourself one more whole card? Just do what you say. Link said about making gamma rays. Gamma rays are photons with powerful energy. One gamma ray photon contains more energy than a million visible photons combined. Essentially, light and gamma rays are both types of electromagnetic waves. Because it is related to light, Link wants this ability even more. A few minutes later, a cloud of gamma rays appeared in Link's hand. That's right, hand rub gamma rays. With Link's knowledge of light electromagnetism, this can be done. Lead. Link drank low, Suddenly, the field around him changed, and the energy in his body gushed out, intertwined into a net, and covered the gamma rays, forming a ball of energy. Then, the ball began to vibrate, and gradually turned green. A terrifying, evil, grotesque aura spread. The breath alone seems to invade all space. Link's perception leaned out, wanting to parse it. However, in the next second, this green ball of light suddenly exploded, and a large amount of green energy surged into Link's body. In an instant, Link's eyes, ears, mouth, and nose were filled with green light. About half a minute passed, and the green light dissipated. Link smiled. Gamma powers were better tamed than he thought. After all, Banner can control it, and there is no reason why he can't. I should be one of the OBA's chosen ones now. Link clenched his fists, feeling the power in his body, and thought to himself. In the current monolithic universe, OBA's gods are only him and Banner. There are two ways to increase Gamma's divine power. The first is one's own anger, jealousy, sin, and all the negative energy. The second is to enter the deepest underworld of hell, when the OBA is directly possessed. As for me, of course, I chose to cultivate. Time was in a hurry, and 10 days passed quickly. 5 days ago, Lorna and they came to visit Link and play for a few days. During this time, Hill and Tony signed a large number of contracts. Generally the transfer of industry by Stark Industries, and the cooperation with Link Industries. In addition, Tony bought 100 Tinder Swords from Link for a unit price of 10 million. Under Link's guidance, Tony already has a well-developed plan for the Iron Legion. Link didn't follow Lorna, and they went back. The Avengers base is quite large. In the event of an accident, it is not distressed if it is destroyed. Not his home anyway. Inside the room, Link sat cross-kneeled, shining green. Suddenly, you delved into the Gamma Divine Power, combined with the understanding of the Hulk cells. You had an epiphany and created the Gamma Divine Power Cultivation Method. Gamma Divine Power Cultivation Method. Take your own negative energy as a singularity and transform your Gamma Divine Power. Pure white mind world. As Link's thoughts moved, a green temple suddenly appeared high in the sky. Link steps forward and appears on the throne inside the temple. Next second, a black vortex appeared in the space ahead, and countless negative emotions and negative energy deliberately created by Link surged out from inside and poured into the green pool on the side. I thought it would be difficult, but I didn't expect it to be so simple. This Gamma Divine Power, you don't need to understand it at all. You just came up without a trace. But even that took me 10 days. Link thought to himself. 3 days later, he came to the Temple of Gamma again. The Gamma Divine Power in the pool has accumulated a lot. As soon as he waved his hand, the Gamma Divine Power in the green pool flew out and poured into his body. With the continuous infusion of Gamma's divine power, Link gradually mutated and eventually became a childish-looking Hulk. Hiss. Link couldn't help but growl, his eyes full of anger and hatred. What a terrifying power. Link feels like his will is constantly falling into the abyss. This is a complete cliff-like catastrophe. Too little Gamma Divine Power. It is useless for my size. Too much will directly turn the Hulk into a human being, and it will be uncontrollably affected. What a troublesome feature. As the root of this ability, it is strange that the OBA can be reasonable. No wonder it's called Under All Things. After a while, Link returned to normal, and a trace of palpitations remained in his eyes. Just now he almost lost control. That is, he has a superhuman will. Otherwise, even a person of the same level will become a beast in the moment of Hulkization. Link consciousness returns to reality. There is a prerequisite for epiphany. That is, the subjective consciousness must be in reality. That's right, Link plans to continue cultivating again. The power of Gamma Divine Power is very important and must be mastered. The moment you become the Hulk, the power increases by 5 times, and when you are about to lose control, it is 10 times. And it's an all-round increase. This will be a tiebreaker for me. With this in mind, Link switches back and forth between the Hulk form and the normal form, exploring the mystery in between. 6 days later, you risked losing control and were repeatedly eroded by Gamma Power, and finally found a balance. And you had an epiphany and created Superman Gamma State. Superman Gamma State. Mobilize Gamma Divine Power. Enter Gamma State. The basic combat power is increased by 10 times, and the combat power will increase with the use of Gamma Divine Power. Gamma State on. Without hesitation, Link turned on the Gamma State directly. In an instant, Link's hair turned emerald green, and energy volcanoes erupted like a thin eruption, forming a shock wave. The house was affected and collapsed directly. Avenger Key trembled. The energy is somewhat difficult to control, but it is within the receptive range. Link chuckled, his eyes confident. The legendary Super Saiyan? No, it's the legendary Super Superman. The movement on this side quickly attracted the attention of the Avengers. A golden and red figure flew in. Tony looked at Link and said, "What happened?" "I'm testing my strength." Link said truthfully. Gamma Divine Power is indeed powerful. There is no need to say this. But he estimates that with OBA's control over Gamma Divine Power, as long as his Gamma Divine Power grows to a certain scale, he will definitely be targeted. After all, people are under all things, and the negative things you have should belong to others. So he wanted to set an upper limit on the Gamma Divine Power in the Gamma pool. Let's set 3 hours of usage. Link felt the intensity of the consumption of Gamma's divine power and thought to himself. At this time, Steve and they came over. And Hawkeye at the end of the holiday. I felt a sense of closeness in him. Banner said to Hawkeye. Hawkeye glanced at Banner's crotch and pouted. On the other side, Link also noticed that his clothes were ruined and couldn't help but be speechless. This is the case again. It looks like I'll have to go to Banner to get the scriptures. Link canceled the Gamma State. His hair returned to normal, casually made himself a photon crotch, looked at Tony and said, "Tony, go find me a set of clothes." Wait a minute. Tony was now obedient to Link and immediately flew out of here. "Link, what's going on? Is it related to your research on the power of the Hulk?" Banner stepped forward and asked eagerly, "Is Link going to transform into the Hulk too? It would make him feel guilty." Link nodded and said to Banner, "Banner, I can suck away the gamma energy in your body now, and then you will lose the power to become a Hulk. Are you willing?" Hearing Link's hum, Banner's eyes were lost, and he was about to apologize guiltily, and then he heard Link's words behind him. His eyes lit up, and he said excitedly, "You're not kidding. The Hulk is the demon inside him, the demon who killed countless people. Destroy the demons of his original life." "Of course." Link smiled. "Then hurry up." Banner couldn't wait, happy like a child. At this time, he felt like he was crying with joy. God, it's finally time for relief. "Banner." Suddenly, Natasha stopped Banner. "What's wrong, Natasha?" Banner looked at Natasha suspiciously. "Banner, do you really want to give up your power?" Natasha's eyebrows touched slightly. Without the power of the Hulk, Banner would become a normal person. In her mind, this is an ignorant practice, a huge loss. Power? No, this is not power. This is a curse. Banner's eyes were puzzled. "I don't understand why Natasha thinks so." Natasha said, "You're the superhero Hulk now." Banner laughed angrily and roared. "A hero who only knows destruction? Heroes who kill countless people? Don't joke, Natasha. Natasha, I don't even dare to be angry." Natasha was silent for a moment and said, "When will you really believe me once? What happens if Banner becomes an ordinary person, get married, have children, and live the life that ordinary people should have?" She wanted to maintain the home. Forever. No. Banner suddenly shouted at Link. "Link, fast, please. You don't need to be so excited." Link chuckled, grabbed Banner's hair, and a large stream of Gamma Divine Power was sucked out and entered his body. Banner was a little weaker and completely became an ordinary person. Now, Link is the only OBA chosen in this monolithic universe. At this moment, the variables are much less. I feel like I'm back to normal. Banner couldn't wait to stand up, jumping and jumping, cheering loudly. "I'm back." Tony fell from the sky and reached out a hand over the clothes. Link took the clothes and got dressed. Tony looked at the ecstatic Banner and said, "Banner, what's wrong with you?" "Tony, the Hulk is gone. Ha ha." Banner rushed over and hugged Tony. With a bang, the knocked one flew upside down, and a large bag bulged out of his forehead. Huh. Banner touched his forehead with blood and giggled. "Hey." Tony looked dumbfounded. "Let's go. Take me to make 2 nanosuits." Link patted Tony's arm. Tony nodded stunnedly. Laboratory. Link wanted to make a nanosuit, but the work was grabbed by Tony, who was very attentive. Not long ago, he combined artificial intelligence and transformers. Megatron with Jarvis is like a heifer on a rocket, and the cow is in the sky. Complete virtually any job and strategic objective. Against such a powerful transformer, he set up a Starlink plan. That is, let the Iron Legion establish a base in space to protect the Earth in all directions. Of course, this is a follow-up plan for the formation of the Iron Legion. Now the battleship-class transformers are counted as Megatron, and there are only two. The other is still a semi-finished product. Link's help is urgently needed. Link sat aside and asked, Tony, can't you contact Thor? Nope. Tony shrugged and said, I guess Loki is making trouble again. Okay. Link nodded. After a while, the two sets of nano-regular clothes were manufactured, and they were still good-looking. Link, I made an Optimus Prime as you said, but... Tony daggered and handed Link a blueprint. Above is a semi-finished composite chain knife, a 7-meter-long large knife, which can be called a big killer. I've helped you run up and down. It's okay for you to point out 2 sentences, right? These days, whenever Link shows his face, Tony jumps up and down, very courteous. Lin Shui 2 words, almost occupy 90% of his face. Link shook his head unexpectedly and said, don't rush this moment. I said that I will give you all the relevant knowledge before I leave. Night. Hearing the news that Link was leaving, Tony held a bonfire. Say goodbye to Link and celebrate Banner's rebirth. Link, I'll miss you when you're gone. Thank you. Really thank you. Banner took a bite of the chicken leg and was moved. Link smiled and said, Banner, where you go to Link Industries, you are looking for a job anyway. I'll think about it. Banner nodded affirmatively. Link, I feel like you have something on your mind. Suddenly, Tony stared at Link and said, thoughts. Link raised his eyebrows and remained silent. At this time, a new energy robot came over, holding the roasted beef leg meat in his hand. Natasha cut off a piece and handed it to Link along with the plate. Actually, I can see it too. Link withdrew his hand from the roasting fire, took the plate, and shook his head. Is it so obvious? He did think about things. About 1 gasification and 3 clearing. The matter of Gamma's divine power came to an end, and he began to think about this again. Originally, I came out this time to find inspiration. If you don't mind, you can tell us about it. The flames were blazing, and Natasha had curly red hair, like a flame elf. You don't understand. Link stuffed a piece of beef in his mouth and nodded in satisfaction. Next time, take Lorna and them to a picnic and show up camp by the way. In his previous life, he hadn't shown up in camp. Not in this life. To be honest, he kind of understood Clark. This kind of quiet and ordinary days is sometimes really comfortable. Natasha was speechless. She kind of knows why he'll let her take care of Link. This baby has genius disorder. Natasha was determined. It's okay now anyway, isn't it? Hawkeye said, maybe our IQ is not as good as yours, but sometimes what the wise can't think of, the fool doesn't necessarily think. Okay. Link nodded and said casually, I have a doppelganger ability, and I was wondering if there was any way to make them go out and become stronger, and then add up the power they gained when they went out. With that, 3 doppelgangers walked out of his body. Instantly, the scene was silent. Link, this is your mutant ability again. Natasha was deeply shocked and gasped. Link shrugged, meaning self-evident. Banner exclaimed, Link, can you tell me how many mutant abilities you have? Link shook his head decisively. Can't. Okay. Banner was not disappointed and offered advice. You can make a quantum entanglement device on the doppelganger so that your energy can be synchronized. Link shook his head and said, it's useless. What I want is to stack it up and then get a permanent power increase. What I lack is not energy. What energy can provide him with a punch to the multiverse? Swallowing 100 million suns is definitely not enough. Stellar light is primarily a genetic evolution, not an energy source. This was the underlying logic he had set up when he created the silver cultivation method. This way, Banner mused. This is too demanding, but he still wanted to try to help Link find a way. Then, he quickly scratched his ears and puffed up his cheeks. It's like cutting the hair off and putting it back in, and the hair will become harder. Completely contrary to common sense and physics. Natasha and Hawkeye looked at each other, also unable to think of any good way. At this moment, Tony touched his chin and said, why don't you think about magic? Loki used the doppelganger to deal with the dash. With a whoosh, Link disappeared in place and soared into the sky. Tony blinked. The man was dumbfounded. I'm not done yet. The next moment, Link appeared in place again and pressed Tony's temple. Link left. Tony was dumbfounded. Tony, what's wrong with you? Steve patted Tony's face. I sent it. Tony swallowed a mouthful of spit and muttered. Link flew into the sky again, with a red tide on his face and gritted his teeth. Special. Magic. How did I not think of it earlier? Link couldn't wait to slap himself at this point. Research every day. The truth of the universe every day. The genetic energy every day. People are stupid to study. Jingwei, help me call Surgeon Stephen Strange's personal number. Link said to a white gold watch on his wrist. It was a small toy he made after reading Tony's memory. It is several times stronger than Jarvis. The watch screen flashed and began to call Strange's phone. Jingwei heard the eagerness in Link's tone, so he dispensed with the cumbersome greetings. Soon, the call was connected. Hello. Strange's lofty voice came from the watch. Strange, I'm the director of Link Industries. Where are you now? Link said quickly. Kid, don't kidding. Where did you get my phone? On the other end of the phone, Strange drove with one hand and said unimpressed. A child, whose voice sounded immature, said that he was a director of Link Industries. I'm not kidding you, Stephen Strange. Link's tone was unusually grim. Threats, while sometimes easy to mess things up, are also the most direct and effective way to communicate. Strange frowned for a moment and said coldly, I'm on my way home. After speaking, he hung up the phone. There is a superb art body. No demand people. Even if the other party is rich. Strange drove a Lamborghini into the garage. The villa looks particularly luxurious and rich under the street lamp. Luxury cars and mansions complement each other. Strange hurried to the door, opened the door, turned on the light, and changed his shoes. Stepping into the living room, Strange finally had a hint of relaxation on his face. However, this relaxing color disappeared instantly when I saw the person sitting on the sofa. Strange looked stiff and said calmly, who are you? A little ghost was looking at him calmly. The person who just called you. Link looked at Strange and smiled. You can call me Link. Okay, I know your name. Can I leave my house? Strange thought the kid named Link in front of him was weird. Or rather, now this house is no longer safe. His eyes scanned left and right, trying to find a hidden thug. Don't look, I'm alone here. Link sensed his thoughts and said with a chuckle. Now most ordinary people, in front of him, are as thin as paper. In itself, the all-round evolution of the silver cultivation method made him very perverted. After gaining telepathy, it is even more perverted. He is gradually transforming into a high-dimensional creature. The trend is clear. Therefore, he created the angel cultivation method, but he didn't want Hill and them to be too far away from himself. What is your purpose? Say it. Strange said with a calm face. Anyone who knows that after their home is illegally broken into, they will not have a good face. The child in front of him showed maturity that did not match his age. This is alarming. To say that this is just a prank is something he will never believe. Strange, I see your future. Your hands will be crushing fractures. Link knocked on the table, and without waiting for Strange to reply, he continued. After that, unwillingly, you went to the Himalayas to heal your hands and seek the help of the mages there. That place is called Karmatosh. The head of the mage is called Gu-E. You will be the next supreme mage. At this, Link's words paused. He said so much, naturally not to say it to Strange. It's the Ancient One, so that the Ancient One does not appear. Enough. Stop babbling now. Immediately. Get out of my home. It's not Christmas and I don't have candy for you. Strange finally had a chance to interject, his lips like machine guns, spitting bullets. At first glance, he has a talent for chanting mantras. Seeing Strange coming over angrily, Link grinned. I didn't say that you would have a crushing fracture of both hands for some reason. Perhaps I crushed it. When the words fell, Strange floated, and a restraining force locked him firmly. Suddenly, he became frightened. It's just a pair of hands, broken and broken. It's a big deal to give you some compensation afterwards. Link thought to himself. He still has the ability to repair a pair of hands. At the moment when gravity was applied to Strange's hands, a portal braving Mars appeared at Link's feet. Link smiled and let go of Strange. Karmatage. Inside a hall with wall lamps. The portal opened, and Link fell from the sky. There was a coffee table in front of him, and Gu-E was sitting on his knees, with a smile on his face. The Agamotto eye hanging on her chest has been opened, glowing green. Gu-E, I'm here to negotiate. Link sat down and borrowed a line from Strange. Time loops, or something. Although he is not vain, but he does not want to get involved. Gu-E is different from Strange. She has traveled many planes. So, Link also has the respect she deserves. You're amazing. Furichi opened his mouth and smiled. On every timeline, you have a completely different future. Link knew it. This may be related to Epiphany. Epiphany is a thing that is inherently full of randomness. No matter how many timelines you can observe, the first timeline is the only timeline, isn't it? Link laughed, Gu nodded and said with a smile. You are right. Can you tell me how you know about Strange? I can't really say this. Link didn't lie, just refused Furichi's request. Furichi smiled unsurprisingly. In a large number of observation timelines, Link will never say anything about this matter. But that doesn't deny the possibility that Link has a point. Because here's the reality. So, tell me about your purpose. Furichi said with a smile. There are many times in the timeline when Link destroys Karmatage and degenerates into the Demon King. Therefore, the Agamotto eye on her chest has always been lit. I'm going to learn magic, Link said with burning eyes. Yes. Gu-E bowed his head and smiled. In any timeline of this beginning, Link's future is normal, and most of the situation is in a good direction. In this way, she is satisfied. Link licked his lips and said, I'm going to learn all the magic. Since he came to Karmatage, the ability of just one external incarnation cannot satisfy his appetite. If you want to learn, you have to learn everything, just like going to the United Nations gene bank. Furichi silently wiped a handful of sweat in his heart and put the thousands of existing timelines into the eye of Agamotto to calculate more. Your second test is here. Link's greed. Gu-E smiled bitterly and said, but only the Supreme Mage can learn all the knowledge of Karmatage. And you will not accept the responsibility of guarding the dimension. Link nodded, his brow furrowed. That's true. I can't monitor dimensional changes all the time like the future scratch. Yet, at this moment, Furichi suddenly said, if you can promise to find a new Supreme Mage for Karmatage, then I can meet your request. Link listened. A sunny smile suddenly bloomed on his face and promised, no problem.